enough silly goosery. Let's get to what we are here for. This massive Destiny and Alex Jones debate. I'm curious. I'm honestly excited. That's all I have to say. I'm excited. Destiny versus Alex Jones. Glenn Greenwald and Daryl Betty, featuring the Krasstein brothers. Hey, can't pronounce anybody's name. Anyway, I'm curious. Apparently, this is about the January 6th attack. This will be a doozy. Let's get this going.
Okay, in the year 2000, would you have been okay in the year 2000 if Gore refused to certify the vote because he didn't like what's happening in Florida?
A lot of Democrats did
Can
want
you
him to
answer
do
that question? Glenn, answer the question.
Yeah, and I would have actually. Yes, a lot of Democrats were angry about that.
There's a difference between being angry about something versus trying to. Okay, let's just get. Okay.
I'm asking, you would be okay personally if he refused to certify the vote?
I think there were two.
You want to answer the question? What would have happened if Trump would have thrown out the vote?
No, that's a hypothetical. Trump wanted a 10-day investigation.
No, but
I don't care
he
what Trump
also
wanted.
wanted Pence to throw out the
Yeah, what would have happened? What would you have called that?
And we're pushing for that.
Yeah, what would we have called that? Can I get a name for that? If you don't want to call it a coup or an insurrection, what would you call that?
Well, I'd call it taking Trump off the ballot and saying he can't vote for him.
I know you won't answer because you probably know he's guilty. That's fine. What about you or Glenn?
Guilty.
Glenn, what would you call it if the president was able
This is fucking crazy.
to entrench his power by asking his vice president to throw out the vote unilaterally, which is what he was trying to do? Do you want to deny the facts? Do you want to deny that it's a coup? What part?
A coup.
Why didn't you call them off immediately
I believe it's pronounced Haku. Okay.
if he thought it didn't make him look good?
It was happening while he was giving a speech.
Wrong. The reason why he didn't call them off is because Kim, Giuliani, and Eastman were making phone calls to other senators and congressmen asking them
I got to slow it down to normal speed for a little while until I adjust.
to decertify the electoral vote.
No.
You were there, but you weren't.
Do you acknowledge that happened, or do you not acknowledge it?
We're talking about the crowd.
I don't care about the crowd. I'm saying that as the riot was raging on and he was sitting there sipping his Diet Coke, if this really made him and his followers look bad, why didn't Donald Trump make a video immediately?
Yeah, I'm about to do it because I can talk over you really easy.
That's what you've been doing the whole time.
No, you're
I
doing
look forward
it.
to you.
This is going to be crazy, dude. I saw like one small clip and I was already gooning to it, dude.
Dodging the question again. Go ahead.
You're doing it. You're doing it.
No, you.
So,
Hit it with the no you, dude. This is insane. This is funny.
No, you.
You.
Both of you.
Keep doing it.
Jump into it. I want to introduce our panel of incredible people, as I said earlier, and I'm going to start from the end and give you guys a chance to introduce yourselves. We have Ed Krasenstein.
Okay, I think I got that close. Ed Krasenstein. That was pretty good.
How's it going? I'm Ed Krasenstein. You know me
Oh, I guess I didn't get it right. Wait, who did I don't know.
on X at Ed Krasen. Also, the twin.
It's really nice to see the people. I don't know if these guys are conservative, but conservatives properly pronoun Twitter from, it's Twitter to X. It's a new pronoun. What a weird play.
Brother of Brian.
Thanks for pointing out that it's Krasenstein, not Krasenstein.
Well, it can actually be either. You can do Krasenstein or Krasenstein, and I really don't care what you use. So
That's kind of giving me a little bit of cuck energy. You should always care about the people pronouncing your name correctly. One thing that always drives me up a wall is that my wife's name is Robin, Robyn, very specific about it. Sometimes people on the stream get it wrong, and I understand that because it's Robin Dan, right? So you don't know necessarily. But her own family will spell Robin wrong, and they'll use an I, and it's just like, how are you doing this? My family doesn't, though. They spell her name correctly, and she likes that, so that's why she likes my family.
Frankenstein, not Stein.
not Frankenstein. But
That was Alex Jones, if you didn't know. We also have Brian Krasenstein.
Hey, Ian, it's great to be here. I'm Brian Krasenstein, known as Krasenstein on X. Ed's...
Oh, yeah, are they brothers? Do they kiss? Wow, they are. That's why it says brothers.
Slightly better looking and more intelligent twin brother.
Got him.
And modest as well. Probably the most modest of the Krasensteins. Next to Brian, we
How many of them are there that they were calling them the Krasenstein?
have Stephen Bonnell, known as Destiny.
I thought it was Stephen Benelli. Am I just wrong about everything?
What's happening, man?
Hey, what's up? You know me on YouTube at Destiny. My real life name is Steven, and I scream and shout at people on the internet for a living.
Next to this dude, we got Alex Jones. Alex, explain yourself.
Well, I don't think I probably needed much of an introduction, but I mean, I was there on
That's true. He's quite an interesting individual.
January 6th, and I saw what happened. And
I'm pretty sure, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew Callahan did something about January 6th, and he pretty much exposed Alex Jones for riling everything up and then kind of dipping out. And I might be wrong about that. I don't remember all the specifics. I know we're not supposed to like Andrew Callahan, but he seems like a decent guy. You know what I mean? So,
and so it's a very important discussion we're about to have tonight. I'm glad everybody came. We need to have more.
What's really the discussion? Like, January 6th was an embarrassment for the country. Here's what I know. The police were upset, and like some of them have PTSD from being attacked. You know what I mean? Like, I like the police. They're not bad. I like to make fun of them sometimes, too. But at the end of the day, like, I mean, it's so interesting that conservatives complain. Like, I remember, like, some like mainstream Republicans were mocking some of the police that were like, yeah, we're kind of traumatized from that event. It was a shame. You know, Trump lost fair and square. I mean, it is what it is. There were a lot of votes because people were able to vote more easily because of COVID. And I think you could vote for the whole week instead of just one day, and you could do mail-in ballots, so more people had the opportunity to vote. And Trump took an L, and you know, it is what it is. Like, just take the L. You know, you lost, brother. You lost, you silly goose.
Of this, not just left and right, but just different groups of people debating and discussing. I'm really glad that Zero Hedge and their great subscription service, people supporting it, is financing this. And so you're going to see a lot more of this with people supporting Zero Hedge. And so I'm just honored.
I edge constantly. What are you talking about?
To be here with you guys in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Zero Hedge. Great company. Great people, too. Really great people involved with the company. And to your left, my right, Darren Beatty. What's happening, man?
Beatty.
Great to be here. Thank you. I'm Darren Beatty. I run a news site called...
What the hell is this guy doing? Like, not on... How come he's just sitting off to the side? Is he a cuck? Is he just watching... What's going on here?
Revolver.news, which is reported extensively on January 6th. And you can also see me on X at Darren J. Beatty.
And you're a Trump advisor and speechwriter.
Yes.
And a former professor. And you helped quarterback a lot of the groundbreaking stuff that Tucker Carlson put up.
Indeed.
So I'll sing your praises since you.
Thank you.
And we also have coming in remote live, Glenn Greenwald from your studio in Brazil. What's happening, Glenn?
Hey, everybody. Glenn Greenwald. I'm a journalist.
Why the fuck is he in Brazil?
I'm the host of System Update on Rumble. I had planned to be there in person.
Sounds like a normal guy. Why is he in Brazil?
A little logistical problems intervened, and I wish I could be, but I'm really looking forward to participating. And I just want to echo Alex. I think with Zero Hedge.
How many of these people are like on the side of Destiny versus not? Like, or is it just a complete gangbang here?
Doing is so important, organizing these kind of substantive structured debates among people who obviously disagree pretty strongly on things, and yet nonetheless can have what I hope will be a civil and spirited debate. I
kind of hope it's not. I know I'm part of the problem, but I mean, how much more fun is it when people are yelling at each other? You know what I mean? It's so much more fun. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. But
expect it will be. So I'm really looking forward to it.
In the hospital. Being out. What are you doing in the hospital? What are you doing?
Yes, that is my job, is to make sure that it maintains civility, structure, organization, and...
Oh, isn't this guy on Tim Pool? Is this guy a Tim Pool guy? Am I thinking the right?
That we don't talk over each other, that we end up listening to each other. The real value of humanity, one of the most powerful tools we have is communication. So I think tonight's going to be an exemplary example of that. Let's go for this. The first question I got for you guys, and this is really for the entire panel, and anyone that wants to start it off, maybe we can start with you, Ed, since just because you're on the end and we can move around, is January 6, 2021.
Yeah.
Was it an insurrection? And before you answer...
What is it? What is an insurrection? Let's see. Definition, insurrection. Let's see. A violent uprising against an authority or government. I mean, yeah, right? Like, technically, I mean, there was violence there. They broke into the Capitol. There was people who had to get shot because they were being bad boys. Yeah, this is, well, based on this definition, like, yeah, I guess the debate is whether Trump was actively involved or not. He certainly wasn't helping. He seemed to rile tensions when he said, we need to fight now. So
before you answer, I want to read this. This is actually what it's called 18 U.S. Code 2383, rebellion or insurrection.
Yeah, let me do an overhead shot. This is right out of Cornell Law here.
Excellent.
What was that?
All right, I'm going to start reading this. This is according to the U.S. Code. Whoever incites, sets on foot, assists, or engages in any rebellion or insurrection against the authority of the United States or the laws thereof, or gives aid or comfort thereto, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 10 years, or both, and shall be incapable of holding any office under the United States.
Okay. Is that why they're pushing so hard to pin Trump on the insurrection? So because they don't want him to be part of the government? I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve it or not. Okay. I feel like he has enough plausible deniability to be like, well, I didn't technically incite a riot from like a legal perspective, probably.
Technically doesn't define insurrection. It's the code talking about what I guess what an insurrection is. Of course, they use the word insurrection in the actual code itself. But what do you think? Do you guys think it was an insurrection?
So I personally believe it was an insurrection. And I base that on the fact that 20 court decisions called it an insurrection. And the fact that there was a bill passed in the Senate that called call them a mob of insurrectionists. I think the bill passed, or it was
Yeah, but did the dirty Democrats pass that bill? You got to be careful of the Dems, dude.
the House of Representatives 406 to 21. That was a statute to award the police officers medals, and it referred to these individuals as insurrectionists.
Oh, shit.
So, I mean, I
It's
think
over, Alex.
the
You
term
lost.
can be subjective. I think, you know,
I mean, I guess. I mean, isn't language almost somewhat subjective, redefining language based on, whatever's convenient?
people can say nobody was charged with violating Section 2383 of Title 18, which is insurrection and rebellion statute. And nobody was, right? But I don't think that defines whether the event was an insurrection. When I say insurrection, I don't mean everybody there was partaking in insurrection. There are people who were peaceful. The people who walked into the Capitol and did nothing, I don't think that they were insurrection.
And maybe some people were there just for some free beers. Because I mean, I would have went to January 6th. If I knew that they had such a really good tailgate party, I would have went. Because who wouldn't go there for free food? That's why I mostly go to all my family functions, is because they have excellent free food. So if I had gotten the memo that there was really good free food there, I would have went. I would have went 100%. I would have brought something too. We could have went. We could have pre-gamed. We could have had beans and franks in the parking lot. That would have been an excellent time.
Insurrectionist. I think they violated the law, but I don't think they were partaking in insurrection. I do think the Proud Boys were partaking in insurrection. I think you could.
What? Proud Boys? They sound like a bunch of bang-up fellas, a bunch of good guys. What are the proud? Like a bunch of proud guys. You know who else has a lot of pride? LGBTQ, gay pride, baby. Maybe the two groups can work together in some capacity, and they could really enjoy each other. They sound like the types of groups that would do very well together. Proud Boys, gay pride. I think that they're adjacent. Those are adjacent communities. I think it would be a beautiful thing.
Say Donald Trump incited the insurrection. I do.
Destiny, what do you think, man?
Yeah, man.
I would say the plot from start to finish is quite obviously an insurrection. The only way to get around that is to either justify an insurrection, which is what most conservatives do, they don't realize it, or to deny that an insurrection could ever happen, or if you're not aware of all the facts of what happened. I think that Donald Trump and his cronies had a very coherent plan that they tried to enact from start to finish, starting with false claims of voter fraud, leading to false slates of electors that filed themselves.
Do we really think that Trump didn't? That he is it not possible? And maybe we'll learn more as this goes on. But is it not possible that Trump actually couldn't believe he lost and he's just a pussy sort of loser? Or do we think that it's a targeted, calculated plan? I don't know.
Themselves as state electors under perjury, which is what they did, up to the violence that happened on the day of the certification of the vote, where Donald Trump and his friends continued to try to delay the peaceful transfer of power.
Oh yeah, I remember Trump was trying to tell his vice president Al Gore. I can't remember his name for some reason right now. Pence, not to fucking, I don't know, transfer the power over
by contravening the certification of the Electoral College vote.
And what I want to make sure that we don't force this into what they want to call a debate where you got to be called on or anything. So if any of you guys, Glenn, you as well, man, if any of you guys
just jump in. Just go crazy. That seems like a bad structure for a 6-people conversation, but hey, fuck it.
Want to jump in?
Yeah, two of them just went. I want Glenn to go, but I just want to say something here. I was there.
Okay.
And I was investigated and subpoenaed by the Justice Department in at least 5 criminal investigations, and I was forced to testify in front of the Jan 6 committee, which they've now been destroying their records because the records show the opposite of what they said.
What? Do I even look at that? What?
Trump and all of us had a stage rented by the Supreme Court. He was supposed to have another rally there. We showed up. Before Trump ever finished his speech, people were getting tear gas and hit by bullets, and there were a bunch of provocateurs leading an attack against the police, and they broke through. And then this 1 million+ people then got blamed as insurrectionists, and Biden gave a big speech yesterday saying they're all terrorists. So by that extension,
apparently what he's saying is just not true. Just Trump claimed it was true.
Kamala Harris, as the VP candidate, was bailing people out of jail that burned down police stations and firebombed federal buildings. And the idea of Biden's speech yesterday, making his whole campaign about January 6th, saying political violence is never good.
Yeah, well, what a terrible guy for saying that, huh?
The Democrats are the ones that called for political violence. So I was there.
What?
With a bullhorn, I could only reach 100 yards out when the tear gas was hitting me, saying, don't go in, don't fight the police. This is a setup. And then we have hundreds of videos. And so regardless of what the left tries to do, they're all out there.
So it was basically, okay, now I'm understanding what Alex is saying, that it was a setup to try to make it seem like January 6th was violent by the Democrats. Okay. I mean, the conspiracy language is interesting, man, because some people will probably buy into that. But like, you know what? That does make sense. That is what it is. That's exactly what it is. Just like that time I went to the Bass Pro Shop, and there was a 2-for-1 deal, and I went to grab it, and they said that deal expired. And I got fucking mad, and I hit that bitch in the face, that cashier. They set me up. Somebody fucking set me up. So I'm betting it was the fucking Dems. They knew that I was on probation for beating my fucking wife. Another fault of the Dems, because my favorite sports team lost. You know, it's one of those things. It makes sense.
There of people taking off their Antifa stuff and putting on the Trump garb and the police fake.
What the fuck is Trump garb?
Arresting people, attacking
like MAGA gear, I guess. I gotta go. There's a MAGA store by me. I gotta go there.
Attacking them and then high-fiving them. I mean, this has all come out in the new footage, and it's all getting.
Wait, fake arresting them? How were they fake?
They would grab them and arrest them, and then drag them in, and then high-five them. You know, take the.
They would high-five them. They would high-five them. It wasn't just a fake arrest. They were fucking friends. They were high-fiving these motherfuckers. Holy moly. That's crazy.
Handcuffs off and high-five them. Those videos, what people...
Why would they high-five them? Wouldn't they just... I mean, why did that part of the process? Do they have to high-five them, or...
Take everything I say, they're going to put it on X and show what I said. That's where we dominate.
Yeah.
And so what I'm getting at here, let me tell you this. What I'm getting at here is, they now admit hundreds of federal officers were there. So when Trump started...
Who admits that?
His speech... This whole thing began with Ray Epps saying, go into the Capitol. He told the Jan 6 committee, yeah, it's true, it's in his text messages. He told family, I orchestrated it. So under pressure, they finally indicted him, but only recommended 6 months. So a few hundred people got manipulated into fighting the police. They were led and driven by provocateurs and other groups. They were others, then they opened the doors and the police wave them in hundreds of videos. They walk between the velvet ropes. And
when do they wave them in?
And they indict over 1,000 people that just walked through velvet ropes. And then now we're told in the National Security Directive of President Biden, the #1 threat is the American people. And he had a declaration of war yesterday.
What the fuck is he talking about? A declaration of war saying the American... What is happening?
Against all Trump supporters, and says to protect democracy, we're not going to let you vote for Trump. So as Stalin said, I care not...
Wow, I bet Biden said all those things.
Who casts the votes, I care who counts them. Well, Biden doesn't care who casts the votes. He cares who's allowed on the ballot. So we've already won. No one's buying this. And when this happened 3 years ago, the Wall Street Journal had to print a retraction, but they said I was there as a coward telling people to attack. Well, no, they wouldn't let me put the video on Twitter where I was saying don't go in. But the truth is, it's coming out. And so that's the bottom line here. And this attempt by Biden to cast the American people as the enemy in all these movies about martial law and civil war.
Movies? What?
And race war. That's their only hope because the...
What the fuck is he... What is it with the movie thing? What am I missing?
The corrupt, evil Democratic Party and its evil twin, the Republicans, they've lost power. And
the Republicans are bad too. Yeah, I forgot.
Populism is rising. Quite frankly, this was not an insurrection. It was an insurrection that would have been guns. And it's in the Declaration of Independence that it's our right and duty to get rid of a government that's destructive of what the people want. But I'm not calling for violence. We're winning this politically, but we're being cast as about to be violent in the next 10 months.
I feel like it's probably a good... Because nobody stepped in and been like, Alex, what the fuck are you talking about? I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like it's a good thing to just let this guy talk, you know? Let him talk, let him look... Because this is insane. I think he's gone through 17 different points. This is what I imagine it's like for somebody to describe like a warranty on your washing machine. It's just a lot of just babbling. This is fucking incredible.
Because all these indictments and all these...
This is like the EULA that nobody reads before they fucking play a video game. Like that's what Alex Jones is reading right now. He's just yapping.
Attacks to not let Americans vote for who they want aren't working and are backfiring. And all the big Democrat lawyers now admit it. Axelrod admits it.
Axl Rose.
Carville admits it. They all admit this attempt, like we're in Venezuela or something, to take Trump off the ballot when he's never been convicted of insurrection. This is a military tribunal, U.S.
Listen, I don't know if they should or shouldn't take him on or off the ballot. I don't know about that. I'm not going to pretend that I think that they should or shouldn't. But I guess I'd kind of get it if he really did call for an insurrection. I mean, which he may have, bro. He took the L listen, last time somebody took an L this bad was Wings of Redemption, and we canceled that guy. So what's going on with Trump? Think about it.
Code from the Civil War. If a military tribunal found you were guilty of being involved in insurrection, that meant after the war ended.
Can I ask you a question?
Run for office.
Alex, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, do you think the Confederates
That thing looks a little bit like a dinosaur.
during the Civil War were partaking in insurrection?
I mean, in retrospect, because I wasn't alive then, I think the South got manipulated into that. I thought there was real issues between the North and South. The abolitionists, had a good point, and slavery needed to end.
The abolitionists had a good point, but also...
but it was really about the North.
So just to be clear, the person that's defending the J6 rioters won't say that the Confederate States were engaged in insurrection.
Well, that's not what I see. See, here's what happens.
Yes or no?
Easy question.
No, hold on. That's not true.
That's what it sounded like you said. Well, you can correct the record. So do you think they were engaged in insurrection?
I was trying to talk. And
it sounds like Alex Jones is afraid to say anything too negative towards like a more conservative leaning audience, since that's most of his audience. So
thing I said was, I think the South was wrong. And then you just said that I support what the South did. No.
I didn't say you supported that. I said that you said that they weren't engaged in insurrection. Do you think the Confederate States were engaged in insurrection?
Was that because there were rebellions during Reconstruction at the end of the Civil War, and they were saying if you lead an uprising against
it's interesting because I feel like when I learned about it, nobody ever used the word insurrection when it came to the South. They just said like Civil War. But, it's interesting. It wasn't very civil. A lot of people died. Fun fact. I don't know if you knew that. But it's interesting.
Northern occupation of the South, you're precluded from running from office because they were worried about Southerners getting office again, like Jefferson. No, I do not support the Civil War or slavery, and I'm not a quote Confederate.
Okay, but was it an insurrection?
That's not what I said.
My question is: was it an insurrection? Yes or no?
Yes. If you were, no.
Wait, what?
The law? Yes, I think that it was a civil war, and you could say an insurrection.
Okay, so is it insurrection? Did anybody get charged with insurrection rebellion?
What I'm saying is
with violating statute. Did anybody get charged?
I wonder what the point is that they're trying to make here. Sounds interesting.
No, I'm asking you. Just said it was insurrection. Did anybody get charged with violating the insurrection and rebellion statute?
Yes, people did.
No, because there was no statute there. That's my point.
No, you don't need to.
You don't need to violate that statute in order to be partaking in insurrection, because the Civil War was an insurrection, and nobody got charged with violating that.
Okay, I think I get where he's going from.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That's my point, Alex. You're changing the subject because you know it's correct.
Even the Democratic Party lawyers on CNN say you have to be convicted under the 14th Amendment of this before you can be. You can't just because
you don't get convicted under the 14th Amendment. You get convicted under Section 2383 of Title 18.
Well, let's slow down a little.
A congressional resolution to give awards to Capitol Police is not a conviction of Donald Trump to remove him from the ballot. He's been indicted for saying they stole an election. So now they want to take...
Well, I don't think I don't think he just said anything. I think it was probably a little more than just he said a thing, but okay.
Him off the ballot so you can't vote for him, which is pure stealing of an election.
I think
this is not...
Well, wasn't he indicted for like all the tax fraud bullshit? Wasn't that what the indicting... Isn't that what the inviting was about? That's my... Right? It was over the fact that he was like underreporting his taxes to the state, but overreporting or underreporting his land value to the state, and then like overreporting it to people to get better loans or something like that along those lines.
No, he's the Yankee. He's not somebody in Georgia. He's not Robert E. Lee. This has nothing to do with it.
I know, but
also, as a quick fact check, on the 14th Amendment, it doesn't require a conviction under Section 3. You can literally put it on the text on the screen. There's it does not say needs to be convicted.
I guess we need to define the difference. Alex, one second. We need to define the difference between the casual term insurrection and the legal definition of insurrection.
Yes.
Well, there's another thing we need to talk about. So, yes, there's the casual term. There's the etymology of the term insurrection, which simply suggests a rising up. So by that definition, that could encompass a wide range of
I love come and piss.
Things.
Black Lives Matter.
Wait. So there's a rising up. Then there's the legal definition, but we have politically weaponized court systems, so that's not even, I think, a proper standard. think the proper standard is
Well, we can't trust the court system. How far does that go? Like, isn't that the whole? Okay.
is the sweep of a
I mean, I understand the concept that each side is kind of trying to dig at each other, but I mean, can we really not trust the court system at all at this point?
proper historical perspective. Does the event of January 6th compare to the antecedent that we've been discussing, the Civil War? So
Well, I don't know, not directly. It's not as bad, but I think that.
if the question is Civil War an insurrection? My question is the scope and scale of the event of January 6th comparable to the Civil War? Because Joe Biden has directly made this comparison, which I think is flatly ridiculous.
Does it have to be the exact same? Isn't that the whole point of educating yourself on history so that you don't repeat it? So when you see something that is somewhat comparable, we'll say it's like 5%. We'll say January 6th was 5% of the Civil War, or maybe less. You go, oh, this was the first step. We probably shouldn't do this anymore. We should probably call this what it is and say, like, hey, it's some kind of an insurrection, and we should stop this behavior, and we shouldn't allow somebody who would incite this type of a riot to become president because they're not fit for office. That would be the argument as to, like, removing him from the ballot. No? I mean, it kind of makes sense. I get it. I just think that Trump is a baby. I just think he's a stinky little baby, and he was complaining, and he was crying because he lost, and he couldn't take an L very well. You know what I mean? So I get it. He's a typical New Yorker. He's a pussy. He gets mad when people ask for a scooped bagel, which I understand that as well. Because why the fuck are you going to scoop a bagel? Right?
And that comparison has to be valid in order for these ridiculous Section 3 arguments to have any force or legitimacy. And I think any common sense...
face. It's a lie. I'm going to shut up. It's a lie on its face.
I'm going to shut up. I'm going to keep talking.
They say it's bigger than Pearl Harbor and 9/11. That is bull.
Who said that?
Okay, so here, let me.
Who said it was bigger than Pearl Harbor? What the fuck?
Let me finish what my point.
Yeah, do that, and then I want to go to Glenn for a second.
So my
after you do
point
that.
is that two things: the Civil
You guys remember the Jason Genova meme, frick you, Pearl Harbor bitch? I don't know if you guys know that.
War was an insurrection. I think it's hard to argue that. Nobody got charged with a crime of violating the Insurrection and Rebellion Statute 2383.
Okay.
What about 1992, the LA riots? George Herbert Walker Bush, he invoked the Insurrection Act. 12,000 people were arrested. 63 people were killed. Hundreds were injured. Was that an insurrection? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that. Okay, I was a child then.
No, it's a declaration of federal martial law.
But was it an insurrection? Because nobody there was
when people were
charged with
burning-
violating.
but that's
Nobody there was charged with violating Section 2383, the Insurrection and Rebellion Statute. But we still consider that an insurrection,
I mean, by that yardstick, Kamala Harris bailing out people that firebomb federal buildings.
That is
Glenn,
not true.
Glenn, talk to me.
What the fuck is he talking about? Kamala Harris bailing out people. Bailing out fire bombers. I don't even know what he's talking about. Kamala Harris tweeted support for a bail fund, but the money... Okay, so apparently she tweeted support for some kind of a bail fund, maybe for Black Lives Matter or something. Okay, whatever. I don't care.
You have something to say.
Yeah, I actually think what Destiny and what Ed are saying are very important. First of all, I was going to say that I think one of the problems with how these things are debated is that a lot of people these days have very binary prisms for understanding things. A lot of that comes from YouTube debate where you have to declare yourself on one side or the other.
True, kind of base.
Others, so Destiny said, oh, everybody either hates this insurrection, thinks it's an insurrection, or they deny it happens, or they think it's good. And there's so much middle ground. Namely that for me, this was a political protest that spilled over into a riot where a
Well, it's embarrassing, for our country.
small minority of the people engaged in violence. I don't think we want to urge that to happen. We don't want to defend that. I consider that lamentable. But the fact that it's laughable to call this an insurrection is actually demonstrated by the examples that they're using. This was a 3-hour riot that was extremely easily subdued. It doesn't remotely compare to any prior insurrections, let alone to the Civil War. The only people who were killed on January 6th were 4 people, all 4 of whom were Trump supporters, 2 of whom dropped dead of a heart attack and 1 from a speed overdose, because these were not exactly a well-trained militia. And
which is a bunch of people with fucking bad hearts going in there. What the fuck?
when Jack Smith went to charge Donald Trump with multiple crimes, he had a lot of options to charge him with, and he charged him with a lot of crimes, including very dubious ones. He did not charge him with inciting an insurrection for reasons that I
dubious. Come on, bro.
think we ought to ask ourselves why. But the fact that this is such a minor event in history is demonstrated by the fact that the media, who needed this to be a major event, immediately started lying about what happened, saying that Brian Sicknick was murdered when he had his head bashed in through a fire with a fire extinguisher, only to learn that actually he called his mother that night. He was fine. He died the next day of what the coroner said were natural causes, because the media knew that.
What the fuck are we talking? I mean, I guess I maybe I don't listen to the media enough, but I didn't hear about any of this.
If you can't say that even one person supposedly perpetrating the insurrection killed anybody, pulled out a gun, let alone discharge the weapon, all of which is true, it's a joke to call this an insurrection at best.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Who cares? They stormed the Capitol building. I don't know. Like, it doesn't have to be a super deadly one for it to be a bad one. Everybody who went inside there when they weren't allowed to go in there is a piece of shit. Like, I don't know what to tell you. They're basically terrorists. Let's be fucking real, okay? So don't do that. Don't be doing that, brother. There you go.
That's a riot, and that's the reason why Trump hasn't been charged with an insurrection. The only time he ever commented on January 6th about whether he thought there should be violence or not was when he said the following. He said, I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol.
Well, he said something along the lines of like, this is the time to fight. He was very indirect about it, but it did seem like he was kind of, he was kind of rallying people. He was dog whistling, they call it. That's what the peoples call it.
Building to
dog whistling. Oh, it was all feds. That's right. It was all feds. No, there was no actual people there. Incredible stuff.
Peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. He urged them to be peaceful in how they went there. To the extent there was violence, I think you can make the argument that the FBI informants that even the New York Times admits were there were the ones that urged it. But even if the people who were there were the ones responsible, at best this is a riot. You could so easily make the case that the 2020 riots was a far greater insurrectionary threat than anything that happened on January 6th.
Well, were they trying to overthrow? Well, they weren't explicitly there to. I mean, are they? Would you consider BLM riots on the same page? They were there to protest police brutality. They weren't protesting the vote. I don't think that it's the same thing. I mean, a lot of the riots were bad. Listen, there were some good reasons to protest, but some people took that as like an excuse to create violence. But okay,
that's perfectly said. I would ask I would ask the left over here. I know Ian's asked the questions. I mean, I don't know. Did you guys see Biden's speech? I mean, it was an hour long that no one there was good. They were all there, over a million people. I was there. And then we marched down there to have another rally, and then I see this terrible thing happening. It was medieval, and then Biden saying they're all bad, and we can't let you vote for Trump. I mean, it's.
Did he actually say this?
I mean, come on.
I didn't watch the debate, or excuse me, I didn't watch the conversation or the speech. Excuse me. I'll see what pushback there is given.
Man. We have a clip from Biden's speech I want to play.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Let's get back to you, Destiny. You had something to say. But if you guys have this it's clip number 4, Biden's speech.
Okay.
This is from yesterday's. It's only 50 seconds, but let's load this up.
See it. Yeah, baby, let's see it.
Not sure what
Trump's mob wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a violent assault.
Okay.
They were insurrectionists, not patriots.
Okay.
They weren't there to uphold the Constitution. They were there to destroy the Constitution.
Okay.
Trump won't do what an American president must do. He refuses to denounce
Damn, this is rough, man. This is rough.
Political violence.
Okay.
So hear me clearly. I'll say what Donald Trump won't. Political violence is never, ever acceptable in the United States political system. Never, never.
I mean, the speech really isn't that bad. He's just saying that the people there were there to overthrow the government. And then he stumbled through a few words, and yeah, okay.
Never, never.
Unless you're the Democrats.
It has no place in a democracy.
Oh, base.
You can't be pro-insurrectionist and pro-American.
Wow.
You know, Trump and his MAGA supporters not only embrace political violence, but they laugh about it.
The insurrection is the open border.
So the insurrection was not just the 3-hour riot that happened at the White House afterwards. I think that's the least charitable reading of everything that happened. And that's not, if you read any of the charges that either Jack Smith or the Georgia RICO case has alleged against Trump, are saying that, in fact, not much of the focus is on the 3-hour riot at all.
Oh my God, I want to hear what he has to say. Just fucking Alex Jones just rambled for like 25 minutes.
Not much of that.
Hold on, Alex. Let Stephen finish his thought first.
So not much of those indictments are actually focusing on the 3-hour riot itself. The unprecedented act that there is no answer for, that Kamala Harris or Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton have not engaged in, is using knowingly false election claims for months to try to pressure state electors to change their vote. And then when they wouldn't do that, beg them to elect different electors. And then when they wouldn't do that, create a plot to create fake electors. And then when Pence wouldn't accept that, try to capitalize on that final 3-hour riot at the Capitol building to also make phone calls and tell people to decertify their vote or to switch their electors.
JFK and Obama.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. I've never really heard that before. So I wonder if Alex Jones will intelligently engage with that point.
Had alternate electors.
Like, I've seen Trump like complaining about ballots and stuff, but I didn't know that I didn't realize, or I didn't necessarily I haven't necessarily heard or engaged with the claim that it was all very intentional. I thought he was just like kind of a crybaby looking to win, you know?
JFK.
No, they didn't.
But conspiracy brain.
No, they didn't.
Because I can kind of get why Trump would have conspiracy brain. I mean, before he was president, the tabloids loved this guy. You know, that was the media he was engaging with. They thought he was great. They're like, oh my God, Donald Trump. He was in movies and TV and this and that. And then all of a sudden he went to run and everybody's like dumpstering him, saying he's like a bad guy, blah, 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 blah. You know, obviously probably not fit to be president, but my point is then he gets like this massive media shift where the media all of a sudden hates him. So I would get why he was a little frustrated, you know? I would get it.
No, they didn't.
I can explain that if you want.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, so in 1960. So in 1960, JFK and Nixon, there was a dispute because there was a recount. I think JFK ended up winning by like 150 votes. At the time, each state decided to certify two sets of electors, or decided to choose two different slates of electors,
depending on how it went.
But they were certified by the states.
They were in the middle of a recount. They were in the middle of a recount.
Well, Trump tried to get it certified.
None was certified yet. Neither state was.
What happened with Trump was that Trump tried to get the states to certify a second slate of electors based off of conspiracy theory crap that
none of the
election was stolen. Hold on.
They did.
He took it to court.
No,
62 cases.
That's not
30
true.
cases were looked at on merit.
So are they
They were
taking
all
him
shut
off the
down.
ballot now?
That's a separate.
That's a separate.
Take him off the ballot is a separate thing.
Is the not purest form of election theft is taking someone off the ballot?
Alex,
Let's get back to the 1960 thing really fast. So what happened was that they did a recount, and Kennedy ended up winning by, I think, 150 votes, and they chose the Kennedy election.
It's so interesting because the Trump's false claim that the election was stolen from him kind of led to this whole thing, and now we're having a debate of whether it's an insurrection or not, and whether to take Trump off the ballot. And it seems like there are states that are doing that. What I find interesting, though, is now Alex Jones is saying, "See, look, they're taking him off the ballot now." So that retroactively means that they've always been trying to steal the election. So it's interesting where you can go when you're so fucking conspiracy brained, man. And especially if you generate an audience that doesn't really care about any facts, this is probably working for his base. It's probably kind of effective. It's getting into people's brains.
Electors, they certified the Kennedy electors, and Kennedy ended up winning that state.
And that's what Trump said.
What Trump did was Trump tried to get the states to certify an alternate slate of electors. They refused because the court said there's no there there. And then when that didn't go through, Trump decided to get his own slate of electors above the states that were not certified and tried to use that to force Mike Pence to say that Joe Biden didn't win these electoral votes.
I just need to interject really quickly. So if we want to be precise in terms of the scope of the debate, I think it's about January 6th. And so the lead up to it might be relevant to some of the criminal indictments, but it's technically speaking outside the scope of the January 6th discussion.
That's ridiculous. They're trying to just not have a conversation about about what led up to January 6th. To me, that if you're so desperate to not talk about the aspects of what led up to it, which I think are very important, I mean, you're kind of admitting defeat, no? Like, yeah, I know all the buildup is necessary, but like, it's not really relevant, right? That's the same as some dude where like a girl's like, hey, let's do some foreplay. And he's like, well, I know foreplay can have an impact on our sex, but this is about the sex. So can we just fuck already, bitch? You know, that's what it reminds me of.
If we're gonna bring it into the discussion, I think there's an operative word there, knowingly. And that's operative within the context of the charging documents. But the idea that Trump thought that he lost the election and he was knowingly lying and knowingly engaging. No, he.
See, I'm on the fence on that too. Like, is he knowingly lying, or is that just the assertion? I mean, maybe he is. I don't really know.
Believes, I guarantee it, whether you believe it or not, Trump believes that the election was stolen, and he was using the legal recourses available to him at the advice of his legal advisors.
That is not true. Most of his legal advisors said that this idea was crazy.
Well, no, but he had legal advisors.
Thank God I get to hear exactly what Destiny has to say here. It's really helpful. Thank God nobody's interrupting him.
If you search hard enough, you can find anybody to validate an opinion. But what you've just done is what I opened with, which is saying he thought the election was stolen, therefore he was justified to engage in insurrection.
But is it right to take him off the ballot? Since you don't want to debate January 6th,
we're not. That's for the Supreme Court to decide. That's for the Supreme Court to decide.
I'm asking a question.
I'm telling you, that's for the Supreme Court to decide. According to Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, it's.
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't have like a super, I don't have a super strong opinion on whether he should or shouldn't be on the ballot. Like I said, if whatever the Supreme Court decided, it is what it is. Like, I'm not sitting here, you know what I mean? Like, I know what he did was bad. Let the legal system deal with it. I'm not a judge. I don't know. Okay.
Why does the United States?
But if Trump won again, it would be great for me. I did really well when Trump was in office, so it would be probably fucking awesome. It'd be crazy. It would be lots of content. So he probably should not win. It's probably not good for the country.
Sanctioned countries that take people off the ballot.
What? That's not even remotely relevant here.
Oh, okay, all right. So
you know what the United States usually.
Wait, here we have
independence. If we do want an insurrection, you know it.
It would probably be for things like circumventing the vote, like asking the vice president, for instance, to unilaterally win the election.
So
that would be something that we might sanction another country for.
You can't vote for somebody because they make up a bunch of stuff and he's not found guilty anywhere, but you guys just parrot it over again like two men.
If you don't like the Constitution, that's your fault, Alex. If you don't like the Constitution, that's on you. Really? Then why are you saying that Section 3 of Amendment 14 requires a conviction? Alex, why did you say that Section 3 of Amendment 14 requires a conviction? Can we put the text on stream?
I would love to do that, actually.
Put the text up.
And Glenn,
because you keep saying.
All right, guys.
Military tribunals.
I don't care what it's based on.
They would have to find you guilty.
Let's.
That's why no one was. Because it was bullshit then.
Let's hear from Glenn.
Bro, I didn't think this was going to go out of control at like the 26-minute mark. This is fucking crazy.
We'll slow down. This is a great conversation. Glenn's about to drop some knowledge.
I'm dominating.
Yeah.
I'm dominating. He hasn't stopped talking. What is he talking about?
You're talking a lot.
I'm dominating.
Glenn's in remote from Brazil. So Glenn, anytime you have something to say, it's helpful for me if I see a visual cue. Maybe your hand goes up. I can tell you have something you're going to say now. But let us know.
Let me just say, what happens is when you gather together to debate a particular question, you're supposed to debate that particular question. The particular question.
Damn, he's struggling. He's having a Biden moment right now.
That we were presented with is we're going to debate January 6th and whether it was an insurrection. Now, I don't blame Destiny and Ed for not wanting to debate that, for wanting to debate a whole set of other issues.
What? They just want to talk about what led up to it because it's all relevant. What?
About whether Trump acted improperly, whether he was naughty and the things he did after the.
This is an interesting angle that they're going with, where it's just like, no. They're just trying to debate whether he was a naughty, dirty boy or not. This is fucking crazy. What the fuck?
Election, because there is no argument to make that what happened on January 6th rises to the level of insurrection. And that's why an extremely aggressive prosecutor named Jack Smith decided not to charge Donald Trump with that crime because he knew there was no way that he could possibly bring a conviction against anybody, let alone Donald Trump, who told everybody to be peaceful when going to the Capitol, about whether or not that was actually an insurrection, whether that rose to that level. And even in a colloquial sense, what we've called an insurrection in the past is in a completely different universe. But on the issue of whether there was a real belief on the part of Donald Trump that elections were stolen, I don't understand how anybody could doubt that, aside from the fact that you have to get into Trump's head. In the last 3 elections that Democrats lost, in 2000, 2004, and 2016, a very large number of Democrats believed and asserted that the election was stolen, and was the byproduct of fraud, and the president was, as a result, illegitimate. When I started,
and they did an investigation. They didn't say he can't become president. They did an investigation, and then they actually found, I think there was like 14 people attached to Trump were indicted in some capacity. So it netted in a little bit more than nothing, just to be honest there. But okay.
Writing about politics 2005.
But they didn't try to stop him necessarily. They just did an investigation, like the Mueller. That's what we're referring to, right? 2016.
The idea that George Bush was the real loser of the election, Al Gore won, was the view of every single liberal and Democrat that I knew.
Yeah, and guess what? Bush was still put into office, even though there was this issue. I think it was like in Florida. There was an issue with the way that there was voting happened. He didn't try to fucking, stage in a coup.
In 2004, there were objections claiming that Karl Rove had interfered in the Ohio vote with the Diebold machines and cheated to make John Kerry lose and George Bush win. And then in 2016, Hillary Clinton and the Democrats said that Donald Trump was the illegitimate winner, that Russia had helped him, and they tried to convince the Electoral College.
Well, it's already proven that Russia did try to help him. Like, it's not proven that he worked with Russia to try to get them to help him. But we already know for a fact that there were like massive disinformation campaigns being used there.
To abandon the certified results of the state. Obviously, you go back to 1960, and there's a lot of historians believe that election was stolen. So it's not like Donald Trump was the first person to ever wonder or believe that an election was stolen from him. It's a very significant tradition in American political history, if you know anything about politics before 2016. And if Trump believed that the election was stolen, and while it's true, a lot of people in the Justice Department and a lot of people in the White House told them they didn't think it was, he did have advisors and lawyers telling him that they think there was evidence of it. Then the question is over, even on these other issues about whether or not Trump engaged in some conspiracy against the United States. But the issue is January 6th an insurrection?
Well, that's right. But I mean, Glenn, since they've...
let's respond to Glenn.
And these guys haven't talked to neither is Professor Beatty. Hillary was in videos 2 days ago saying Trump's going to steal this election. So why are they allowed to say it? It's free speech. You don't get indicted for it.
Trump didn't get indicted for that.
Oh my God. They indicted him and they put it in the charging thing in Georgia saying he has the election. You're hoping people don't read the documents.
You can go read it. It's a RICO case. There's a bunch of behavior that is within a RICO case.
Oh
it's
my God.
It's self illegal. That's the point of a RICO case.
Yeah, right.
Can I talk about the differences? So Bush versus Gore, what happened? The Supreme Court ruled and Gore conceded. He stopped saying this election was stolen. He stopped saying I won.
That was Supreme Court.
Yes.
Did Gore refuse to certify the vote? I don't remember. Did he do that?
The vote was certified.
He didn't have an alternate slate of electors?
Exactly.
Okay.
So
Yeah, that's how it makes it not comparable. What is a RICO charges? What are RICO charges? Let's see. Racketeer, Influence, and Corrupt Organization Act. Okay, and to take down organized crime. Okay, interesting.
Trump wanted a Supreme Court hearing. Trump wanted the same thing.
62 cases were brought before judges. And you said earlier, none of them were based on evidence. 6 of them were based on standing. 6 out of the 62.
They wouldn't even hear it. I saw.
Do you know how many of them were Trump-appointed judges that made those rulings? 17.
So six of them. Let me finish here. 6 of them were based on standing. 4 of those that were based on standing, the judge also analyzed the merits and said there was no evidence or insufficient evidence. So only 2 of them, and that was Texas versus Pennsylvania and Gomert versus Pence. Do you know what those 2 cases were?
No,
Texas.
I know what the cases are.
Texas tried suing.
No, I agree with you. Biden says inflation's fine right now. I agree with him.
Let me finish. Texas tried suing Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, several other states, saying that the election was stolen. And the judge said, no, Texas can't sue these other states. Somebody in that state who was affected had to sue them. Now, the other case was Gomert versus Pence. He challenged the Electoral Counts Act of 1807, saying that Pence could overturn the election. He said that
I think that's wrong. I agree with you. I think that was a wrong legal theory.
Those are the only 2 that were based on
I agree with you on that. So, but what I'm saying is, then if Biden's going to win so big, why can't Trump be on the ballot?
That's not...
Okay, I don't think that's a conversation. I don't think it's about whether somebody can or can't win. I think it's more about like whether he should or shouldn't be on the ballot, regardless of who wins, right?
Up for Biden to decide. That's up for the Supreme Court.
Biden said he wants him off the ballot.
It doesn't matter what
he says. He might say he wants him off the ballot. It doesn't mean that it matters. That's why the Supreme Court is supposed to be a separate arm of the political system.
Biden says.
Oh,
Biden's not the one that decides that.
Trump lost. That's why he can't have his race car on the track. Yeah.
What the fuck is he talking about?
This horse is going to lose, so it can't be in the race. Bull crap.
Who do you think has the authority then to determine the interpretation of Amendment 14?
Man, I know the State Department.
Why can't you answer a single question? Why not just answer one question? I'm just asking a simple question. Who has the authority ultimately to decide it?
The president has not.
The president has the authority to decide
on CNN,
matters of constitution.
You don't let me talk.
Because you want to answer the question.
Yeah, let Alex
talk. He hasn't been talking at all. This guy's only been talking for the 32 minutes out of the 32 minutes and 23 seconds of this conversation.
He's going to ramble. He's not going to
Even on CNN, the legal analysts say that you have to be convicted. So, Destiny, you can sit there and have blue hair and be trending.
You get to sit there and have blue hair and be trending. That's awesome. I guess that means Alex Jones is seeing his trending blue hair.
And make all these, like, the moon is made of cheese. I'm Destiny.
Does the word convicted?
Every American knows you don't lose your rights when you're not convicted. He's not been convicted. And here's the good news. It's backfiring. We have the Declaration of Independence, and we can vote for who we want to.
No, you can't. Well, you can't vote for under 35.
You can't vote for
non-citizens.
But
can you?
Nobody stole an election.
Yeah, so I think Destiny's trying to make the point that there are still restrictions to voting, and this would be considered a restriction if Trump wasn't allowed to vote. That's what it sounds like the point he's trying to make is.
Can you vote for who you want? Nobody stole an election, but you can't vote for who you want.
I think
Nobody stole an election, but you can't vote for who you want.
We just beat this into the ground. Alex, I need you. We just crushed this one into the ground, but I want to ask the question in a slightly different way.
We just crushed this one into the ground, Alex. We fucking owned it. But let me ask you the question.
Was this an attempted coup? Do you guys think this was an attempted coup?
Of course it was. Obviously it was.
The Hunter Biden laptop.
Oh my God.
They love Hunter Biden's cock. Listen, Hunter Biden, he has a laptop. And he did some drugs, and his cock was out, and that's it, man. And like, that's a vibe. I don't know what to tell you.
Emails,
censorship.
Russia.
There's no Russian connection. That's all.
mRNA vaccines.
Take your extra. I want you to take all the shots. How many shots you had?
He's just gonna. This is fucking amazing.
None yet. You want to take some?
No, I hope you take them all.
I want you to answer one question about any of this.
I want to see you take them all.
I didn't even talk about the Democrats.
Why?
Maybe on your deathbed.
On the January 6th debate. Isn't that wild? Wait. Isn't that crazy?
They now admit that the shot erases your immune system and doesn't protect you. So
none of that's true. It does protect you. What is he talking about?
Do that little one-liner there.
Trying to take away my Democrats.
Yeah. Let's stay back. All right, guys. Back to topic.
All right, guys. Back to topic. It's fucking Alex Jones is going crazy. He's bringing up every other thing in the world.
Yeah, Brian has an answer.
So is it a coup? That's the question.
Yeah, that's
rest in peace to the voice actor of a coup, by the way.
I think it can be debated
or an
that
attempted coup. An attempted coup.
Definitely, I would say it's an attempted coup. And
let's see what that word.
The coup is flooding the border with
Alex,
District Judge, U.S. District Judge David Carter actually evaluated the Trump Eastman scheme. And he said,
all right, we got some big news. I'm not interrupting you.
No. Not that yet. But we had Glenn. Glenn's going to speak after you were.
How do you spell a coup?
I'm sorry, I'll shut up now.
So the federal judge, U.S. District Judge David Carter, evaluated the Trump Eastman scheme.
Another lawyer.
We can get.
Oh, yeah, a lawyer.
Go and do later.
Well, because he really got him on that one. Another lawyer.
But basically, he said that it was quote a coup in search of a legal theory. This is a federal judge. So a judge.
We have a CIA coup over America. Hey, the CIA killed Kennedy.
Judges aren't part of the CIA.
Oh my God!
I don't think so.
Is that something? Is that a new theory of yours?
No, it's not a new theory of mine. No, the whole thing is a big rotten. So they can find partisan. They found the Secretary of State of Maine took Trump off the ballot because she had one hearing in a YouTube video. Are we ruled by this lady?
What? One hearing in a YouTube video? Was the hearing just publicized and now he's calling it a YouTube video? I'm so confused.
Can we not vote for who we want?
So one of the,
I voted for Harambe last year.
I guess defenses against it being a coup.
But there was no election last year, so he lost.
Oh wait, here we got Glenn. Glenn speaking. Go for it, man.
I actually want to ask a question that I would love to hear everybody's answer to. But before I do that, just want to say about federal judges. This year, in the last 6 months, 4 different federal judges, a district court judge and an appellate court unanimously found that the Biden administration gravely violated the First Amendment. In fact, the greatest assault on free speech the court said in decades, maybe the history of the judiciary, by systemically pressuring big tech to censor the internet and purge it of all dissent by threatening big tech companies using the CIA, the FBI, and the CDC with punishment.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, that might be true. I don't know if they actually got punished or said that they violated free speech, but there was a huge issue with Russia invading like Facebook and Instagram and other media outlets to try and help political opponents or political people, like or Trump, for instance. Again, not saying Trump worked with them, but that's a fact. Like they found that there were massive networks of different bots and disinformation campaigns being run. So if that's what he's referring to, I don't know if they found it to be a huge violation of the First Amendment rights, but you have to obviously counter propaganda. So, okay.
That they didn't censor the internet. Now, you may not agree, but according to your standard, 4 different federal judges concluded that, which is infinitely worse in terms of an abridgment of freedom or an attack on the Constitution than anything that Trump is accused of doing.
That's not true.
That's a digital insurrection by the deep state.
I want to hear them. respond.
Digital insurrection.
Can I put a pin on one thing real quick? I just want it to be noted.
Hold up, everybody, hold up. Glenn, please finish your point, and then we're going to move on to the response.
The question I want to ask is, the question that you asked, Ian, is this a coup?
It's like an interesting thing where he brings up a separate point, and then he'll go on to a new point. So now it makes the conversation so disorganized. Let's just go point by point.
If you look at how other coups are perpetrated, and I think a lot of this is that if you're an American and you have this very soft history, you don't know what a coup is, you think that like what CNN tells you a coup is a coup. Usually the way coups work is the leader of the country or whoever is in charge of the military orders the military to seize control of the levers of power. Trump was the commander-in-chief on January 6th. The military was duty-bound to obey his orders. They had a right to disobey if they were illegal, but if this were a coup, why didn't Trump order the military to seize control of the power and turn over the election process to him? Why didn't he order the armed factions that formed the
Well, just because something typically happens that way doesn't mean that that's how it would always happen.
Law enforcement part of the military and the executive branch that serve under his command to do that as well. That's what happens in a coup.
It's not what he's referring to. The Fifth Circuit free speech decision has nothing to do with Russia. Oh, okay, let me look that up then. The Fifth Circuit free speech. Okay, let's look that up. Fifth Circuit rules against Biden administration for contact with social media companies. Okay. The views of the circuit restricting how the government can communicate with social media companies, which the Biden administration warns will stymie efforts to counter false and misleading claims about elections, public health, and other important information. The panel of judges, all GOP nominees, say that the administration's efforts to flag what is considered to be false and harmful content about COVID, the 2020 election, and other topics that violated the social media companies' policies likely amount to a violation of the First Amendment. The panel of judges say that the administration's efforts to flag what is considered to be false and harmful content about COVID, the 2020 election, and other topics that violate social media companies' policies likely amount to a violation of the First Amendment. The court found that Biden administration officials coerce and threaten social media companies to take down content. The officials have engaged in a broad pressure campaign designed to coerce social media companies into suppressing speakers of viewpoints and content disfavored by the government. A 3-judge panel wrote, the harms that radiate from such conduct, such far beyond just plaintiffs and impacts. Okay. Okay, so this seems to be that the government pressured social media to censor COVID and other election misinformation and disinformation, and that is a violation of freedom of speech. Okay, that's fair. Okay, fair enough. That's fair. I'm going to take a quick pee, okay?
Coup. That didn't happen here because Trump wasn't trying to perpetrate a coup.
He wanted the Department of Defense to seize voting machines, and the DOJ turned him down and told him.
The worst thing he did was try to take Biden off the ballot. Remember when Trump...
Wait, I want to hear this. He was trying to pressure the... Wait, hold on. I want to hear that again. We just moved right past that.
Machines.
Trump wasn't trying to perpetrate a coup.
He wanted the Department of Defense
$2 share. First time watching the stream.
Thank you so much.
To seize voting machines, and the DOJ.
Wait, so
a coup.
He wanted the Department of Defense to seize voting machines.
Isn't the Department? What is the Department of Defense? Okay, so he was trying to seize voting machines. Okay, so America's largest government agency with a military tracking. Is this the military, the Department of Defense? I'm just like a little ignorant to the infrastructure.
And the DOJ turned him down and told him.
The worst thing he did was try to take Biden off the ballot.
Oh, he's so good at deflecting. Oh yeah, Trump tried to have the Department of Defense take take away voting machines. Oh well, the Biden and then. He's really good. He's actually really impressive. It's funny to watch, but it's impressive how good he is at derailing and redirecting the conversation. It seems intentional.
Remember when Trump said Biden cannot run and have the Justice Department take Biden off the ballot? Oh God, that was Biden. Sorry, I'm sorry.
To reiterate, also, Biden doesn't have the authority to do that. He still doesn't have the authority to do that. The Supreme Court that Trump has his picks on, that's currently 6-3 conservative, they're the ones who are going to make the final decision on that.
That's true. It is a very Trump-stacked Supreme Court.
I wanted to be known that every single time you try to talk about any of the stuff related to Trump, it's so many Democrat names that comes out of people's mouths. I don't know why people can't just engage on the facts of what happened on and in the events leading up to January 6th insurrection without having to invoke every other.
They called him a ding-dong.
Your Democratic leader's name.
No name calling.
Ding-dong.
No, his name's Ding-dong. Ding-dong, whatever it is.
This is so stupid.
Point is, I was there. There was over a million people, and they said police are attacking. We got there like
there's a million people?
Shooting tear gas, and then a bunch of feds helped break through with some idiots that got mad, had a brawl, and then the cops go, "Come on in, everybody, come on in."
So Alex,
so there's everybody sees those videos now.
Okay, so
call this the new Pearl Harbor, worse than 9/11. 3,000 people. Do you disagree? Let me ask you this: do you disagree with them claiming this was worse than Pearl Harbor or 9/11?
I think
no, it's not worse than either of those, but it doesn't mean that it's not bad.
Depends how you ask that question. I would say no, it's not worse than Pearl Harbor or 9/11.
What are you basing on it? Are you basing?
Because only people who deserve to die died in January 6th. So that's why it wasn't as bad.
Oh, no, I get it. Trying to take people's votes away is sacrosanct, but you're trying to take people's votes away.
There's an unprecedented that a president of the United States would do everything within his power to prevent the peaceful transfer of power to the next president.
He said, I want you to peacefully march down to the Capitol.
That is a uniquely horrible event. The march to the Capitol, what was bad was him watching the riot happen for 3 hours and doing nothing.
No, it took him, it was the riot was happening. He spoke for an hour and a half. It started then. Then he got back to the White House, watched it like 30, 40 minutes, and then shot a video.
No, you're lying. He got back to the White House. He got Mark Meadows delivered a note on his desk that Ashley Babbitt had been shot, and he sat there sipping Diet Coke for an hour and a half. The guy that you called your leader.
The way they wrote these headlines,
I was there. How many pardons did Trump do for the patriots that got unfairly charged with crimes?
Listen,
in the Capitol?
I was there.
Why didn't Donald Trump pardon any of those people? Why didn't Donald Trump pardon any of those people? There's not going to be an answer to this. Because there's not. You're scared to answer any questions.
They claimed other timelines.
Every single
patriot for almost an hour and a half.
Just keep it one at a time. It's easier.
When he first started speaking. So you had an hour and a half on, didn't exist. I was there.
So you were there, Alex. So tell me, were there weapons there?
No, nobody used weapons.
So are you telling me?
Yes, there were weapons. You're right. You got me.
He's going to say the cops.
Yeah, they shot Ashley Babbitt, and they threw people off the.
Well, I mean, if she got shot, it's probably because she shouldn't have been doing what she was doing. So sorry, cucks.
Off the balcony, and they beat a woman's brains out.
Oh, there was a Capitol police officer who died? Oh, that's terrible. That person didn't deserve to die. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Sorry, police officer.
You're right.
There were 75.
Oh, no, nobody shot a woman? Nobody beat a woman to death?
Nobody beat a woman on the ground. That's a fake video that got put out. That was not real.
Ashley Babbitt's fake, folks.
She was
wow.
shot.
Well, apparently she was shot, but I don't think that she was beaten down.
You would think that years after the event, we're now getting unreleased footage like 1,000 people sitting right around it. There's video of that event from 5 different angles without her getting beat by a baton. How would that take years to report?
Oh, my God. Everybody on X. Get him saying they didn't beat a woman to death.
Everybody watching, go to
Yeah, let's.
You just screwed yourself.
All right.
I asked you about.
Got your ass. Woo!
Well, I think honestly, my professional opinion is Alex Jones is fucking rocking Destiny right now.
Yeah, got his ass now.
Once you're done celebrating,
Ashley Babbitt, nobody died.
Oh my God.
Old woman didn't get drugged in by the cops and beat by batons.
This is an Eagles-Cowboys game. What is that?
No, he wants to do little one-ups and just.
So what Trump fans are.
Hope the audience only goes off how much emotion there is.
Damn, true though.
I can top you. I can top you.
Buddy, calm down. Calm down.
I'm surprised Alex hasn't died of a fucking heart attack yet. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so you said the weapons were the Fed shooting Ashley Babbitt. What about, how about the 3 men on the corner of 14th and Independence who had AR-15s? How about...
Oh yeah, didn't the Proud Boys have like a bunch of weapons there? I'm pretty sure there were a bunch of Proud Boys there with guns. I watched that Andrew Callahan thing.
They use those?
They didn't use them, but
what about the pipe bomb?
I asked you a question.
Who's that?
Alex, I asked you a question if people had weapons.
Oh, is that like the AOC thing where she was talking about a pipe bomb? I have no idea about it.
Weapons. How about how many weapons were seized? Like,
hey, I got
75 of the people arrested.
I'm raping people.
75 of the people arrested within the Capitol building had weapons.
Let's. We have a couple of clips.
Knives and stuff. The knaves have weapons and disarm them immediately.
How about Guy Ref?
I think that the point that's trying to be made here is asking if there was any weapons that any of the protesters had, because that would be a justifier for the police to arrest them because they're there holding weapons, which could be considered a threat. I think that's why the downplay is so significant here.
What is he, 3%er or 3%?
Does he have nuclear weapons like Biden?
He had a handgun on the stairs of the Capitol.
He had a handgun.
As he was encouraging people to.
That's worse than Pearl Harbor.
As he was saying, telling people to go into the Capitol. As he was saying, he wants to drag Nancy Pelosi out of the Capitol and hopes her head hits every stair on the way
Did
out.
he say go into the Capitol like
Let me
ramps?
just finish my point before you cut me off. He wanted to drag Nancy Pelosi out and let her head hit every stair on the way out. He said,
and a guy pooped on Pelosi.
Finish, Alex.
So
Alex,
we don't blame him.
Yeah, let Ed finish this point because we're going to go to Darren really quick.
He said on his way to the Capitol building that they're going to take the Capitol and insert their own government.
Yeah, so
and he had a
out of a
handgun
million
on the
people, a
steps of
few
the Capitol
lunatics were
building.
there, and you call it like Martians invading and blowing the earth up. Like Lynn Ringwald said.
His intention wasn't an insurrection.
Yeah,
Are you saying his intention wasn't an insurrection? He's saying he's going to drag Nancy Pelosi out. He's saying,
And he wasn't under Trump's command.
All right.
Trump didn't tell him. Trump said go.
Well, it doesn't matter whose command he's under. Like, if you wanted to debate that, yeah, there was an insurrection, but it wasn't Trump's fault, that's fine. But if somebody's going in there saying they want to drag somebody out by their fucking whatever and have their head hit every step on the way down and overthrow the government, that sounds like an insurrection to me. Who is it that he was talking about said that?
Go peacefully.
Alex, can I
Trump
just
said
finish
go
and you can
peacefully.
respond?
Yes, you can finish your point, and then we're going to go to Darren.
Can we use a mute button or something on Alex?
No, I'm not going to be run over.
So he was on his way to the Capitol building saying, we're going to take the Capitol and install our own government. He had a handgun. In his
so Trump, and I'm guilty? I'm guilty?
No, Alex, let him finish.
on the stairs of the Capitol, saying he's going to drag Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell out. But you don't have a problem
Oh my God.
with that. That's
He
not.
didn't use
That's
the gun.
What do you think, Darren?
because he didn't use the gun because he didn't have the opportunity to shoot Nancy Pelosi or Mike Pence.
Did he
That's
vote?
okay. He didn't have access
I
to
didn't
them.
say it was okay.
Thankfully, the Capitol Police. Thankfully, the Capitol
What about the Q shaman? What about the Q shaman they let in?
The Capitol Police.
All right, okay.
Oh my God, a guy had a gun. Read martial law. All the Americans are guilty. You can't vote for Trump now. A guy had a gun.
I've been asked by Zero Hedge to moderate this debate, so that's what I'm going to do. Everyone, quiet down. We're going to Darren Beatty. Darren.
Okay. This is a fun debate so far. I'll get my ass fucked, though, in this game.
What's happening?
What's the question here?
No, you've been hearing all
Is
this.
this a freaking coup? What do you think about what they've been saying
No,
as well?
I don't think it's a coup. I think question of an insurrection, you can go to the etymology of rising up. That could be anything. If we keep the proper perspective in mind, it doesn't elevate to anything resembling the Civil War, 9/11, or any of the crazy
What, one
comparisons.
guy with a gun isn't as big as the Civil War?
No.
They didn't use the gun?
Continue, Darren, keep going.
So there's that. The scope, I think, matters,
Oh my
and that's
God.
what we're really getting at when we talk about insurrection. The courts are politically weaponized, so I wouldn't even rest, the legitimacy on the question on the determinations of the courts, which we can see are run.
I mean, like, I don't know. It just kind of seems it's an interesting time where we're at. I understand that people can weaponize court, and I mean, Trump adding like 3 new Supreme Court justices is actually insane. He shouldn't, every president should be able to like put 1 new person in and have like the oldest person get out. Frankly, that's what I think every term, but whatever. Either way, fuck, I lost my entire point here. Oh yeah, but at what point do we just like stop trusting the government or the government institutions and be like, oh nope, it's all conspiracy, fuck it? Seems like kind of a slippery slope at that point.
Running away with pretty wild and ridiculous theories.
Weaponized
Court system. So there's that. And then, these, sure, there are random nut jobs who are around DC on that day and any other day. And so I don't think that's relevant to the ultimate question of whether it was a coup, whether it was an insurrection. And as I said before, the stuff about Trump and the legal theory behind his, multiple part plan, that could be an interesting discussion. It's technically outside the scope of the debate. But again, I would reiterate, anyone who knows Trump, anyone who knows people
Yeah, I know him personally from Home Alone.
who knows Trump, 100% certainty, Trump genuinely believes that the election was stolen. He had multiple legal advisors. Many of his advisors were trying to sabotage him from day one. Just because he was
Are those the ones that just don't agree with him?
advised by one of these snakes doesn't mean that he therefore agrees with what they say. He agreed with the people who told him it was stolen and that he had legal recourse to address that, which he implemented. So there's nothing that rises to an insurrection or coup about that either, even though that's outside of the scope of our
Wasn't he on Twitter saying like it's time to fight now? Like this is our time or something?
discussion for today.
So Cassidy Hutchinson said that Trump said to Mark Meadows, "I don't want people to know we lost. It's embarrassing."
I'm glad that you mentioned her because this gets to the
Oh, I mean, if he said that, that's pretty concerning.
televised sham that was
Well,
these.
she was under oath. Who under oath for Trump said?
Well, she changed her story a bunch.
Yeah,
She was under
clearly,
oath.
yeah.
She was under oath. So the thing here is
Under
that
oath?
listen. So the thing here is
Why
that
is the January 6th committee destroying the transcript?
the January 6th
Well, I don't think that they are. I think that was a lie from Donald Trump.
committee called near 98% of their witnesses were Republicans.
It was kangaroo.
These people were under oath, Republicans, and
Kangaroo court, right? Like it's a mockery of a court.
they testified. The people who didn't testify within the Trump circle, there were dozens who Fifth Amendment. They refused to say a word. So you're going to tell me that the people that testified under oath are the liars, but the people that said things in the public but failed to say anything under oath are the ones that are telling the
let me
truth.
say, I wasn't just there on January 6th. I was in that congressional hearing and took the fifth 98 times. And not because I had anything to hide. The Fifth Amendment isn't just to incriminate yourself. It's because they wanted me in a perjury trap. They were to have witnesses claim something wasn't true. I think attacking the Capitol makes us win an election?
Yeah, witnesses against their testimony versus you can't get you in perjury. They can't.
Oh, yeah, just ask Roger Stone that question.
No, it doesn't happen that way. How did perjury get Roger Stone that way?
Roger Stone wasn't with all the WikiLeaks. He worked here then. He couldn't get a hold of him. I knew he told the truth. He didn't tell anybody I'm behind the WikiLeaks. They said Roger Stone ran WikiLeaks. He never even talked to Julian Assange.
I say he ran WikiLeaks.
What the fuck is happening right now?
They freaking tried to put
me in communication. I think this is getting off topic.
Oh my God,
this is off topic. That's okay.
Roger didn't lie to Congress.
I don't think.
Why is it okay when Alex Jones rambles off topic, but the second that they try to talk about what led up to January 6th, all of a sudden, like, that's not okay to talk about in a January 6th conversation?
He said, I don't know I have not interviewed Assange.
Let's pull back to Darren. Darren's going to finish off what you were saying about this, and I think, Glenn, you were going to mention something after that, and then I have a couple of clips that we're going to play, but Darren.
Yeah, I mean, the January 6th hearings were a show trial of the sort that would make Kim Jong-il blush.
Explain it to them. They wouldn't let Republicans that they wanted under the law on the committee.
They wanted Jim Jordan, who was actually part
of the investigation.
Oh, well, they wanted somebody that was being investigated. You can't really do that. That seems like a conflict of interest. No?
We pick who the people are on our jury.
Jim Jordan was being investigated by the committee. They wanted a person on the committee who was being investigated by the committee. How does that make sense?
Oh my God, when you're being investigated by the Democrats, you don't have a look.
I think a lot of people watching don't understand. Hey, guys.
It just sounds like they wanted somebody on the committee that was being investigated, and you can't have somebody on the committee when they're being investigated by that committee. It just doesn't make any sense.
Jordan was elected.
Does that matter?
The people that are listening don't have the context, so if we start rapid fire argumentation, a lot of people are going to lose interest. We need to stay focused and listen to each other. It's really important.
Staying focused is really hard for them to win their case.
It is really hard.
Win their case when they have to stay focused.
It's very hard,
but any of their views of reality.
It is possible.
I'm going to go take a piss, and I'll let you tell people fairy tales.
But what's happening is Darren is going to continue what you were saying about finishing up your thought, and then we're going to.
Oh, he's actually going to go to the bathroom.
Glenn Greenwald.
Yeah, well, the thought was just about this Hutchinson, and she said a lot of things. I believe she was the one who said that Trump reached over to the steering wheel and, told the Secret Service this or that, which was a bizarre thing because the Secret Service agents in question weren't the ones that were called upon to testify under oath.
Some of them testified the same thing that Cassidy Hutchinson said.
No, the Secret Service actually said we would love to testify, and they weren't allowed to. The two Secret Service agents in question in that specific anecdote were not allowed to testify. So why would they take the secondhand report from Hutchinson when they could have interrogated directly the people who would have been direct witnesses to that?
They're in
not those two specific agents, but why not?
Other
why
agents in the car with Trump testified for the J6 committee. I don't know why they would or wouldn't testify or have particular people testify, but other people in that car did.
No.
Yes,
the two people.
Yeah, Glenn.
The January 6th committee, and that's what Alex was alluding to just a second ago, is one of the biggest shams in the history of Congress, because what happened with the January 6th committee was we had a long history of 225 years of tradition in the United States Congress where whenever investigative commissions would be created within the Congress, the minority leader and the majority leader would each select the members of that committee to ensure there was fair representation by both parties. Nancy Pelosi, for the first time in the history of the United States, as Speaker of the House, refused to allow the Republicans who were chosen for that committee by Kevin McCarthy, at the time the Republican minority leader, to be seated on the panel. And as a result, the Republicans said, we're going to have nothing to do with this. And the only quote unquote Republicans that were chosen was Liz Cheney, who ended up losing her seat by 36 points, and Adam Kinzinger, who didn't bother running again because they were so unrepresentative of the Republican Party. It was a completely partisan commission. And on top of that, none of the videotapes that were available was made available to the public except for very deceitfully chosen snippets by Adam Schiff and by Liz Cheney. And it was only within the last several months that we saw all of the video footage. And what it showed makes a joke of the idea that this was a coup. You had people peacefully walking into the Capitol, led by many of the police officers who encouraged them to enter peacefully, which they did. The vast majority.
I don't think that they encouraged anybody to enter peacefully at all.
People who were there at January 6th aren't even charged with using violence. And that's what makes this whole debate such a preposterous joke. If you look at how coups are carried out in other countries, you can make a much better case that the Black Lives Matter protests of 2020 was an insurrectionary movement. And the reason it matters, Destiny, is because if you're going to make arguments, there has to be an important test, which is, do you apply the same principles you're claiming to profess and believe in to cases where it undermines your partisan allegiance and your ideology, not only where it helps it. That's one of the key tests for determining the authenticity of your argument. And so if you don't think the 2020 protest movement was an insurrectionary movement against the United States government, there's no way to claim what January 6th was, especially.
I mean, again, I don't think that the BLM riots really were like an insurrectionary movement. I think that they got violent for sure, but there was no attempt to overthrow the government. It was a protest of like police brutality. It's not the same thing as not believing that Trump lost and trying to overthrow the government. Whether it was Trump at the helm or not is irrelevant at this point. No, it's just about what the people actually thought.
Since Trump could have done so much more to cause a coup that he did not do because that wasn't his aim ever.
If you want to talk about applying the same standard, would you have been okay in the year 2000 if Gore refused to certify the vote because he didn't like what was happening in Florida?
A lot of Democrats did want
to
to do that.
Question? Glenn, answer the question.
Yes, and I would have actually. Yes, a lot of Democrats were angry about that.
I'm not asking if a lot of. I'm asking you would be okay personally if he refused to certify the vote.
I think there were two.
You want to answer the question? In 2016, would you have been okay if Biden?
Because if you really believe that an election is stolen, as the Democrats claim they did, then it is kind of odd to say, we're just going to concede that and allow George Bush to march into power, even though we believe that he actually stole the election.
Yes,
that is kind of an odd way to go about it.
It's not all at all. We live in a democracy. There are appropriate forums through which you can challenge.
Did they not battle that out in the courts,
and they lost.
Okay, there you go. Trump was battling it out in the court.
Yeah, and Trump lost in court constantly, and so he still doubled down. I think that's the point that he's making.
And he lost. Once you lose, anything past that is vigilantism. Vigilantism directed at the government to prevent the peaceful transfer of power to entrench your own power is an attempted coup. That's what he tried to do.
Trump did, though. He told them to be peaceful. He told them go and be peaceful.
We're not talking about the peaceful protesters. And if he wanted them to be peaceful, he would have called in the National Guard as soon as they started rioting, but he didn't do that.
Yeah, You're talking about his use of the legal process.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
Of the congressional and judicial.
I mean, he could have called in the National Guard to stop people from going fucking kooky bananas.
Process.
That was not a legal process.
If he had ordered the military or some other FBI or any of those agencies, the CIA, to go and use violence on domestic soil in order to ignore those court rulings the way people do when they're trying to implement coups, you would have a good argument. He didn't do any of that. He invoked all of his legal rights in the judiciary and in the Congress. He lost and he walked out of the White House on January 20th. He did not have to be dragged out. He wasn't arrested by the military, which is what happens in coups. So much of this is because you only started paying attention to politics in 2016. You only live in the United States. You have no idea about history.
This guy's in Brazil, though, I think, so he knows more.
Anything that happens in other countries, you have no idea what a coup is. This is a coup.
Glenn, you bring that up. Glenn, you bring that up. You're trying to use Hawaii as an example for something that was comparable, where both slates of electors were actually duly elected by the people there. In the 60s, Hawaii and South Carolina, these other historical examples that people go to from multiple slates of electors are not at all comparable. Both of these things happened prior to 2016. There are no examples in U.S. history, or if you want to give me one, since you know so much history prior to 2016, give it to me. Is there any other examples in U.S. history where the president is telling the vice president to unilaterally not certify the vote? Has that ever happened before?
That's a totally separate question.
No, that is what happened on January 6th.
It doesn't matter if it's the first time that it ever happened. Even if it's the first time or the 10th time, it's still not a coup or an insurrection. A coup or an insurrection is when you use violence and force in order to seize control of power outside of the legal process.
So a coup has to have. So if there's no violence, it can't be a coup.
Wasn't there violence? I saw violence.
Yeah, you need violence in order to be the coup. The
How much
amount
violence
of violence
do you
that
need?
happened on the Capitol on January 6th, the most amount of violence happened to the January 6th protesters, not from them. Again, not a single protester whipped out a gun, let alone used a gun. That is extremely.
Well, didn't they have guns? I guess they didn't. What does whip out a gun mean to him?
Weird.
How many officers were injured? 140?
Wait.
Is that enough violence for you?
Well, here's a good question about who, like staging a coup and emergent phenomenon, and if a crowd becomes violent, or if someone directs the crowd to become violent. This is actually the next question on my list. Do you guys think that Trump was responsible for this thing? And before you answer, I want to play a couple of clips. We have clip 1 and 2. These are from Trump's speeches on the day. I think the first clip is before the violence kicked off. Maybe we can play that first.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. We can't play.
Okay, that's. Thank God we got 5 seconds of that clip.
Into the hands of these people. We have to have peace.
Okay, saying that you can't let the... Okay, hold on a second. That sounds a little...
Can't play into the hands of these people.
Gotcha, okay.
We have to have peace.
Gotcha.
So go home. We love you. You're very special.
Wasn't that after the fact?
You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
That second clip was from after the violence had become, and so he was kind of doing damage control, I think, at that point.
I just don't understand all of the insanely arbitrary caps that we're trying to create to try to say that it wasn't a coup. Well, there was violence, but there wasn't enough. There was a subversion of the democratic process, but it didn't end up working. Like, if the plan would have gone as Donald Trump wanted it to have gone, which is Vice President Pence unilaterally tossing out the Electoral College vote, and if Donald Trump would have retained power past when he was supposed to lose it, What is that if not a coup? What would you call that?
No one ordered those people, the few hundred that actually fought police, to do that.
That's great. What would
That's
you
why
call
they
that,
can't
though?
charge. Trump's not been charged.
No one said Trump's been charged with insurrection or inciting a riot. Jack Smith officially did.
But we can't vote for him because they...
Sound like Bugs Bunny there.
What would you call it?
Or Elmer Fudd, I guess.
If Pence would have unilaterally thrown out the vote and Trump would have held on to power for some weeks
Trump was
longer.
calling for a 10-day Senate investigation. That's why we were there.
That's great. What would have happened if Pence would have thrown out the vote?
No, that's a hypothetical. Trump wanted a 10-day investigation.
No, but
I don't care
he
what Trump
also wanted Pence to throw out the electoral
what would have happened?
vote.
What would you
Him
have
and
called
Eastman
that?
were pushing for that.
Yeah, what would we have called that? Can I get a name for that? If you don't want to call it a coup or an insurrection, what would you call that?
Well, I'd call it taking Trump off the ballot and saying we can't vote.
Yeah, so it seems like the only argument is that since it didn't work, it can't be considered an insurrection. So now they're just being phrased with the question like, oh, what happens if it did work? And they won't answer the question. So it kind of sounds like they realize that this would be like a Samurai Jack and a coup.
I know you won't answer because you probably know he's guilty. That's fine. What about you, Glenn? Glenn, what would you call it if the president was able to entrench his power by asking his vice president to throw out the vote unilaterally, which is what he was trying to do? Do you want to deny the facts? Do you want to deny that it's a coup? What part?
A coup.
A sudden, violent, and unlawful seizure of power from a government. Okay, a notable succession or stroke. Okay.
I think
you're lucky there wasn't a real coup.
Shows the weakness of the argument, but if
would he have died or something? Is that like a weird threat? What the fuck?
that had happened, my guess is it would have ended up in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court would have made the decision about whether Mike Pence exercised his proper authority as vice president, and then Donald Trump, if he had run out of options, would have left the White House on January 20th without any need for military force or police force, exactly how he did, and I would have called that the exhaustion of all of the legal remedies available to the president in the event that
exactly, and therefore it would have been just the way the Bush v. Gore thing played out. Exhausting your legal options, getting up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court makes the determination.
Let Darren finish. If both of you accept that, then if the Supreme Court says that because of Amendment 14, Section 3, Trump can't be on the ballot, you would both accept that as well?
I wouldn't, but I think that would be authoritative. I would think it would be
authoritative, but Donald Trump, one man, centralizing power among himself to remain in power, that's not authoritative.
He didn't do that.
That's what he tried to do. That is what happened. I know you only read tweets and headlines, but believe it or not, that's actually what happened.
He wanted a 10-day, that was our goal, was a 10-day Senate investigation into the Constitution.
That's not what was happening behind the scenes, though. There's testimony from the lawyers involved.
They were wargaming everything.
Exactly.
His attorney general, the assistant AG, the assistant deputy AG, all of his legal counsel, all of his state senators, all of the congressmen.
If I can talk over you, I'd be way better than you.
That's what you've been doing the whole time.
Yeah, he's been talking over him the whole time. What is he talking about?
No, you're doing it, and then I dominate you. You can't handle it.
Okay.
This is fucking crazy. No, you've been doing it. I'm just dominating you. I like that. I'm going to use that. When I talk over somebody, I'm like, I'm not talking over you. I'm dominating you right now, but you can't talk over me, okay?
He didn't do that, and he left, is the point. And that's the reality. And now they say we can't vote for him, even though we all know Biden's going to win by 10 million votes.
That's why we call it an attempted coup and not an actual successful coup.
Alex, do you think that Trump was responsible for this thing on January 6th?
100% not. He'd had hundreds of rallies around the country, 5 or 6 that we were...
Well, yeah, of course he's responsible for it. Does that mean that he acted inappropriately? I don't know, but it seemed, I don't know, bro. I saw some of the tweets about how we have to like fight now. We can't let it's some of the fucking tweets that he was making were kind of crazy. He definitely riled people up, and he should have just sent in the National Guard to stop this if he didn't want it to happen. He has that power.
We're part of the months before this, and we had the space. Here's the Capitol, right in front of the Supreme Court on the Capitol grounds. We had a stage, and then we get there, and it's bedlam. And so, no, Trump didn't think attacking the Capitol would make him look good. That's why he came out and said that don't do this and go home.
Why didn't he call them off immediately if he thought it didn't make him look good?
It was happening while he was giving a speech.
Wrong. The reason why he didn't call them off is because Kim, Giuliani, and Eastman were making phone calls to other senators and congressmen asking them to decertify the electoral vote.
No.
You were there, but you acknowledge that happened?
We're talking about the crowd.
I don't care about the crowd. I'm saying that as the riot was raging on and he was sitting there sipping his Diet Coke, if this really made him and his followers look bad, why didn't Donald Trump make a video immediately?
I'm about to do it because I can talk over you really easy.
That's what you've been doing the whole time.
No, you're
Look forward to you dodging the question again. Go ahead.
You're doing it.
That's a good question. Why didn't he just stop it immediately? Then he would have looked a lot more credible.
No, you.
So, you.
No, you.
You. Both of you. Keep doing it. He doesn't have facts.
Break it up.
Trump did, while he was speaking, I was getting text messages, violence at the Capitol, and I left to try to go stop it. And when I got there, he was still speaking. So this thing where you guys say, well, the attack started at this time and Trump did nothing this time, he's speaking while it happens for hours. He then goes to the White House, tries to figure out what's going on, and puts a statement out against it. And he said...
Yeah, he's saying we have to fight, get smart Republicans fight. The fight has just begun. I like a little bit of thing here. See you in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Don't miss it. Information followed. See you in D.C. January 6th. Trump retweeted. Okay, yeah, it sounds like he was. I don't know. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that it seemed like he was kind of trying to rile up tensions without explicit language so that he could play plausible deniability.
In the middle of a speech, off a teleprompter, go be peaceful. That's what he said.
Did Trump get back to the like 130?
He also said fight like hell.
Yeah,
if
why
we
did
don't
he
fight
play
like
those
hell,
clips?
if we don't fight like hell, we're not gonna have a country. What did Rudy Giuliani say? He said, let's have trial by combat.
Yeah, that's illegal.
Did he say that?
Maxine Waters said,
really,
go attack Republicans in restaurants, grocery stores.
So why don't,
with her, it wasn't hyperbole.
Why don't
Trump
we
never
ask?
said, Trump never supported political violence. Trump never told people to be goons. The left would burn down half the
Oh, I love being a goon. I'm a gooner.
country. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows it's Biden's erased the border. Everybody knows all this. You're sitting there claiming this was, do you agree this was big Pearl Harbor?
What are you comparing it? As big as Pearl Harbor in what way?
3,009 Pearl Harbor.
People dead? No. Maybe a blemish on our democracy? I'd say it was very close.
Let me ask you this. If they bring in, which they've done 10 million illegal aliens the last 3 years, and then that gives them, with the congressional seats in the census.
The fuck are we talking about illegal immigrants right now?
More Democrat seats in the Congress. Is that
undocumented aliens, undocumented immigrants are not voting.
They are counted.
No, they are not.
They're counted in the census.
But they're not voting.
They're counted in the census.
They're not voting.
So then they get more Democrat districts.
Can we backtrack really fast?
Oh my God.
So let's backtrack.
With the illegals, they get more.
I thought that some of them can vote in local elections. They just can't vote in presidential elections, right? Or they can't, vote in like federal elections, which I imagine like Congress would be a federal election, right? Like they can't vote. They can vote locally, like how you use tax dollars for schools and stuff or transportation or whatever.
Backtrack to January 6th.
More congressional districts.
Yeah, can we go back to January 6th? Okay, so you play those clips.
Oh, you always want to get off of it because it wasn't an insurrection.
I came here to debate January 6th, not
the real
immigration.
insurrection, you can't handle it.
I'm not here to debate immigration.
Talk to me, Brian.
Okay, yeah, so why don't we ask the Oath Keepers, the 3%ers, the Proud Boys, the ones who were actually indicted and convicted of seditious conspiracy, why they did it? And
they told us.
Yeah, they did tell us. They did tell us.
Let Brian finish,
and then you can come back at me.
Right.
Joe Biggs, he said, I did it because this is where Trump wanted me. He wanted me to do this. Stuart Rhodes, Oath Keepers, same thing. I did it for Trump. Multiple Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, they all said, I was here because of Trump. I went into the Capitol. I took the Capitol because...
Yeah, trial by combat is a legal term. I believe Tyrion Lannister used that argument some time ago, and it's actually got him out of a couple of different squabbles, or at least one.
That's what Trump wanted. So was Trump responsible? Ask them. Ask the people that are serving 20 years in prison for seditious conspiracy.
I'd like to respond to that now. I know Stuart Rhodes well. I know Joe Biggs well. He used to work here. And they have never said Trump told them to go into the Capitol. They have never said they did it because he asked them to. That is not a true statement. That
is a true statement. I have the quotes right here.
Joe Biggs shook a fence. Stuart Rhodes said he never told anybody to go in the Capitol. And
I wish one day we could see Destiny and Donald Trump have a debate. That'd be a fun one, I think.
Never went to the Capitol, and you just said they said that Trump told them.
Multiple Proud Boys said they were in the Capitol because that's what Trump wanted.
You're reading a Jack Smith federal filing? Next we'll talk about
I'm going. Jack Smith didn't indict the Proud Boys.
They have messages between the group. They have the actual.
I know all about it.
Yes, they have them.
Oh, yeah, it's probably fake. That's probably the argument there.
Are you saying these are fabricated?
No, read me the quotes.
Yeah, read those quotes.
I mean, I have. We were here to storm the Capitol. We were here because of Trump. I mean, there's
that's pretty different.
And so
they say
Trump told
what's
me
the best quote you have?
Trump said go peacefully.
If they say we're here to storm the Capitol and we're here because of Trump, I mean, it sounds like at the very least they thought that's what Trump wanted.
This is a red herring. They're not saying that Donald Trump personally communicated to them to go to the Capitol. What they're saying is the reason why they were there, which I think over 147 convicted people have thus far in their convictions have said the reason why they were there is because Trump called them to go there, not personally. You know how many of those people cited Ray Epps as the reason why they were in the Capitol? Take a guess.
Well, wait a minute.
In both Proud Boys and Oath Keepers cases, the Fed said there was no direct conspiracy.
No one is talking about that.
That's not what I'm talking about.
Well, that's not nobody. What the fuck? Who's the imposter? What the hell is that? Nobody's saying that it was a direct. It was more of the words that Trump was communicating, or what he was saying, what the things that he was saying on Twitter, things he was saying in speeches, were communicating like an insurrection. That's what we're talking about here.
Now it's a new conspiracy where it's not written or said. They just imagine it.
It's like
wait. I want to be clear. What is your contention with this? Give me the quote and then what your contention is in relation to the quote.
Like Destiny said, there are 140 convictions where the people convicted said, I was there because of Trump. Trump called us to do this. And when I say called us, I don't mean he called them on the phone and said,
for the sake of argument that that's true. What is your conclusion from that?
Trump helped incite this.
Well, just because they thought they were helping Trump, that doesn't mean that Trump told them to do that.
That's true. Let's look at the actions.
It's like
they just won't stop talking.
Wait, Alex. It's like saying, Charles Manson presumably thought Helter Skelter was, telling him to kill. So is that the argument there? Trump is essentially Helter Skelter, and he's telling these Proud Boys that you need to go and storm the Capitol?
Does the mob boss tell his peons, go kill this guy, or do they use other language?
Well, what's the language that he used that you think is criminal?
The language and the ideas that Trump discussed was that the election was being stolen from you.
Okay, so that's criminal?
I never said that was criminal. He's being indicted for that speech. You're asking why are the people at the White House? All of the Trump's indictments and charges for January 6th are not focused on the people at the White House.
So what's the chain of argument there? That Trump
The question is, why are
the
people
election
there?
was stolen, and people assumed that they interpreted that as meaning, oh, we need to go to storm the Capitol, that that's somehow Trump's fault, and he's...
Well, yeah, especially since he could have taken action sooner by calling in the National Guard, and he didn't. So, like, I think that there's enough to make a reasonable speculation that Trump was trying to incite a riot and didn't care to stop it.
criminally liable for it, and it rises to an insurrection. Well, I'm trying to be clear what the...
Let me explain it. What Trump did was Trump laid out very precisely exactly what he believed had happened. He thought that the vote was being stolen, that our country was being taken from us.
Not believe, what he wanted others to believe.
Yeah, that Congress wasn't acting, that Mike Pence was supposed to be the guy to do it, but he hadn't heard good things about them, and they needed to go down to the Capitol building to protest. To protest what?
Dude, they can't go 5 seconds. They can't speak for 5 seconds, bro.
Protest. Nobody's saying that. You're repeating the same thing. You're like a broken record. You're a broken record.
No, I'm not a broken record.
Trump
every time
every
I talk,
right.
you try to shut me down. Listen, here's the bottom line. Trump's not been charged with insurrection.
No one said he was.
Trump didn't, but you're saying people can't vote for him.
No, I'm not saying that. That's up to the Supreme Court.
Do you support?
No one here is talking about him.
Do you support Colorado and Maine taking him off the ballot?
That's up to the Supreme Court.
No, you punt. Do you think it's good for the opposing party, when a guy's way ahead in the polls, to remove someone from the ballot?
It's not about him being ahead in the polls or not. It's about whether or not he engaged in insurrection, and if the self-executing part of the 14th Amendment allows states to remove him from the ballot.
Where is Trump found guilty of insurrection?
You don't need a conviction for the 14th Amendment.
For like an hour
Alex, read it. Can we bring the 14th Amendment up on?
Can you read the 14th Amendment? You're misrepresenting that, and it doesn't matter, because we have a right to vote for who we want, right?
No, you don't.
Bro, what do you guys think of this Among Us Vampire Survivor gameplay, by the way?
Within reason.
You can't vote for somebody under 35 years old. You can't vote for somebody that's not a U.S. citizen.
It looked like you want to chime in, Glenn.
But he's unpopular, though. He lost. Well, we can't vote for him now.
If you think it's so bad that courts are kicking him off the ballot, what do you think about Trump doing the birtherism card for Obama for how many years? That was the first big political thing he was known for, was challenging whether Obama was even born in the United States and an attempt to get him kicked off the ballot.
No, you know why? I can play the clips of Obama's.
And now you're going to justify that.
No, you're going to read my mind?
That's what it sounds like you're about to do.
You're
Play the
scared of
clips.
talking.
I'm not scared of you talking.
There's clips of Obama and his...
I mean, if Destiny was afraid of him talking, then he must be terrified right now, because all Alex Jones has been doing is talking this whole fucking time.
wife saying he was born in Kenya. I don't believe he was born in Kenya. He was born in Hawaii to the head of the Communist Party there, actually. So who's in his book, and so that's what's going on here. It doesn't matter. If Trump wants to say the moon's made of cheese, we have a right to vote for him.
If Trump
Okay.
can say whatever he wants. That's not what's getting him removed from the ballot.
Glenn.
He's a loser.
You can vote. You can vote for him if you want. You can vote. You can vote for him. You can write him in. But the 14th Amendment says he can't hold office if he incited.
But who says? And who found him guilty of insurrection?
We talked about the Civil War earlier. Nobody was found guilty of violating insurrection rebellion during the Civil War. Nobody. And that was an insurrection.
Wait. Let me welcome to my house for a moment. Hello. Hi, I'm Ian Crossland. I'm moderating this awesome debate. Glenn Greenwald's about to speak.
Wow, this is a great conversation. You probably should just like mute some people that are talking too much.
I want to hear what he has to say. He's been waiting patiently for about 1 minute. Glenn, what's happening?
Thanks. Yeah. So first of all, on the issue of the ballot, there have been split decisions on this, and even Democratic judges in Colorado and then the Democratic, very partisan Secretary of State in Rhode Island, as well as in California, have all said they don't think it's appropriate to remove Trump from the ballot because he has not yet been charged with, let alone convicted of, insurrection. So I want to be very deferential to Destiny's incredible achievements in constitutional scholarship.
I mean, that makes sense to me. If he wasn't actually charged with insurrection, should they take him off there? I mean, what is the standard for that?
But there are actually a lot of even Democratic Party elected officials who are saying, as well as judges of the Colorado Supreme Court who are appointed by Democratic Party governors, who are saying that you cannot actually remove somebody because to remove them from the ballot is to punish them for a crime, insurrection, that Trump has never been charged with and therefore has never had the opportunity to defend himself the way a criminal.
Wait, why are you citing the dissent? Why are you citing the dissent? Why are you citing the dissent in a losing case? Like it proves your point.
No, also,
he just told people are dumb.
I have a direct question.
Hey, you're scared of Glenn. Let it continue. No one's ever been taken off the ballot without being convicted.
Okay, Glenn, continue, and then Darren's going to add.
The Secretaries of State of California and Rhode Island have also said the same thing, but it's true. The Supreme Court will decide. I'm very confident they'll decide Trump can remain on the ballot, and then that will resolve that issue. Yes. The question I have a few questions quickly. One is, why didn't anybody like Jack Smith charge Trump with engaging in an insurrection? If Trump was engaged in an insurrection or inciting an insurrection, I would think that he would be charged with that. I don't think he was, so I'm happy he wasn't. But for those of you who think he was, why wasn't he charged with that? And then the second one is, I just want to know, given that the 2020 riots did have a lot of people in there who were nonviolent and were there not for insurrectionary reasons, but had a lot of people who were anarchists and insurrectionists and who engaged in a lot of violence, a lot more than was done on January 6th. Do you also think that the riots of 2020 constituted an insurrection? I'm just trying to understand to get a sense for what your definition of insurrection is.
Well, no, but it wasn't an overthrowing of the government, right? So.
Glenn, do you think that the 1992 riots...
When I ask two questions, can you just answer that?
I can give answers too. I don't think that Black Lives Matter was an insurrection. I do think 1992 riots in LA was an insurrection. George Herbert Walker Bush.
Black Matter Black, that made it not an insurrection. What did it lack?
So it was a protest, and the violence was when the police clashed with the protesters. The violence was not against the government in order to stop the government from doing something.
Yeah, it was just protesting police brutality. It wasn't trying to overthrow any government institution. I mean, frankly, they probably should have. If you think the police are being systemically racist, why are you attacking targets? Why wouldn't you attack police stations? You shouldn't do that, but I'm just saying.
and anarchist groups there that explicitly say they were using violence to overthrow the government? That didn't happen.
They were firebombing federal courthouses. God, that's not true.
They were the bombs on the courthouses. There's nobody. It was at nighttime. There's nobody in there. They were not obstructing anything.
Firefighters got to fight it. Arson's a serious crime.
They were not there to obstruct an official.
Yeah, it's a crime. We're not talking about whether something is a crime or not. We're talking about whether it was like a governmental insurrection. So.
Proceeding of a government.
Just burned down a courthouse.
Like, you could think that the BLM riots were wrong. That's fine, but it doesn't make it an insurrection. That's the only point there.
I want to ask Glenn. Do you think 1992 was an insurrection?
Notice you didn't answer Glenn's question.
I just did answer it.
Specifically talked about. Yeah, but no. The Democrats.
Alex, I did answer it. I specifically answered it.
Glenn, please.
You answered it. Yeah. But I mean, I think the 1982 riots, I recall at the time thinking the Insurrection Act was inappropriately invoked. I'd have to go back and really study the 1992 riots to see the extent of the violence. But I do think that you're asking that indicates why the 2020 riots are way closer to an insurrection than anything happened after the 2020 election. And the reason you're afraid to say that it is an insurrection is purely for ideological and partisan ends, because
that's not true.
Liberals were engaged in an insurrection.
There's riots every week.
I'm going to be honest with you. Politics does not seem very fun. This does not seem like a fun conversation. This is like fucking crazy to me. I don't know, man. I mean, I just is like brain rot. It's fucking crazy.
The Democrats were saying the Black Lives Matter riots were good and bailing them out.
You know what? Here's something.
The Democrats were saying be violent everywhere. Everybody get the clips. Get him. Take the clip and get him.
When we talk about insurrection,
you got your ass.
I want to let Stephen finish this up.
When we're talking about an insurrection, okay, I think all three of us here would agree that if there was a congressional session or a state legislative session and people were voting on it and BLM rioters went up and they tried to firebomb the House to stop the vote, I think all of us would agree that's an insurrection. You guys, hello. Oh my God, I almost finished the sentence. That's very good.
Way more violent stuff in capitals than Trump people.
I understand. Yes, space lasers were destroying houses in Hawaii. Okay, you keep bringing back the amount of violence. The amount of violence isn't relevant. All of us here agree that obviously over the entire course of the BLM riots, over the course of the BLM riots, there was lots of violence. I think everybody on this side of the table is okay.
I'm pretty sure that Destiny said some pretty wild shit. Didn't he say at one point that people should just shoot protesters? You really can't put Destiny in this like hole of he's super sympathetic to the BLM rioters, because he was very in favor of people defending their property. So
okay with charging and convicting people. Everybody here is okay with charging and convicting anybody that was guilty of a violent act. However, violence, no matter how much, does not make an insurrection. It's the obstruction or rebellion against the United States for the Jack Smith obstruction charge, obstructing an official process like certifying the vote.
Okay, we're going to go to Darren. We're going to go to Darren now.
Darren, a question.
Let me ask. So first of all, it wasn't just violence. There were aspects of the BLM uprisings that involved, at one point, Trump was forced to go into a secure bunker in the White House. They broke through the Treasury.
He called in the National Guard then.
But I have a question. I have a question about the 14th Amendment for Destiny or anyone. So let's assume that it doesn't require a conviction. In your view, who is most appropriate to make that determination? If it doesn't require.
Well, yeah, he said that before, the Supreme Court.
So the real answer is it's hard to tell. Personally, I don't like the way the 14th Amendment Section 3 is written. I've got a lot of friends who will hate me for saying that. And I think that the Supreme Court probably will rule against it. Because the problem with the 14th Amendment is the self-executing part of it. It means basically anybody involved in that balloting process of putting him on the ballot could make that determination.
So you basically agree it has to go up to the Supreme Court and be decided before he can be justly removed from ballot.
Let me say this. Declaration of Independence, and you know what insurrection. I want to fix this peacefully. But I have a right, not from the Declaration of Independence, it already points out what's there, to abolish a government when the majority of us agree we're done with it. So, and you got all these movies about Civil War, the Democrats.
Isn't this him admitting that he wanted to abolish the government? No.
Obama's putting out. You guys better hope that doesn't happen. We're trying to fix this peacefully. But this is a load of crap. To claim that Republicans and conservatives are this super viral, evil, white supremacist terror group, they're planning crap. No one's buying that. And conservatives and populists and America Firsters see how we're being set up.
And set up, but Donald Trump is the one setting you up.
Well, this is my question.
Trump said, be peaceful and go to the Capitol.
Trump
we're going to have 10 days investigation. I was there.
Did Trump have his people? Did Trump have? There's a million hours of footage. Trump had 7 different states create 7 false sets of electors that perjured themselves.
I know this.
And they shipped all of those to Congress.
When I tried to people that I know put clips of me saying don't go to the Capitol, they would take them down. Or we show clips of people pulling off their Antifa gear, putting on Trump gear, and you know.
Where's the video footage of all the Antifa gear? 3,000 people have phones there.
Tonight.
What the fuck is Antifa gear, by the way? I don't even know what that means.
Well, everybody,
how many Antifa were arrested in charge?
Guys, Orange is the imposter.
Why didn't Donald Trump?
Orange is the imposter.
You guys are talking pretty candidly about
you know we're not playing clips.
Why didn't Trump call in the National Guard as soon as the riot started? If Antifa was there?
He asked for 10,000 National Guard a month before.
No, he didn't. He mentioned it 20 days before. Why didn't he call him in that night? Why didn't he call him in? Look, there's Antifa. Call in the National Guard. He would have ended it in 20 minutes.
So that's another myth, that he had the National Guard on standby. Kash Patel said that.
No, he asked for it.
Let me finish. Kash Patel said that Trump asked for it. That's the source of that. Kash Patel and Donald Trump, after the fact, claimed that they had the National Guard on standby. Neither of them testified to that under oath. Do you know who did? The Secretary of State,
Department of Defense.
Secretary of Defense, Christopher Miller, testified under
Trump
oath.
Didn't have it on standby. He asked for it, was refused by Milley. I can watch the post up.
He was refused. No, Milley specifically said that's not true. Under oath.
Oh, Milley.
Yes.
Was that between phone calls?
And the Secretary of Defense, the man who he would have to call in the National Guard. the Secretary of Defense specifically said under oath that Trump never did that. Under oath. Did Trump or
under oath they tell people 2 men can have a baby. Can 2 men have a baby?
So why do you
Can 2 men have a baby?
What the fuck? What does 2 men having a baby have to do with anything?
This is January 6th.
No, stop.
Yeah,
Another day.
Under oath.
Alex, let me ask you a question. You're criticizing me for quoting somebody under oath. What is your source? If I'm quoting somebody that said something under the penalty of perjury, your source is, you just know it? That Donald Trump said it to the public?
No, we're live on air here, just like when this guy said that, you're claiming this was done. You don't have proof. Those clips are all there. Everyone's going to pull those up. They're going to see them.
So there's clips of Donald Trump calling in the National Guard?
No, I remember the last point.
No, you didn't answer my question.
No, I remember the articles.
You didn't answer my question.
You're not listening. You want my answer?
Yeah, I do.
When Trump got firebombed and the White House got attacked, he called for the National Guard. And Milley said, I'll resign if he doesn't. He then asked the head jurisdiction, it was actually General Flyn's brother, for 10,000 troops, and it was in the news. I don't have a computer in front of me.
On January 6th.
No, he asked 2 weeks before that they wanted.
It wasn't in the news.
Okay, well, boom, gotcha. Everybody get it.
Show it. Go ahead.
I'm on air right now.
He requested
I don't have a computer. Hold on.
Tell me what you're telling me.
You're just hoping. Listen, they're going to get you.
Tell me what you're telling me. That he requested 10,000 troops.
Watch X tomorrow. Listen carefully. Watch X tomorrow.
Okay. And you're going to...
On Twitter, watch X tomorrow.
And
it'll have 5 million views, and it'll be you, and it'll be all the news articles where Milley says he'll resign if Trump's went National Guard, and then they did it again, and then General Flynn's brother.
For January 5th, that was the...
I know. That's where it begins. And he asked again, and they also... Yeah, it's all there.
Okay, but you're making the claim that Trump had...
No, you say show it. I'm here.
Why would Trump care if Milley would resign for all the deep state? If they're all part of the swamp, why wouldn't he just do it anyway? That's what's right. Trump is the ultimate authority on the national. You're not going to answer that question either.
What's going to happen, Dougherty? What's going to happen is they're all going to get...
Call him Dougherty? Okay.
In it. And that's the whole... They're all going to show it, and then we'll see.
Yeah, this is making me think about media manipulation in general, and how sometimes you see things, sometimes you don't, sometimes things are real, sometimes they're not, and it leads me to my next question. General for everybody. And by the way, all 6 of you are doing phenomenally, especially you, Glenn, killing it from Brazil, my man.
Yeah, doing great, guys. Love it.
Do you guys think this election was stolen?
100%. And
absolutely not.
Yeah, of course not. I mean, that's a ridiculous thing. I mean, the common arguments as to why it was stolen were like, well, a lot of people voted. And it doesn't make any sense. It makes perfect sense. This is the first time since I can ever remember that people were able to vote for the entire week. They were able to vote for an entire week. You were able to vote through mail-in ballot. It was more accessible to vote, so obviously more people were going to vote. And it was during COVID. So people were more likely to... there are people that were home more. There are people who were more politically engaged. Like, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
My right to say that, but then, covering up the windows with signs, and then all these trucks pulling in, and then the graph where Trump's above, and it perfectly shoots up, and then wins.
Just define stolen. Define that for me before we answer the question.
Well, I mean, as Professor Epstein and others have said, they do it way before suppressing the Hunter Biden laptop, giving you 96% Google Democrat links. I mean, it's all, the stealing's done before. In the algorithm and the censorship of
the fuck are you talking about?
Control. I remember 5 years ago when I was being deplatformed, they were denying I was being deplatformed and saying there was no censorship. Now we know from the weaponization hearings that all this is going on, and now they're telling us you can't vote for him because he said we won't let you vote for him. I mean,
why is it, if the election was being stolen, why did every single person that Donald Trump trusted to investigate come back and say there was no evidence?
It wasn't every single.
It was every single. It was not a whole bunch of his lawyers, and most of his legal counsel said that the few that he deployed were crazy.
You just went in 2 seconds from everyone to most.
I said everyone you got him again. I said that everything that every single person that Donald Trump trusted to investigate, meaning the Vice President, the Department of Justice, the Cybersecurity Division of the Department of Homeland Security, all of his White House counsel.
I love it that Destiny is able to talk uninterrupted. It's an incredible debate.
I know how it works. I know you're farming TikTok clips. Okay, that's what we're doing right now. The reality.
It's probably true. He probably is farming TikTok clips. That's funny.
But he is. It's almost every single person he asked
all of them.
To investigate.
Wait, 2 minutes ago you said all of them.
That he trusted me. He didn't ask Sidney Powell to go and investigate. She brought cockamamie schemes to him. He said, "Oh, maybe these are okay." Which, by the way, he also said. He also said she was crazy.
You just said all wouldn't say there was fraud.
I said, get the full quote. Kind of like you're missing the rest of the 14th Amendment there. Get everything I'm saying. I know that hurts. I know the context hurts people like you. You live and you breathe 10-second clips. Anything longer than that destroys everything you're trying to claim.
No. They got you again. You just said all his lawyers told him he lost, and we're going to show you the majority saying he.
I think he said that all of the people he trusted to investigate came back that he wasn't like there was no foundation for an investigation. Pretty sure that's exactly what he said though.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Alex, tell us specifically. Tell us specifically which lawyer said he.
Besides Eastman, Powell, and Giuliani, who is on his team that are claiming widespread election fraud?
Look, we're live on air.
I know we're live on.
Yeah, the moderator only seems to really cut in when one of the conservative individuals are speaking and they're getting talked over, mostly because they're talking over the person that is speaking.
All these people are convicted and pleaded guilty except Giuliani.
Let's ask. I want to ask Glenn. What do you think, man? Glenn, do you think that this thing was stolen?
I think the election was rigged. I'm not somebody who thinks the election, that there's evidence conclusive that the election was stolen. I do think we should be a lot more attentive to when election processes get changed out of the blue, like, because there's COVID, we're going to have a ton of new conventions for how we do mail-in ballots. I think there's a lot of potential for fraud there. I don't think there's evidence that I've seen, at least, that's conclusive that the 2020 election was stolen. I do think, though, it was rigged in all sorts of ways, from internet censorship to all kinds of interference on the part of the U.S. security state, lying and saying that a very incriminating story about Joe Biden was the byproduct of Russian disinformation when it absolutely was not. Facebook and Twitter censoring that story right before the election. These are all examples of corrupting rigging by institutions of authority. On the question of
what incriminating situation are they talking about? Are they talking about when Hunter Biden had like his dick out? What's incriminating about that? That his son does drugs, or that he got a job because of nepotism? Like, that's how the world works, isn't it?
No, I don't. I'm not somebody who thinks there's evidence that it was stolen.
Well, how would you define the difference between rigging it and stealing it?
Rigging it is when institutions of authority cheat or act corruptly in order to manipulate public opinion to prevent stories from getting to them, like those news stories about Joe Biden and the way that he exploited his family connections in Ukraine and China to profit for his family, and lying about it and saying that it's Russian disinformation, censoring the internet to prevent stories from getting to the public, having the security state, the CIA and the FBI, that's supposed to have no role in our politics, being the ones to cook up those fabrications. That's all examples of rigging and manipulating our democracy the way that we accuse Russia of doing. The U.S. security state, the corporate media, Twitter and Facebook did that way, way worse. Stealing the election is dumping ballots that were legitimately passed, or fabricating ballots in favor of one candidate or the other that actually weren't passed, manipulating the machines in order to have the loser be the winner. That's what I would distinguish between rigging and stealing.
Do you think that Donald Trump asking Jeffrey Clark to go and threaten the DOJ that if they don't sign on to a false letter, trying to bully states into claiming there was mass election fraud by claiming the DOJ actually found someone had it, that was testified to under oath.
Oh, God, under oath.
Do you think that would be considered an act of corruption?
The whole point is, if Trump legitimately believed that the election was stolen, as Democrats believed in 2000.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a good thing that we got the answer. He answered that question.
In 2004, 2016 is
no, that's not right. It's not answering the question.
Then I'm answering the question. I just can't do it in 7 seconds. If Trump believed genuinely that the election was stolen, then all of those steps that he undertook to try and present the Congress as the way to alleviate the stolen election, to have courts reverse the stolen election, to have Mike Pence exercise what he thought was his constitutional authority, might have been wrongful, but they weren't illegal, and they most definitely weren't a coup.
So if he thought that the election was stolen, he was allowed to tell the DOJ that they needed to sign on to a false letter claiming they'd found election fraud. Otherwise, he would replace Rosen with Clark. That was something he was allowed to do.
False letter. All this stuff's crap.
The DOJ hadn't found anything, so the DOJ attesting that they had found something would indeed be false. That's right. I know.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
In this world, we need evidence, Alex. I'm sorry.
Oh, evidence. Oh,
I know. Evidence.
Evidence.
Evidence. Yeah.
So
2 men have a baby.
What the fuck does he keep asking if 2 men can have a baby for?
Isn't there a sitcom called 2 Men and a Baby?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
It's 3 Men. It's a great movie.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, my bad.
No, but I mean, we're sitting here like, guys. They said.
I think I think that the point of asking can 2 men have a baby is just to try to get Destiny to answer the question about, like, I guess, trans people, and then to get the audience to be like, oh, see, this guy's a stupid idiot. I think that's the whole point of that.
And it was worse than Pearl Harbor and 9/11. Like Glenn says.
So you're fighting demons up here. No one's saying that.
Alex, you pointed out that the votes, they went up way at night. They went up way high. Trump was winning, and then all of a sudden Biden pulled ahead at like 1 a.m.
Red Mirage.
Yeah. So, but do you understand that the media basically told the American public that this is what happens basically every election?
Yeah, they pre-programmed.
Well, no, they people will vote and then they count the votes as they come in.
No. Do you understand?
No, it does happen.
Do you understand why that happened?
No, I'm not smart enough to understand. The trucks they shut down the polling places, and the trucks pulled in, and they blocked the windows out, and ran the same ballots over and over again.
Let me explain it to you. Donald Trump, for months before the election, he kept saying mail-in ballots are rigged. Don't vote by mail. So, do you think that Republicans are going to vote by mail if Trump says not to? So Republicans.
That's
actually an interesting point. I never thought of that.
Well, let me finish.
Let me finish, and then you can.
I mean, he might have been. If anything, wouldn't it be funny if Trump actually caused himself to lose by constantly saying, "Hey, don't vote by mail-in ballots; it's rigged," and then so people decided to vote in person, or some people may not have been able to vote at all because it can be sometimes difficult to get to the voting place. Kind of makes sense.
Republicans didn't vote by mail because Trump said, it's not safe. Democrats voted by mail. Mail-in votes were counted at the tail end of the vote count, as they always are. So what happens? So Trump pulls ahead early in the night, just like everybody said was going to happen if you were paying attention. They start counting the mail-in votes. Biden's moving up. They start counting.
Yeah, but what about the female-in votes?
Or mail-in votes in these states that are in the big cities, which are primarily Democrats. What happens? Biden pulls way ahead in the big cities, just like everybody does paying attention.
Can I talk? That's why they had to all over block the windows out, kick everybody out, claim water mains broke. Let me talk. And then magically on the surveillance cameras, just keep loading machines over and over again. But you're right. Let's stop. You're right. No, I agree with you. Trump actually lost. So why are you so scared to let him run again?
I'm not scared to let him run.
So you support him being on the ballot?
I support whatever the Supreme Court says because I think they should define what insurrection is. I think that's fair.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
I'm not saying I'm on either side. But let's go back to the pulling out votes or tabulating votes multiple times. Did you actually watch more than the 14-second clip that Giuliani put out there where they purportedly pulled out ballots from under the table?
Well, let me ask you a question.
No.
Why in Michigan and Georgia did they block the windows?
No.
Why?
I don't know why. Ask them.
Why did they say a water main broke and later admitted it didn't?
These all went to court. All these were in court.
Let me stop you. You guys, hold on, stop.
All of them went to court.
Can I say one thing? I'll give you the floor. Let me say one thing.
Go ahead.
I was found guilty by 2 judges in Texas and Connecticut, and then they had a jury trial on how much damages. Trump, they changed the law, has a judge who said at the beginning of the real estate hearing he's guilty. And then Letitia James said in the video, we've already found him guilty. She was so dumb, she said it. We already found him guilty. He's guilty. And then Trump doesn't get a jury trial in New York. So you're pointing to the judiciary and the corrupt lawyers that have run this country down the ground.
Who are you pointing to?
Wasn't that because his lawyer didn't check the jury trial?
Here's the thing. January, let me say this right now. January 6th, what an insurrection.
Also, the videos that you're referring to, the running the votes multiple times.
The Democrats to violence. And we're not going to give the Democrats the violence they want in 2024. But let me tell you, you guys keep looking for one. Once you guys start the fight and launch martial law, you're going to actually get the real thing, and then you'll know what
Alex,
it is.
how long?
Oh, it sounds it sounds like a veiled threat.
How long have you been calling for martial law? How many decades now?
Also, all the examples you bring.
No, this isn't a Vampire Survivor mod. This is a DLC that was like $1 or something that does Among Us. Just so you know.
Oh, the COVID lockdowns were martial law.
Oh my god, and they didn't last forever, like you guys.
It's Vampire Survivors like DLC.
Guys, we shut their ass down.
No, you didn't shut down anything.
Fucking ass.
No, the Supreme Court ruled against Biden.
Biden won the election and it stopped. Biden won the election and it stopped. So you shut them down. Who are you? Are you part of Biden now?
Let me ask you a question.
No, why
Rachel Maddow right that he take the shot to get the virus? Is Rachel Maddow right? He brought it up. If Biden is Biden right that he take the shot, you're protected. Is that true?
I think what Biden.
What the fuck are we talking about COVID right now? What the fuck?
I think what Biden did was here's what Biden did for the shot. Okay, what happened was Raffensperger and everybody in Georgia looked over all the tapes that you're claiming about the ballots being ran 3 times. Not only was that information false, Trump was told that it was false. Trump knew that it was false. Trump repeated it over and over again, including in a call to Raffensperger. And finally, Giuliani has come out saying that it was false, but it was his First Amendment right to lie about it. When Ruby Freeman took him to court for defamation because he lied about something you could clearly see on video evidence.
Okay, well, this is a question. Darren, firstly, do you think, if you want to talk about it, if you think the election was rigged or stolen, but also is it protected speech to question an election and claim that it was stolen?
Well, yeah, you can do that if you want, but then you have to take the L if the this is not Among Us, but then you got to take the L based on whatever the decision is of the courts, and the courts were constantly telling Trump that he was wrong.
Of course it is.
That's a great question. I subscribe to the sort of rigged versus stolen distinction, and I'm more in the rigged category. And I think that's the more meaningful type of interference is the censorship, is all of the other tools that have been deployed in order to rig the election. I think that's more significant. And then the sort of more hyperbolic claims regarding hacking the machines and or so forth. The mail-in ballot, these kinds of things.
So then you agree that Trump was wrong when he said it was a stolen election?
Well, it depends what specific claim he's using.
It's a definitional.
Let's say when Trump kept pushing that Dominion was switching votes and it cost him Georgia.
That I don't believe in the Dominion stuff.
Yeah, I don't either. It was
a lie. Trump was lying about it.
He was lying. But see, we're let's be honest here. The point is that the State Department runs around the world looking at everybody else's elections, and the number one thing you get sanctions for is taking a candidate off the ballot. And that's what Democrats are doing right now, and America sees that.
The Democrats are not doing it. That's going to go to the courts.
Republicans actually filed.
Yeah, that would go to the courts, and then since the Supreme Court is primarily Republican, if it did happen, it would be because of Republicans.
It's not the Democrats' Secretary of State in Maine. You just said the Democrats aren't doing it.
Alex, in Colorado, who filed the suit? 6 people. How many of them were Democrats?
Was it Democrats?
How many were Democrats out of the 6? No, how many?
I know Liz Cheney's a Republican.
How many were Republicans who filed the suit? 5 of the 6 people that filed the suit in Colorado to get Trump off the ballot were Republican. So stop saying Democrats.
Oh, okay. Well, if Republicans are calling to get Trump off the ballot, that's funny.
Democrats don't want Trump off the ballot.
Glenn's actually responding.
Horseshit. That's not what happened. What happened is the only people who have standing in Colorado.
Oh God, this guy's Brazilian internet's fucked.
To bring a suit are people who can vote in the Republican primaries, which means either Republican voters or independent voters. Although the suit was brought in their name, the lawsuit was spearheaded and was paid for and was organized by a Democratic Party aligned group called Crew that boasted of this and took credit for it. So yes, the suit was brought in.
Yeah, Glenn.
Hey, Glenn, restart what you're saying.
Had some audio feedback, Glenn. If you can hear us, we're going to request we had some buzzing, Glenn. I want to make sure that everything you said is clearly heard. So we're going to
replace this guy with Glenn Beck. We need him.
Fix that and then get back to you.
Let's go back. Glenn, go ahead and talk again. Let's
try it out.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know how much of that you heard, but what I was saying was that in Colorado, in order to have standing,
hey Glenn, stay there.
I gotta love the farts.
We're going to reconnect with you. I want to hear this.
So I can say what he's saying. He's saying that it was brought by a Democratic institution, but they needed Republicans.
Not just a Democratic institution; it's a notorious lawfare outfit.
Right, but how many Democratic states said okay? He can stay on the ballot. So don't just say like every Democrat just wants you to throw Trump off the ballot.
You're right. The Democrats don't want him off the ballot.
If you were to ask me, I would say let the voters decide. Like
I think other candidates would have a better shot than Trump to beat Biden. I honestly do.
Who?
I think Nikki Haley. If there's no way she would get the nomination.
World War III Birdman.
I think she would defeat Biden. I really do.
We actually have a tweet from Vivek Ramaswamy claiming that the what do you call it? He called it Happy Entrapment Day, talking about January 6th. You guys think that it was an entrapment?
100%. Yep, 100%. Donald Trump entrapped all those poor people to be there.
True.
They probably thought he'd bail them out. Then he pardoned him like he did every other person in his campaign that was convicted of any crime.
We want a 10-day investigation. That's why I said be peaceful.
I mean, Vivek or whatever the fuck his name is. He's a very intelligent person. He knows what he's doing when he's signaling to these people. Like he's really just playing the I'm basically Trump card. He's young. He's charismatic. He is intelligent. But I think he's just kind of he's hoping that maybe Trump gets pulled off the ballot. And then he could be like, guys, I'm basically Donald Trump Jr., but brown. And then if you vote for me, you can't be racist. Incredible thing.
Yeah, because Trump was always calling for
He
supporters.
also called for them to fight like hell, and Giuliani said
fight like hell means for our freedom and our vote in our country.
Okay, and people can say things that they don't mean in order.
Hey,
to
when you go to a high school football game at the pep rally, and they go, and then the cheerleaders go, fight, 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 fight.
Trial by combat. That doesn't mean anything either.
That's a
Well, I mean, I think that
legal term.
Whatever.
I think the thing that's most instructive.
What was to fight for at that point? I mean, it was the court's decision. So why would you tell people to fight?
That's most instructive to see what Donald Trump wanted to happen that day is that when he sat down and he watched the violence unfolding on TV, when he saw the people fighting with cops, when he got notification that Ashley Babbitt had been shot, Donald Trump did not take steps to stop the violence that day. Instead, him and Giuliani made phone calls to senators and congressmen trying to get them to stall the vote.
What do you guys think ethically about
That's fair, yeah.
people in politics telling people to go fight? Do you find it to be misleading?
Look, we're not a neutered population. I mean, I have Democrats, in fact, during the impeachment for this, they shut it down when finally Trump put a 5-minute video on of Democrats saying, attack them at grocery stores, attack them at gas stations, attack. We need civil insurrection.
What do you think about the term battleground state?
Yeah.
You know, it's
the problem is not
typical political rhetoric.
It's the context.
It's not.
Go ahead.
Nobody is upset because Donald Trump said fight like hell. People are upset because for months or years, really even in 2016, Donald Trump has consistently attacked and undermined the electoral process with absolutely no good reason.
No, it's the Democrats
no
said he was a Russian agent.
And
the Democrats falsely said he was a Russian agent and sick the deep state on him for the 4 years of his administration.
Every single appointee that he made, all his own people were part of the deep state.
Trump's a Russian agent?
No, but that's why he wasn't convicted or charged with any crimes for it.
They were the ones saying that the American voters were manipulated by the Russians.
Was he
They were the ones saying.
Alex, was he charged with a crime for that?
Hillary is
was he charged
currently
with a crime for that?
He was not.
Right.
Hillary, why did they just charge him falsely?
They haven't charged him for insurrection.
Wait, why did Jackson
currently saying.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. If they wanted him, why didn't they just charge him falsely for that? They didn't. So.
But not
Trump is going to steal the election.
Why didn't he get an indictment?
Is Hillary saying Trump's going to steal the election? Why is Hillary saying Trump's going to steal the election? Why is Hillary saying Trump's going to steal the election?
Trump indicted?
Why is Hillary saying Trump's going to steal the election? Why is Hillary saying Trump's going to steal the election?
I'm about to stand up, just so you know.
Oh no, this guy's going to stand up. I'm fucking so scared.
That would be good TV. But I'm not going to do it.
Well, he won't stop.
Well,
I will dominate.
What we need to do,
You don't answer questions.
guys, what we need to do.
No, I do answer
Listen to me for a moment.
We are.
This guy's got anger problems too.
Listen to me. That we don't speak over each other. What we do is we listen to each other, take turns. It becomes way better.
A lot of questions.
I agree. What can I finish my statement here? Run to the other.
Is it okay that Hillary is on TV this week 3 times I saw saying Trump's going to steal the election?
Hillary
Why is she allowed to?
Rent free in your head right now. The problem with Trump's speech.
Why can Democrats say it, but Republicans can't? You keep trying to change the subject.
I'm not changing the
Hillary
subject.
shouldn't be saying that. I agree. Hillary shouldn't be saying that. Who is she? She's a private citizen.
But I think you're allowed to say people are still election, whether you're right or wrong.
That's why Trump's being charged for it. You said it yourself. He's not being charged with incitement. He's not being charged with insurrection. That has nothing to do with him saying a particular thing.
Did Joe Biden try to get the votes certified for Hillary Clinton? Did Hillary Clinton try to force Joe Biden in 2016 to certify the electoral votes?
No, because the landslide was so big.
The Biden had a pretty big landslide.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean the landslide was so big? Didn't Hillary win the popular vote?
Hillary won the popular vote.
Biden won by more.
No, the landslide.
The narrative collapsed right before our eyes.
So Trump didn't win the 2016 election.
What?
Trump didn't win.
No, which one?
2016.
He didn't win the popular vote.
Well, Russian help, right?
He didn't win the popular vote.
No, from the evidence I've seen, he had a huge landslide. They tried to steal it with illegal alien voters, but it's still Trump was so big.
We're not
trying to steal it with illegal alien voters. What the fuck is he talking about?
all privy to the election that exists in your head.
I know, there's no illegal aliens.
Don't give us the same information. The rest of us on Earth don't get information. Calm down from another show. We got to know what people in reality say. I'm so sorry.
Here we go.
People know you're wrong. The states with the illegals are getting more. California just got 6 more congressional seats.
What?
We need to come up and rise up. There it is.
I'm tied down.
There's no invasion. There's no border.
You guys think that there was federal involvement here, or if there was, that what the extent of it was?
So why don't the Republicans just take all the illegals if it's helping them in some capacity? I don't understand.
On January 6th?
I think there were probably federal agents undercover. Do I think that federal agents committed crimes and led people into the Capitol building? Absolutely not. And there hasn't been any case brought by any of these 700 convicts. None of them brought that up in court.
Because they're being prosecuted in the District of Columbia.
Because there's no evidence of it.
I know
Absolutely
lawyers.
no
I
evidence
know
of it.
they won't let them put defenses on. Let me tell you something. They said Ray Epps was a hero and did nothing wrong. Now they finally indicted him because they know it's a weak spot in their operation. Only asking for 6 months. Let me tell you, we're not playing clips for tit for tat here, but everybody's going to. I want everybody on X to get these statements and put all the clips of women putting onions in their eyes and the cops fake arresting people.
Onions in their eyes? to cry? I don't think you have to put the onion in your eyes. You just have to put it close to your eye. Right?
High-fiving and saying, I'm a federal agent, I just helped run the attack. They're going to string all these videos out.
So here's the thing. Like Brian said, there's probably some informants on the ground. I think one of the Proud Boys, one of the ladies in the Proud Boys was an informant. So she was on the ground. She didn't go into the Capitol building, I don't believe. The problem is with what Alex does is he pushes these conspiracy theories, these ideas that illegal aliens were voting. There's no evidence of that.
I think the illegal alien voting thing is what's happening is they're coming in and then they're being counted in the census, which then adds more electoral votes.
Okay.
It gives more congressional districts.
That's fair. That might be happening. I haven't read.
They're indictments all over the country. They're indictments of illegals everywhere voting.
I mean, I think that's the difference between somebody voting versus illegals coming in and getting part of the census. If that's true, that's an interesting point.
I'm again. Hit them hard. Hit them hard.
voting.
They're
Alex,
not
that's a conspiracy
like
theory.
two people.
No, a bunch of cities have passed laws where illegal aliens can vote.
No, they haven't.
No,
Not in the federal election.
No, but the illegals are voting in elections though.
Not in the federal one. So I know that
There's a difference between a federal and a local election. So the local election is just like local people. I don't think it has anything to do with Congress. I'm pretty sure that's all federal and like how you want to operate school budgets and stuff. And these are usually people, and you can disagree with it. I think that's fine. But they would be voting for like schools and how taxes are used, and a lot of them are paying taxes as well. Because unfortunately, there is like a lot of our infrastructure, our economic infrastructure is supported by illegal immigrants. If they wanted to actually do something to crack down on this, they would just punish the businesses that hire them, and they don't, because at the end of the day, they know that the cheap labor is good for the economy.
some cities try to have them
I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying that this is more of an issue with not punishing business owners well enough.
voting in like local matters. I don't know how many of those are successful.
Illegal aliens shouldn't be voting, okay? But they're not. They're not voting in federal elections.
I don't know why you would care.
They are
Why
not.
would you even
That's a
care?
conspiracy
I don't know why
theory,
you would
Alex. Come
care
on.
about.
There are going to be 100 million views of you guys. X is going to eat you guys alive.
I can't wait for it.
I don't know why you care about illegals voting when you think Trump can just flip the whole election anyway. Who cares? You can just ask Pence to throw it all out.
I never said I thought Trump could flip the election.
Oh, do you think it was okay when he asked Pence to do it?
I already told you 5 times. I think that was a bad theory.
I didn't say it was a bad theory. You think it was allowed. You think it was an attempted coup. You think you can ask the vice president to unilaterally determine the outcome of the election?
No, Trump was exploring every option. The main thing he wanted was a 10-day investigation.
No, Trump wanted Pence to throw out the election to declare him the winner.
Imagine if Trump would say, like, I don't believe Joe Biden can be on the ballot. Imagine if federal judges...
I mean, it doesn't matter. It would go through the Supreme Court.
The court, and the court's going to decide
What would Republicans be doing right now?
Biden hasn't said that. Biden hasn't said that.
If Republicans were trying to take...
saying Obama should go on the ballot.
I feel like this is like the pinnacle of how fucked we are as a country when this is... This is probably some of the most robust and well-viewed political debate about January 6th. Is Alex Jones and Destiny fucking screaming at each other?
Hey.
Well, Alex Jones screaming and Destiny just trying to talk normally.
Republicans were trying to take Joe Biden on the ballot right now. What would you say?
Let the Supreme Court decide. Even this conservative Supreme Court, I'd say let them decide.
Yeah, we should. But Darren, you've been
Republicans have an impeachment committee right now.
Darren, what's on your brain right now?
Isn't that trying to remove?
Looking at you thinking.
Well, I can attempt to answer the question about federal involvement because my reporting at Revolver News is largely responsible for changing the national conversation in that direction.
And notice they first threatened to sue you. I'm leaving a minute. Take a piss. They first threatened to sue you. Now they've...
Is he going to go piss again?
You've been vindicated.
Yeah, in fact, I have a video. This is about Ray Epps.
He's going to go piss again? I mean, listen, I have to piss too sometimes, but, you know, they've been doing this for an hour and 44 minutes, and he's already pissed twice. And not at the beginning. I understand he probably did piss at the beginning, but he did one like 45 minute ago. How large is this guy's prostate? I mean, I took a piss. We're 2 hours in. I took a piss at like an hour ago. What the fuck?
So you just mentioned, Alex, it's clip number 3, and it's about 25 seconds long. We're going to play this, and then, Darren, I want to hear what you're about to say.
Okay.
Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. No! Peacefully. Fed. Tomorrow, I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested. Well, let's not say it. We need to go. I'll say it. All right. We need to go in.
Shut the fuck up, Boomer.
To the Capitol.
Okay. So that guy was saying they need to go to the Capitol. Are they saying that he's a fed?
Oh, well, wait. Ray Epps didn't do anything. He said peacefully at the end, right? We can move past it.
Well, no, he said go into the Capitol.
He said peacefully.
Well, so what? It's still illegal to go into the Capitol.
But peacefully was the operative word. Yeah, I thought peacefully made it all okay.
No, going in is illegal. Trump didn't say storm the Capitol. He didn't say go into the Capitol.
He's going to get 6 months in prison. So
no, I mean, you guys want to hear the argument for federal involvement or not?
Go for it. Yeah.
Not really.
Okay.
I want to.
Not really is very funny.
Here. All right. Well, there's
because I don't either.
A lot of dimensions to it. We can start with the Ray Epps issue. Here's a guy, you saw that was only part of the clip. There's much longer clips about Ray Epps. But here's a guy who's the only guy caught on camera as early as January 5th, repeatedly calling for people to go into the Capitol and prefacing his seemingly rehearsed remarks in each case, saying, I'm probably going to go to jail for this. I'm probably going to get arrested for this. You need to go into the Capitol.
Maybe he just kind of knew that he shouldn't be saying that on camera, but he's dumb and did it anyway. Oh.
The next day, he flew across the whole country, presumably to go hear Trump's speech. He skipped Trump's speech. Instead, he was a veritable Where's Waldo everywhere on January 6th, directing people, go into the Capitol. It's in that direction. That's where our problems are. Then, amazingly, he's pre-positioned right at that initial decisive reach point on the west perimeter of the Capitol, and he's whispering into somebody's ear just seconds.
He's whispering, kiss me on the lips.
Before the bike racks are broken through. He texts his nephew, I orchestrated it. On paper, think about it. He's like a 6'3", former Marine who was wearing camo gear and a Trump hat, and he just happens to have had a leadership position in the Oath Keepers, the most demonized and heavily prosecuted.
He used to, right? He didn't anymore.
The most demonized and heavily prosecuted militia group associated with January 6th. And the regime doesn't touch him. However, initially, his behavior was considered to be so egregious, he was one of the first 20 people added to the FBI's most wanted list about January 6th. He was prominently featured in the New York Times' ominously titled day of rage. Of all the clips the New York Times could have found and chosen, they chose Ray Epps to represent their thesis that this was a pre-planned insurrection to storm the Capitol. And then when the discussion of federal involvement came into being, one of our major pieces at Revolver News, literally the next day is when the FBI quietly removed him from their list. And all of a sudden, he went from FBI's most wanted and featured in the New York Times' Day of Rage to New York Times does a fully dedicated puff piece on him. 60 Minutes does a sympathy segment on him. He's the only...
super chatted $2. This is a based fest. A fest full of based, baseball, 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 baseball.
January 6th.
I agree. Thank you.
Participant that Adam Kinzinger, who's never met a Trump supporter he doesn't want to see rotting in jail for 50 years, that Adam Kinzinger will defend more aggressively than Epps' own lawyers. And now, almost 3 years after, the government finally says, okay, we're going to hit you with a wrist slap misdemeanor, as though people are so simple-minded to think, well, if the argument is hasn't been indicted, therefore he's a Fed, if we indict him now, even if it's a misdemeanor, even 3 years after, no matter what the circumstances, this constitutes a refutation and totally wipes away the mountains of suspicious evidence surrounding the character of Ray Epps. That's just the case of Epps.
I don't know anything about Ray Epps.
There are many other things.
Can I just touch on that real quick? So you mentioned a few things I want to touch on. So you talked about how he whispered in somebody's ear and moments later that guy went in the Capitol. That was Mr. Samsel.
Yep, that's right.
And Mr. Samsel actually testified under oath. I believe he was convicted. He said that Epps actually told him, calm down, the police are on our side.
Well, he's changed his story. I wouldn't rest.
Did you write the original Revolver article?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I set aside 3 days to go to Ray Epps 7. It took me 6 hours. He was one of the stupidest conspiracies I've ever seen in my entire life.
So the other thing I just want to
go for it. Real quick.
So you said that he didn't get convicted. He didn't get charged until
3 years later.
Okay. So the people who were charged with anything but misdemeanors were people who used violence and people who went into the House chamber where the joint session was, and the people who were involved in a seditious conspiracy. It had to be a conspiracy. Ray Epps acted alone here.
Well, no, I wouldn't. That's
as far as we can see, he acted alone. Anything else beyond that would just be a conspiracy theory. So he falls into the same category.
Well, seditious conspiracy is technically a conspiracy theory. It doesn't mean that it's not true, right?
Seditious conspiracy is a charge. The conspiracy theory is
a theory of the case.
A theory that there was a conspiracy that took place. So he doesn't fall into any category that any of the other protesters fall in, because he didn't fall into any of those 3 categories. So he got charged with a misdemeanor. Other people, the conspiratists, the people who use violence, and the people who went into the House chamber are the ones who were charged with felonies.
For the Ray Epps stuff, if you look at his story from start to finish, it is incredibly obvious. The guy is a boomer. The guy was a huge Trump supporter.
No,
he used to be part of the Oath Keepers a while before. That's what he testified to under oath. He used to be part of the Oath Keepers years earlier than he left, and he was the Arizona chapter. Ray Epps
was the head of the Arizona chapter.
That's fine. Ray Epps went to the march. You said he skipped the speech. Tons of people were listening to the speech on cell phones and other things and broadcasting to other people. Ray Epps was outside the speech. There's on video, I know, because you posted in your article with him literally telling people, let's go, we're marching to the Capitol.
That was before the speech.
Sure, yeah, but he's out to the ellipse.
He's telling people in advance of the speech we need to go to the Capitol, because somehow he got it in his mind that everything would end up at the Capitol.
I'm pretty sure he's doing it in his, as Trump is making the speech, not before the speech has begun.
No, he began before the speech began. There are timestamps on the video.
Then you can go back and watch it on the Revolver story's up there. For every single thing that you assert about him, that he's in video whispering into a guy's ear, you say it in the rest of your article, all he's doing on the day of, when the protesting is getting violent, is going up and down telling people, don't fight with the cops. Don't fight with the cops. The cops are on our side. That's what he's saying the entire time. The idea that he said that the entire day, but the one guy whose ear that he whispered into, that unfortunately we don't have audio capture of, that he and Samsel testified to, is he said, hey, the cops are on our side, or the cops aren't enemies. They both say something to that effect. And that seems to synergize with everything else he said on that day. You go on to say that guy immediately after was the one that broke down the fence. No, he's not. You can see like 15 people right next to him that are all trying to break down the fence. Yeah, the guy goes in eventually, but if we truly believe that this guy is a federal agent or is working to instigate the riot, we've laid out absolutely nothing supporting that. Just some video footage of another boomer being at the rally.
No.
Yeah, but they would never do that. It had to have been a federal agent, because the regular people would never do that. I don't know. This whole thing is fucking insane. Some of this is just beyond me. There's so much conspiracy going on here that it's fucking incredible. I mean, give me a break. Why would the government even want this to happen? I don't understand it. And again, how does that explain Trump not calling in the National Guard? How does that explain any of that?
That was there. If you want to say that, why was he removed from the FBI list? I mean, why was he removed from the FBI list? Like, all the information is out there. He said that after his video was identified and people on X started to identify him, and then because all of his online stuff is incredibly easy to find, he started to get phone calls, he started to get harassed, he started to get threats. So he called the FBI as soon as this was brought to his attention, and he told the FBI, hey, this was me, and here I am, and this is what's happening. And the FBI took him off the list.
No, wrong. Your timeline is wrong. He called the FBI
when he saw himself in the videos.
Wrong.
Yeah, a friend told him about it, and that's what he said. That's what he testified.
He called the FBI very shortly after January 6th because of his picture being on the most wanted list.
Okay.
He wasn't taken off the most wanted list until the middle part of 2021. There were multiple months span between him calling the FBI in the first instance and being quietly removed.
That's not true.
Yes, it is.
I mean, even if it's true, it sounds like the timeline is, hey, he realized he was on the list, so he called, and then they took him off the list after they investigated him? Is that what I'm hearing? This is not a very hot take.
No, that's not true.
Well, I mean,
I can tell you why it's not true, okay? Because what you did, because I read your article, is you looked at 2 archived versions of the website and you didn't have a 12-month archive. For some reason, you assumed that the recent snapshot that you took at 2021, you think that that was the first time the page has been changed. That was just the first time the page has been archived. Well, I don't think the FBI's made a statement, but what Epps testified to was that he either saw a video of himself or a friend saw a video of himself or a friend saw him on the list where people were, and then people were making videos, and then he called the FBI and he said, hey, I need to talk to you and this is what's going on. If he was a Fed, why would they remove him from the list when everybody's clearly looking at the list? He was one of the only people removed. Why would
why wouldn't they just keep him on the list if he was a Fed? That seems a little silly.
senators be defending him so vigilantly? Why wouldn't?
That's a great question. Why was he quietly removed right when the question of federal involvement became a major part of the national conversation?
And
let me just, I don't want to get lost in these weeds. I just want to say something quickly. So you're saying, he said, we need to go into the Capitol peacefully. And you point out correctly that in many instances caught on video, he's engaged in what you could call de-escalation of the crowd, and he's not urging people to violence. That's all correct. I never said he's urging people to violence. He was absolutely a provocateur, and his mission, as stated and as implemented and as orchestrated by his own verbatim text, was he wanted people to go into the Capitol peacefully.
That might be the case. Wait, that might be the case. And if that's all you're saying,
it's not all. No, that's everything. That's everything.
Nobody here is saying that he didn't say that and he didn't want people to do that. But the claim is that there's some sort of
illegal.
Federal, that's fine.
Well, yeah, but isn't the claim is just that he's a fucking Fed? That's it. That's the only thing that they're contesting. They're not contesting that he didn't help to incite violence or help to incite a riot or whatever.
He can be charged for it. Do you think anybody's here care if he gets charged for that crime? The issue is you're saying that he was doing it under the direction of a federal agency.
Yeah,
the 6'3" guy that looks like he's dying of type 2 diabetes and arthritis is somehow some intimidating Marine captain that's sending people into the Capitol. That was your
I feel like most Marine captains at this point are, right? Like the older ones.
claim that you provided zero evidence for, and you don't in either of the articles that you write about him.
We got Glenn back on the horn. And Glenn, we've been talking about Ray Epps. We played a video. I'm not sure if you saw it.
Not Glenn Beck.
Oh, did I say Glenn?
Greenwald.
Greenwald. Thanks, Glenn. That's so funny, Glenn.
They're hard to tell the difference between nowadays.
Glenn,
Glenn has been very patient. You should hear from Glenn Greenwald.
That's so funny. What's happened, dude?
Damn, why is this guy took such a big piss? What the fuck? I forgot that he wasn't even there. I feel bad for this one conservative. It's becoming a 3-on-1 debate.
Well, I only heard the last 4 minutes of the conversation, but I'm still always amazed by, I really don't understand the argument, because the FBI and the U.S. security state before January 6th was saying that they regard the greatest threat to national security not as being ISIS or Al-Qaeda or Hamas or Hezbollah or China or any other foreign threat. They regard the greatest threat as being right-wing domestic extremists in whom.
I mean, that makes sense. Right-wing domestic extremists that are in our country right now that are able to overthrow our government. That is a pretty big deal.
That was included on many lists, the Oath Keepers, the 3%ers, and all of the people in the groups that they said orchestrated January 6th. Is the argument that you think that the FBI was not monitoring and infiltrating those groups? Because there's actually a ton of evidence that the FBI had their hooks in all three of them.
Well, I mean, the FBI monitoring and invading the group isn't the same thing as the FBI trying to actively try to get those people to cause a riot.
Those groups, and not only had their hooks in them, but on January 6th had informants on the ground who were pretending to be Trump supporters who were talking in real time to the FBI about everything that was happening. So I just want to understand what the claim is. Is the claim that the FBI was not involved in the groups that organized January 6th and didn't have informants with them that day?
They weren't instigated. That's your claim.
It came out that the vice president of the Oath Keepers was an FBI informant. The Proud Boys had at least 3 and as many as 8. And the New York Times.
Wow, they'll trust fucking anybody then, huh?
Times itself reported.
Wait, an FBI informant?
With them that day?
They weren't instigated. That's your claim.
It came out that the vice president of the Oath Keepers was an FBI informant.
An informant. Okay. So there's a difference between an FBI agent and an informant. What that suggests to me is that this guy was doing some dumb shit and then he got caught. So they're like, hey, inform for us and we'll reduce your sentence. That doesn't really seem like, okay, isn't that what our government's supposed to do? That's not a big deal.
The Proud Boys had at least 3 and as many as 8. And the New York Times itself reported that there were FBI informants in the Proud Boys who were inside the Capitol texting their handlers as the event unfolded.
Yeah, so that they can keep an eye on what's going on to try to mitigate violence. Okay.
They recorded the garage. They recorded the garage meeting the day before, and the Fed said in the report nothing was said violent or no planning.
Yeah. Brian, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, so I'm just confused. So you're saying that Ray Epps was actually a federal agent who was indicted, who pled guilty, and is likely going to get 6 months in prison? Is that your argument?
Well, the New York Times protected him.
Wait. So about Epps, so a couple of things there. You don't find it a little bit strange?
No, wait.
I'll get to you. I promise you. I promise you I'll address that. But let's just consider the context. The context in the immediate aftermath of January 6th, by the words of Steve Sherwin, who is in charge of the prosecution, their posture was one of quote unquote shock and awe. They were going after everyone. They were hitting them very hard. Now, again, think about central casting. On paper, Ray Epps, he's the 6'3", former Marine in camouflage gear with a Trump hat, the only guy caught on video as early as the 5th telling people to go into the Capitol, who's there on the 6th directing people to the Capitol, who's right there pre-positioned at that initial breach phase. And this
helping ram signs.
Exactly. And he happens to be a former head of the Oath Keepers. And you're not telling me it's bizarre. Wait a second. You're not telling me it's at least a little bit bizarre that of all January 6 participants, he's the only one who gets a New York Times puff piece. He's the only one who gets a 60 minutes sympathy segment. He's the only one that Adam.
The Oath Keepers is an American far-right anti-government militia whose leaders have been convicted of violence. I'm not understanding that. I maybe I'm just dumb, but I'm not understanding the constant call to them being an Oath Keeper in a way that suggests that wouldn't Oath Keeper be part of an insurrection, of this insurrection, since they're like far-right groups? I'm a little confused.
Kinzinger will defend.
So are you saying that New York Times is now working with the feds, working with Ray Epps?
Yes. No, as a matter of fact, yes.
Why do you think they all wrote those articles?
Why did they say they were WMDs in Iraq?
So going back.
Why did they write those articles? Why don't you say that part?
I want to address your question directly. You're saying if you were an asset, and by the way, I'm not definitive in the sense that, I don't think he was working directly for the FBI. I don't even know if he was directly working for the federal government. He was an asset. He was acting on behalf of a third party. He was not an authentic actor on that day. That I will say with a great deal of confidence. But wait a second.
It's a victory. Let me say one thing. I've been over 10 minutes. It's a victory. They went from saying he's an angel, CNN, MSNBC, New York Times. He's perfectly now. Because of pressure, they've been forced to indict him.
Alex, quick thing on that. The criminal complaint acknowledges that he engaged in quote unquote felonious behavior. But among the mitigating factors that they cite is, this poor guy was a victim of all these conspiracy theories. It was pretty remarkable.
He was, though. He was.
I want to address
that. I mean, I feel like anybody who believes in this Trump nonsense is a fucking victim of conspiracy. I get why you might want to vote him in, whatever. You want to be anti-establishment or something. You feel like politicians are lying to you, whatever. But I mean, if you go as far to think that the election was stolen, I feel bad for you, honestly.
Why don't you answer why were people writing?
I want to just quickly answer the question about your question. Basically, if he was an asset, why did they go after their own asset? Why would they indict their own asset? That happens all the time. In fact, that's almost the norm. That ultimately,
in the mafia, when they have undercover people, they'll indict them just as a cover.
When the assets become liabilities, they indict them. In fact, we don't have to go too far into the past to get a case of that. There is the Michigan Fednapping case, or the Michigan kidnapping case, where there is the informant Steve Robeson, who was a long time, over decade-long informant, who was part of the entrapment scheme in Michigan case with striking parallels to January 6th, by the way. And he, when he became inconvenient, was indicted by the government. There's so many
cases. For actually breaking the law.
Yes. Better argument.
I want to get my point in really fast. I haven't been able to get my point in. So you're saying that Ray Epps is a federal agent.
Well, I didn't say that. I said he was acting on behalf of a third party. He was an inauthentic actor on January 6th.
Even though there's no evidence of this. And then you're saying he's turning around and he's suing Fox News for defamation, which is going to open up all sorts of cans of worms with Discovery that he's going to have to provide legally in front of a court. You think that if he was a federal agent, he'd be suing Fox News for defamation?
I know they control the jurisdiction, but he did say in a text message that day during it, I orchestrated the attack.
You think he's going to sue for defamation?
He was
bragging to his nephew that asked if he was there.
And he said, I orchestrated it.
I orchestrated
to his nephew.
To his nephew.
I mean, maybe he really did orchestrate it, or maybe he was bragging to a family member just because he thought it made him look cool. Yeah, I orchestrated this. I'm pretty good. Grandpa, can you tell us your favorite story? Well, I orchestrated a January 6th riot. But I could see that. I could see somebody just kind of bragging, retelling the story falsely.
Why would a federal agent text such incriminating evidence to his nephew?
Why was he indicted before?
That's a good question. Well, obviously, because federal agents are dumb.
We made him the centerpiece of congressional hearings. He was all over the news. They were forced to do it thanks to Tucker Carlson and Professor Darren Beatty's work.
Wait, why do you trust Tucker Carlson when he said he lied to you? Tucker Carlson said Sidney Powell was crazy. Tucker Carlson left Fox News because he didn't believe the election fraud claims, that he was being forced to push on TV because of Trump. Why would you trust Tucker Carlson of all people?
Tucker early on thought it was wrong. Now he says he was wrong about that. Now he says he thinks the election.
Oh, crazy. When his lawsuit goes away, the answers change.
Listen, whether you're right or wrong, you have a right to question the elections. The Democrats are
no one wants to take that right from you.
Brian, you were saying?
Yes.
Can I say something here? Because I think
Glenn Greenwald. Glenn, go ahead.
The whole context for this conversation is, again, I mean, you just keep going back to it because it's so easy to see. People have this idea of the FBI, like, oh, they don't do this sort of thing. Earlier, I think it was Ed who said, wait, why would the New York Times run a puff piece? Do you think they're working with the FBI? Like, that idea to him is so different.
I didn't say that. It was me.
No idea what the history of the FBI is in this country. They have no idea that the FBI throughout the entire war on terror did this over and over. They would target and entrap all sorts of vulnerable Muslims to engage in plots that the FBI created in order to create a narrative that the FBI was needed because there was a much bigger threat of Islamic terrorism than there actually was. The FBI has been infiltrating and then using provocateurs to encourage groups to commit crimes so that the FBI can gain more power, can spread this narrative. You have to be incredibly naive or only paying attention to the news since 2016 and thinking Donald Trump is the only issue, not to understand that this is what the FBI has been doing for decades. And so to have this like naive attitude, like, oh, it's the New York Times working with the FBI, that is what the media in this country has been doing.
But you have no evidence of it. You're just making theories up.
By the way, if I could just add a nice little colorful detail.
Some would call them conspiracy theories.
There, the author of the Ray Epps puff piece that asked none of the questions that would get to the core of his involvement there. It's total puff piece. You can read it yourself. The author of that, his previous work includes the CIA authorized account of the Sinaloa cartel.
Yeah,
so
the idea of the New York Times, the idea of the New York Times is doing cleanup work for the deep state is insane. What Glenn Greenwald was saying is key. I remember the New York Times headline. They can pull it up in there. We're not showing videos or clips. It would be too much here. I remember the New York Times headline like 15 years ago. 97% of Islamic terror plots were hatched and run by the FBI. That was the headline.
We're getting.
I feel like that can't be true.
So far
including the first World Trade Center bombing, by the way, which is
Alex, just one real quick thing. You said Ray Epps was one of the last to be charged. He isn't the last to be charged. There's 1,200 people that have been charged. 1,250, I believe.
Who said he's the last to be charged?
Alex said they waited 3 years.
I mean, that's got to be true, right? 97% of it. This is fucking wild. Okay.
Yeah, they waited 3 years. That's
do you realize that they're still indicting people and they expect that they're probably going to...
They had puff pieces. He was on ABC.
Let me finish my point, Alex.
Oh my God.
So do you realize that there's...
It's kind of nicer when Alex is taking a piss. He's unironically fucking obnoxious.
Still indicting people. There's likely going to be hundreds of people still indicted. Ray Epps didn't get any less a sentence than anybody else that did anything like it.
Well, first of all, they could have hit him with far more serious charges than they did.
He addressed me.
What would the charge be?
Let me respond.
What charge do you recommend? What charge would have been a fair
charge? May I respond
charge?
to what you said?
Yeah, let Alex respond. Then I want to hear Darren's response.
My God, the man is like a chicken with his head cut off for 3 days, including the day of the event, running around saying, go in the Capitol. He's ramming signs into people. He testifies, I orchestrated this attack.
You're not testifying.
And then that was the Jan 6 committee. They asked about the text message. He said, I did that.
He didn't testify that he orchestrated.
No, he testified to the Jan 6 committee.
He sent the message to his nephew.
No, he testified to the Jan.
And he orchestrated it to the Gen 6 committee?
You keep interrupting because you can't.
You're not telling the truth.
I'm Michael Jordan slamming on you. And what's going to happen is everybody's going to get this clip.
Yep.
He testified to the Jan 6 committee. They said, is this your text message?
Yes.
He said, yes. I told my nephew I orchestrated it.
Yeah, I think that's different. But there's a difference between like, yeah, I sent the text message to my nephew saying I orchestrated it versus testifying that he did orchestrate it. Okay.
Now stop. Let me finish my point.
Okay.
Thank
you for being honest.
You keep acting honest. He said I orchestrated it. You keep acting like
he said to his nephew that he said that.
Yes. In a text message.
There you go.
And he did orchestrate
So he did testify. So the point is, you keep acting like my victory is a failure.
Wait, where's the evidence that he orchestrated it?
If I orchestrated overthrowing the government, the first person I would tell is my nephew, obviously. That's the number one person.
He said it.
But to his nephew. I text my friends things all the time.
Like, it's fine that you think that he actually did orchestrate it, but the intentionally deceptive language is just kind of embarrassing. You know, he apparently told his nephew that he orchestrated this, and then he testified that that's what he told his nephew. It's not the same thing as saying that he did it. All right? Those are two different things.
Let me finish my point. Because you guys, let me finish my point. They're all over every major corporate channel saying this poor little baby. They're saying he was a Fed or an operative or a provocateur for some NGO. He didn't do anything wrong. And when it got so obvious, they finally indicted him with a slap on the wrist. And then you're sitting here saying he didn't testify. He just testified. Whoa.
No, he said he didn't testify that he orchestrated. He testified that he sent that text to his nephew.
Then he orchestrated
but no, then they asked him. No, Alex, then they asked him if he actually orchestrated it. What was his answer?
In the transcript, he said...
it wasn't that he orchestrated it.
So if I send somebody a message saying a bank is robbed, I robbed the bank.
Have you ever embellished a text message to anybody that you know? Like you?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is that Alex Jones he could just engage with that and be like, no, I still believe he did it. But he's trying to make it seem like the guy said that he did it, when apparently he actually testified that he didn't do it.
Maybe not you. I can't see you doing that, but maybe.
Actually, I'm kind of understanding.
Yeah, Alex, you started bringing up a good point. If I send a text message saying I robbed the bank, can I get charged with robbing a bank if I didn't do it?
If they got evidence.
Exactly. They need the evidence.
And it's not like he's there saying go into the building.
They need
it's
the
not like he's there saying go to the and ramming signs. You're right. He's not there saying go in for 3 days. He's not there ramming signs. You're right. Ray Epps is innocent.
What's funny is knowing Turkey Tom is sitting off screen in that studio. Is he really? Is Turkey Tom just chilling over there, hanging out with Destiny? That's a little funny if that's true. Or you're fucking trolling me and you're banned.
He's not there ramming signs.
Can we get back to my question? So my question.
You guys are indefensible.
My question is, what should Ray Epps have been charged with? What law did he break that instead of what he was charged with? I think was obstructing the proceeding.
Let him respond.
No, he was not charged with that. That's the interesting thing.
He was charged with.
He was not charged with obstruction of an official proceeding, which would have been a very easy charge and a fairly typical felony charge.
Damn, Alex is getting mad at his own people at this point. What the hell?
Exactly. So wait. Let me answer this comprehensively. So first of all, it's extremely strange, given how conspicuous and egregious and concentrated his behavior was, that he somehow was able to avoid the obstruction of official proceeding charge. Number one. Number two, there are even more serious charges.
Well, Destiny invited him. I'd love to see Turkey Tom weigh in on this very important situation.
Just they could have given him. In fact, in the series of videos that we put out, there's one specific exchange he had with another guy. He said, "When we go in, leave this here. We don't want to get shot." So when we go in, leave this here. He's referring to that individual's bear spray. That individual ends up going into the Capitol, committing violence, and doing a whole bunch of other things. And this is a bizarre case because this guy...
Okay, but who cares? It has nothing to do with anything. What's the contestment is that he was a federal agent. I feel like a federal agent wouldn't tell their nephew that they... I don't know. Maybe I'm dumb.
It was super egregious. has to this day not fully been charged. His case hasn't even gone to a district judge yet. So let me give you a sense. Let me give you a sense. Because when we're evaluating these things, we have to compare them to standards applied to others.
Now, let me stop you. You'll go next. Owen Schroyer, I've known him 8 years. He's a badass guy that helps disabled children and is literally like a super good person.
Sounds like a nice guy.
No criminal issues in his life.
Helping disabled children? Kind of gay.
Other than protesting, he is with me saying, don't go in. They charge him, and in the charging documents say, Owen's lying. He doesn't work for InfoWars. That's in the charging documents, the sentencing documents. The judge says, I'm putting you in these months in federal prison because you just questioned the election again and gave 3 examples of where he did it. So Owen spends months in a federal prison.
Why don't you talk about the deferred agreement that he had in 2019?
Oh, I agree, I will. Code Pink runs around and protesting. He put tape over his mouth when they were letting leftists run around and throw red paint in Congress, and they said, sir, you can't do that.
And he agreed that he wouldn't do it. And
he didn't protest. He went there to cover it as a journalist.
He was in a restricted area, though.
No, he was on. Listen, Ray Epps is not. Listen. Owen is there with me saying, don't go in. He agreed he would not protest. He was there saying, don't go in the Capitol, and you're not going to defend him going to prison.
But he pled guilty to everything that he got charged with.
Because it's a rigged DC court.
Or he...
Yeah, I agree. Everything's a conspiracy theory when it's against me.
Or you could
It's funny because like the problem is on our side. We've got testimony under oath. We've got judicial rulings. We've got jury trials. We've got full videos.
Everybody's got the video.
We have all of these. We have all of these pieces of evidence.
And you say
I can't finish a single statement. Yeah. The problem
is, tell you something. Say my reporter deserves to go to jail for being there and trying to keep the
He had a deferment. He pled guilty.
Yeah. What do you do in a rigged DC court?
Fight your case.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Innocent fight. If you have evidence that you're innocent, fight. But there was no evidence because he broke the agreement that he signed, and then he pled guilty and said, I broke the agreement that I signed.
So somebody working for Alex Jones is getting indicted as what a fucking shocker.
And agreed to the sentence that the sentencing guidelines.
And Trump should be able to run for office.
Also, this entire argument has been you again arguing for an insurrection, for rebellion. All we have, everything we have over here is actual testimony under oath, actual judicial rulings, actual rulings by judges, actual rulings by Supreme Court. We can provide these arguments, we can provide the evidence, we can provide the testimony. And all you do is go, oh well, I don't trust the courts. Oh well, I don't trust statements made under oath. Oh well, hasn't the FBI done this in the past? You can skirt by providing hard evidence. I gotta be able to finish one thing. You can skirt by on providing any hard evidence for literally a single claim that you've made today. There hasn't been any evidence provided to support any of the claims made today. And you are hand brushing away every single other claim that's made literally under oath by people that were loyal to Trump, by people that Trump trusted over and over again. And
the real question here is, how come the Red Among Us is like the flagship Among Us guy? How come he's the one that everybody thinks of when they think of Among Us? I think we should all reflect on that question.
At the end of the day, like, what could you possibly be advocating for besides an insurrection? I can't finish the thing. I think it's because when I talk, you get really afraid. I appreciate it. I understand. Okay.
You just said, when I defended Owen, you just said, here you are advocating for insurrection again. Exact quote. A guy saying, don't go in the Capitol as a reporter, and you don't even stand up for the First Amendment.
You don't trust the court? Do you trust the courts?
I don't think most Americans do. That's when you have real.
Okay, if you don't trust
I generally trust the courts. I'm sure they make some shit decisions sometimes, but decently trust them.
Sure. Real revolution. What do you do in a real revolution?
Hey, listen, we're not trying to go there right now.
We are there right now. We just were. It's January 6th. If there was any time to go there,
don't worry.
Don't touch me.
Listen, if there is one,
where would you?
Did he just say don't touch me?
I don't think most Americans do. That's when you have real.
Okay, if you don't trust the court, real revolution. What do you do in a real revolution?
Hey, listen, we're not trying to go there right now.
We are there right now. We just were. It's January 6th. If there was any time to go there,
worry.
don't touch me.
Listen, if there is one,
where would you?
Oh my God, Alex Jones is fucking. He's getting pissed. Oh, he's touching him too. He's trying to be intimidating when he puts his hand on there and touches him. That's an intimidation tactic, in my opinion, at least in this context. He's getting fucking pissed. He's gonna have to go take a literal piss again. He's probably not peeing. He's probably calming himself down.
If there is one, you're gonna lose.
Sure. Okay, we'll see. Okay, didn't like 4 people dying on January 6th from obesity and meth? These are the people we have to fight. I think we'll be okay.
Ashley Babbitt, you're demonizing her? Was she on meth?
I don't think she was one of the 4 that died from meth. She definitely got shot.
Did she deserve to be shot?
She was trying to climb.
Yeah, she deserved to be shot if she was trying to climb a building and whatever.
Into an area where federal agents were saying you climbing.
Federal gods?
Federal gods? I'm sorry, do federal agents not have the right to shoot people?
So you would have pulled the trigger on her. You like that?
If I was one of the federal agents there and I thought it was a
their job is to protect. Their job is to protect the people inside.
Yeah, their job is to protect the people inside. And if she was a threat, then oh well.
I like that. No, you guys were the ones cheering on the other side.
All right, I think
you guys were cheering for it the entire time.
Talking about Owen.
I want to know, what do we do if we don't trust the courts? We don't trust the courts. We don't trust the president.
Hey, Julian Assange deserves to be in prison.
I'm not here to talk about Julian Assange or the rest of your friends. Okay, tell me, what do we do if we don't trust? There's a reason he won't answer the question. The reason why is because he answers rebellion and insurrection. There's a reason why they marched.
We are going to get back to.
I talked about Owen, who was there peacefully and said,
they should do commercial breaks for this or something. Just like 5 minutes every so often to calm these guys down.
Go in, and he said, you're defending insurrection. Everybody's going to play that quote. That's not true.
Okay, and you know what I agree? I think claiming that is a defense of insurrection is different. You were defending maybe Owen?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to get back to Darren because there was a question that was, we took a
Thank God Alex Jones has a handler to help him run defense for his fucking perspective.
And also, Glenn, I think you look like you're about to say something. So if you wanted to speak first.
Yeah, Darren, go ahead first on just to close the Ray Epps thing, but I do want to say something as well about what I've been hearing.
I'm fine.
What charges do you think he should have gotten?
I think he could and should have gotten far more serious charges. The first example is the easiest and most readily available: obstruction of official proceeding, which is basically the standard charge for people who have done far less egregious things.
No, but it really isn't, though, because the only people who are charged with that, I believe, are the people who went into the House chamber.
No.
The people that walked through the Capitol did not get charged with that.
First of all, that's not the case, and second of all, that's not an ironclad law. That's not an ironclad law pertaining to the application of that charge. Secondly, there's a far more serious conspiracy charge that the government had available to them if we use the standards that they've applied in similar January 6 cases.
It was way worse than Joe Biggs or Stuart Rhodes. I mean, he's literally, where's Stuart Rhodes saying invade the Capitol? Where's Stuart Rhodes attacking people or ramming signs? Ray Epps did that.
Stuart Rhodes literally said that if Trump doesn't impose the Insurrection Act, that we need an insurrection. And he said, storm the Capitol. And he went into the Capitol and he hurt police officers.
Didn't he call for people to...
Joe Biggs did. Joe Biggs went into the Capitol.
Joe Biggs, either Joe Biggs or Stuart Rhodes.
Stuart Rhodes did not do that.
No, one of them, I forget which one it was. He said that.
Yeah, Joe Biggs.
You don't even know what I'm going to say.
He deserves a year in jail. He doesn't.
You don't know what I'm going to say, though. One of them called for people to defend the White House and shoot to kill the National Guard.
Let me just answer really quickly. Let me say something.
I love that these guys cannot finish a fucking sentence, dude. This is insane.
Rhodes did say that on air, and I told him he was wrong to his face. So I'm going to be honest.
Wait a second. One thing.
Before it happened, he did say if Trump calls us out for a civil war, and I was like, dude, I'm not for this on air.
One thing.
I'm not for this on air. Incredible.
Quickly, you wanted an example of somebody who didn't go into the Capitol who got obstruction of the official proceeding?
Yeah.
Thomas Caldwell. That's one of many.
I'm not familiar.
Well, I'm going to be honest. Stuart Rhodes did say what he just said.
So you put that. So if you put that together with,
no, I guess it wasn't rhetoric. It was dangerous.
So I mean, if you put that together with the planning, him and Biggs were planning on two different ends. One Oath Keepers, one.
There's no proof they planned it.
Well, if you look at the Telegram messages,
an undercover agent recorded the conversation in the garage.
But have you looked at the Telegram messages where they're basically instructing people where to go and where they're at and that saying, hey, we stormed the Capitol, we took the Capitol.
Yeah, there's no doubt there was LARPing without Trump's directives of some people talking about that.
All right, wait, why don't we trust their messages, but we do trust Ray Epps bragging to his nephew that he orchestrated it?
No, I just said they were talking about it.
We're going to go. Yeah, Glenn, let's let Glenn finish this one off because then I have another question for you guys.
Yeah, the whole thing, like listening to them, honestly, it's like listening. I don't mean to be insulting. I'm just saying this, it's what it sounds like. Like seventh graders who learn civics class and have this understanding of how the U.S. government works. Like, oh, the FBI investigate and they discover crimes and then they go to the courts and the courts are very honest and the courts are apolitical and the courts make rulings. And everything that has happened in January 6th, and you can even look at the people they picked and choose who to expand the law, the people who ended up getting prosecuted on felony counts, even though they were nonviolent, had these incredibly novel interpretations of law that were used against them.
I mean, they broke into the Capitol. I don't understand why are we downplaying that? That's a pretty bad thing.
To turn nonviolent demonstration and nonviolent political protest into felony by taking this post-Enron law and giving it a stretched meaning that it never had before. And the reason so many of them plead guilty is because they know that if they go into court, they're going to have rulings against them because a lot of these judges, especially in Washington, are not only Democratic Party judges, but the entire system is furious to watch people go and put their feet up on Nancy Pelosi's desk. So the entire system decided that this has to be punished regardless of what the law provides. You had the FBI with their hooks inside.
I'm not understanding. Are we trying to claim that the law doesn't say you shouldn't break into government buildings? I'm so confused.
All of these groups, but I do understand that if you believe in this like story of American propaganda, that the FBI is these upstanding law enforcement people and they don't do that, and then the courts go and make rulings, then you're going to end up with this image of what the three of them have, which is this.
I mean, yeah, sure. You could argue there's corruption, but we saw people go into the building. They weren't allowed in there. Of course they're going to get charged. This is what happens when you commit a crime.
This idea that this was one of the worst attacks in American history, the courts have ruled everything the government did in this case is consistent with their longstanding view before January 6th, that these groups are criminal groups. They need to be criminalized. Trump's movement is a threat to them.
They need an interrupter. They need somebody to just start interrupting these guys.
The United States and the entire part of January 6th was designed to define them as an insurrectionary movement so that they could criminalize them, which is exactly what they're doing.
890 convictions or guilty pleas, 2 acquittals, 2. 890 to 2. So is that
were accused of violence?
They're not convicted of insurrection.
170 or so were for violent acts.
Parading.
Exactly. A tiny number, a small percentage.
Yeah, and the Supreme Court is, and they should be.
Usually what happens in the United States with nonviolent protesters or even with violent protesters is they don't get charged with anything. A tiny percentage of people who use violence throughout all of the Black Lives Matter protests ended up in jail because the ideology in which they were protesting was one that was considered positive and friendly by the institutions of authority. They were on the side.
Or maybe they just couldn't find the people. I mean, okay, there's a difference between BLM and January 6th. Like, destroying shit is bad. I imagine more of the individuals were probably kept their faces hidden. People that were doing... Were people bragging all over social media about being in the January 6th riot? And they broke into a Capitol building, which is worse than anything that the BLM was doing. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, breaking into a Capitol building, not punishing that aggressively, communicates to people that what they're doing is okay. You can't slap them on the wrist. You have to go incredibly hard in. More than anything else. Meanwhile, you go and destroy a Target, whatever. But I'm pretty sure it was easier to figure out who did January 6th than like random BLM fucking rioters or looters that were trying to destroy things and covering their faces. These are two very different things. Why are we constantly comparing to BLM though?
side of Black Lives Matter. They didn't prosecute that. The Trump movement and the right-wing extremists, as the government calls them, are considered enemies of the state. And that was why the entire law enforcement mechanisms were distorted.
If you want to actually make these...
Let me just back up Blaine briefly. I'll shut up. I'll take a 5-minute break.
One second. Let me finish. It's not the same to compare Black Lives Matter protesters and protesters who entered the Capitol building during the certification of the election. Those are not, that's like
Democrats have bombed the U.S. Capitol. Democrats have bombed it.
What the fuck is he talking about?
Police stations, and they had within them people who were insurrectionary.
And they got charged, and as they should have. They got charged.
Barely any of them got charged.
There are plenty of them that were charged. There are plenty that were charged.
Can I just say one thing? I'm going to say one thing. I'm going to take a break here.
Yeah, we're actually all going to be taking a short 5-minute break here in a moment.
I'm just going to say this right now. Ladies and gentlemen, we saw billions of dollars of stuff burned down. We saw all the killings, and we never said all Democrats are involved in that. Biden gave a speech yesterday that was hilarious in my view, literally saying everyone in D.C. was a terrorist. They're
in his view.
All bad. You can't vote for Trump. We're taking him off the ballot. America's going into martial law to stop him.
What?
A republic is in danger. I got the transcript right here.
Yeah, where he said that. Everyone in D.C. is a terrorist. That's a Biden direct quote. No, is that Hunter Biden or Joe Biden?
I know you love Hunter, but the point is, this was a hysterical diatribe. This is dangerous.
So, Alex, what if instead of the Capitol was a White House and there's thousands of people at the White House fence and they pushed through the fence? Do you think those people deserve more of a criminal penalty than people that were rioting in, I don't know, L.A.?
No, I mean, if it turns out they were under the directive of foreign power.
No, it was just a bunch of Americans.
Did they kill a cop? It's the crime they commit.
If a bunch of Americans, when Trump was in the White House, stormed the White House fences
guns
with weapons and made it past,
like Ashley Babbitt got shot?
No, made it past the fence.
The Trump supporter shot Ashley Babbitt. Okay.
Made it past the fence, and they were at the doors of the White House. Do you think that they would act?
When Trump asked for the National Guard to stop that, Milley said no.
Trump didn't ask for the National Guard.
He didn't ask for the National Guard.
Milley's on record saying, I threatened to resign if Trump was stripped.
That wasn't January 6th. That was weeks before.
You just said about the White House.
Yeah, but nobody was actually.
I'm giving you specifics.
Did anybody cross police barricades into the White House?
You know what I saw was the police, after a little bit of a fight, opened the doors and waved people in, and a bunch of them...
They didn't wave people in.
Oh my God, everybody, get the footage of
there's
the
one
police
clip
waving
out of 40,000 hours.
There's hundreds.
There's no hundreds of clips of people waving people through the door. What I saw were people breaking the windows, climbing through broken windows, unlocking multiple doors, and letting other people in. Once in, police were forced to basically de-escalate the situation. And
yeah, I mean, like, what can the police do when you're outnumbered like 50-1?
Make sure that the Congress people were protected. At that point, they were out.
So yeah, you're just trying to do your best to de-escalate. I don't know if they're waving people in, but what are you supposed to do?
Number 10-1, the Capitol Police to the rioters. At that point, those videos where they're walking alongside people, they're funneling them into the rotunda.
I was there.
You weren't in the Capitol, and I give you credit for that. You knew when to turn around.
The Wall Street Journal said I was cowardly on top of a car commanding people to invade. But thank God Jack Posobiec, because I didn't have a Twitter then, put the video out of me saying don't go in. I got there in the middle of it. Man,
I'm glad you did, and you made the right decision.
When you're there with 300,000 people, it's 1 million in town, and they don't even know what's happening from. They're being guided in. A lot of those innocent people that just walked to the Capitol have been sent to prison.
All right, we're gonna take.
Were there 300,000 people there? That's fucking insane. Is that really like the actual number? I feel like that was way less than 300,000 people.
Well, actually, we're not going to be taking a break. You might be, but I want to ask you guys. Talking about these people in prison.
Oh, we should take a break.
And these prison sentences. So I want to talk to you briefly about if you think these prison sentences that some of these people are getting are justified or not. And then we're going to be taking questions from the audience from Zero Hedge Premium. So if you haven't signed up at zerohedge.com, sign up for the premium service.
Sign up for myballs.com. I'm taking a fucking piss break again because I gotta piss. I got that Alex Jones bladder.
And you may be able to get a question before we wrap. But what do you guys think? I mean, let me start with you, Darren.
Oh, I love to hear you guys rap.
Because I haven't heard from you.
By the way, I don't want to rap. I mean, I say take a break. A lot of people are tuning in now. I'll keep having this debate all day long.
Yeah, we might keep going. But Darren, what do you think about the prison sentences in general that these people have been getting?
I think they're completely overblown, and they're it's consistent with what we're talking about. This amplification.
No, you should set an example out of them. You need to set an example of people who break into the fucking Capitol building. That's it. You need to. You need to go even harder than somebody doing another crime, because this is them breaking into like a government building, and the government can't show weakness on this. They have to show you that if you fuck around, you're gonna find out. Makes perfect sense. Whatever they're getting.
Of January 6th into this false domestic terrorist act, and the stakes. What are the stakes involved? The reason it's being amplified in this fashion is to justify the further weaponization of the national security apparatus against Trump.
No, it's because they need to set a harsh example, because they can't show that the government is weak on this. They have to be incredibly aggressive. What are you talking about?
And to suppress the energies associated with Trump's movement. Therefore, you have these crazy sentencing. I think they're all crazy. Even those top sentences for the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, 20 years, 18 years. It's simply insane when you think about, again, all of it has to be comparative. There are people guilty of murder who get less prison time. And the self-described, self-professed posture of the DOJ in the immediate aftermath of January 6th is one of shock and awe, which...
But I guess we need to increase the amount of prison time for murderers, not decrease the time here.
Ominously, but kind of unwittingly, accurately, recalls the Iraq War and the war on terror. This is not an accident. It's very fitting that the Department of Homeland Security is the tip of the spear when it comes to this repurposing of the national security apparatus. It was the Department of Homeland Security that said white supremacy is the #1 national security threat, and by white supremacy, they mean Trump. All of these people have also said January 6th was a white supremacist Insurrection. Hillary.
I mean, the Proud Boys are a white supremacist group, no? Wouldn't that be why?
Clinton has said that MAGA is a white supremacist slogan, so that helps to contextualize and clarify.
And all these movies are coming out.
What they mean when they say white supremacy is the #1 national security threat. And so basically, these people, even the people who committed illegal acts, are in effect political prisoners because of the political context of these prosecutions, which are vastly overblown and could only make sense within this political context of the weaponization, not only of the national security state, but unfortunately now also the legal apparatus.
And let's go on the line with Glenn again.
The Among Us.
And all you guys. But I just want to say something. This is important, folks.
I like that Alex Jones is doing more direction than the supposed debate moderator here. Yeah, we're going to go to Glenn after this, but I just want to say, in June of 2021, Biden put out a national security memorandum, which you just mentioned, saying right-wing extremism is the #1 threat. Then he defined that as white supremacism and then said questioning open borders, questioning elections, questioning lockdowns, questioning 4 shots. That's in the report. I've shown it hundreds of times on air. It's literally questioning 4 shots? Okay, I doubt he said that.
Declaring the people enemy. Then he gives a speech with this red background with Marines. I thought I was watching Adolf Hitler. And then yesterday...
Oh my God. Alex is fucking insane, dude.
It was a speech saying, they're taking over, they're a danger, we're at war, all off a riot at the Capitol. At best, it's a riot, and obviously provocateur. So this is a branding of 80 million voters plus as a political enemy.
I don't think that even people who voted Trump is not the same thing as like a Trump supporter, like insane fucking psychopath goblin. I don't know what you were talking about here. He's not demonizing 80 million people. What are you talking about?
This is extremely totalitarian, extremely dangerous. And I was there. I know. You're in a crowd of hundreds of thousands. You're up, tear gas is coming down. You can't even see what's happening at the Capitol. You're saying, don't go in there. We've got a stage. I go there. There's a stage, no one there. I mean, we were set up. And I was set up. And thank God that I waited 30, 40 minutes. I didn't know what to do. I was like, this is weird. How do I lead a crowd that's already left? I was there. And so all I'm saying is this is not the basis to indict populist Americans and say they're terrorists. And if the U.S. government spent the equivalent of $10 trillion, you know, they spent $1 trillion in Afghanistan of real current numbers, but the estimates now are $10 trillion in current dollars in Vietnam, and the Vietnamese wouldn't give up. So Swallowsville says, we'll use F-16s, we'll just kill Americans and take your guns. F-16s don't take guns, folks.
He keeps calling them populist Americans. A person, especially a politician, who strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are being disregarded by established elite groups. Usually people will call somebody populist as a negative, saying... like appealing to populism, appealing to people who feel like their concerns are being disregarded, even if those concerns aren't realistic. I wonder if that's like almost like a Bernie Sanders play to be like, yeah, you know what, I am oh, you're gonna call me a socialist, and I'll call myself a democratic socialist. I wonder if that's one of those things. So he's reclaiming a populism.
I don't want a civil war. I don't want violence. But the entire deep state couldn't defeat the Vietnamese. And now they want a war with the American people while they have one with Russia and while they have one with China. This is madness. It needs to stop. I don't want a war with Democrats. I don't want civil war. I don't have some dream of this. But this is the election strategy of Joe Biden is civil war.
What?
Glenn, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I think this is...
I mean, Trump has pushed exponentially more anti-Democrat conspiracy theory than Biden has at all. So if anybody wants to fucking... if I was going to pick between those two, which one was more likely to want a civil war, I'd say it was Trump.
Really the nub of everything. Like, I really do think that the three of them actually believe what they're saying. I'm now like actually realizing this. And the reason they believe it is because they don't know the history of the war on terror. They don't know the history.
This guy's debate broing so hard. Yeah, I think these guys agree with it, have their perspective, because they just don't know any history. It's like, okay.
History of the Cold War. They don't know what the CIA and the FBI and the U.S. security state have been constructed to do and the role that they played in our domestic politics. Every single time that there's some new crisis, the CIA, the FBI, the permanent power faction in Washington, and it's not like some crazy conspiracy theory. Dwight Eisenhower warned of it on his way out of the presidency in 1961 when he called it the military-industrial complex because he had seen how it was growing beyond all democratic accountability. Every time what they need to do is convince somebody to be scared of something, to be scared of communism, to be scared of terrorism, to be scared of domestic terrorism, and they convince people that some minor event, relatively speaking, in the history of the threats to our country, like the...
I mean, January 6th was not just a minor event.
9/11 attack, which is a terrible thing, but they exaggerated wildly.
Thank God it didn't go too far. But what? What did he say?
Relatively speaking, in the history of the threats to our country, like the 9/11 attack, which is a terrible thing, but they exaggerated wildly the threat of foreign terrorism to basically institute the Patriot Act and warrantless eavesdropping and all of the things that turned our country more authoritarian. They were announcing that before 9/11. They used 9/11 to do it. They were announcing before January 6th that they wanted to turn right-wing extremists into domestic terrorists. And they used January 6th and this extremely inflated narrative about what it was. It was a riot of out-of-control people, a few hundred of them, that they turned into an insurrection, that they're now weaponizing the justice system, and they're creating a precedent. I hope you guys understand this, where they're now taking a nonviolent protest. Remember, most of the people charged on January 6th are charged with nonviolent protests, and they've made it now so that they can charge those people with felonies and put them in prison for years. That was the Q Shaman, 4 years in prison for a nonviolent protest. That's the precedent that you're endorsing with this narrative.
You shouldn't have broke into the Capitol building. Sorry.
So Jacob Chansley got 4 years, but he served, I think, a year and a half. But I do want to go back. So Stewart Rose. Stewart Rose.
Who cares if it's nonviolent? You shouldn't have broke into the fucking building. If somebody broke into my house, I would want them punished as well, even if they didn't do anything, because that's a terrifying event.
There are nonviolent crimes.
Biggs, Stewart Rose, and Enrique Tarrio. They were sentenced to some of the harshest sentences out of all the January 6ers. Who was the judge? It was a Trump-appointed judge, Timothy Kelly. Now, if you look at the worst convictions, the ones that received the largest sentences, 80% of them were actually under the sentencing guidelines. 80%. These people didn't receive sentences that were any more harsh.
Do I think it's possible that Trump will ask his followers to take up arms if he loses in 2024? I have no idea, dude.
Harsh than anybody else in other crimes. And these were people sentenced from a Trump judge, a Trump-appointed judge. So you're all saying that the courts are rigged against conservatives or Trump supporters. But these are Trump judges. Many of these were Trump judges that actually not charge these people, but sentence these people.
I think that if we want to talk about knowing history and understanding history and context,
I'm surprised that nobody jumped in on that one like Alex Jones.
Contextualizing history. I think if we want to run with that argument, then we need to do real journalist work while we do it. It's not enough to say the FBI or the CIA has done this 10, 20 years ago and then blindly assert it every single time it happens to fit whatever political narrative you want to tell. If you want to tell a story, the person telling the story needs to find evidence to support it. Sure, if you want to say the FBI or the CIA or any other domestic agency has been involved in spying on Americans and doing bad things, that's fine. We all know that it's happened. That doesn't mean that you don't have to find evidence in the future of it happening. And so far, there is no evidence of it happening on January 6th. As many times you want to throw around the follow politics before 2016 or whatever, well, we're in 2024 right now. Find some information from today or find some information from January 6th to today. It's not enough to just keep appealing to the past or pretend like that's going to do your homework for you and that somehow you can make all of these accusations without having any real evidence. As far as this claim of like there are novel uses of charges or people don't do charges like this, as was said over here, like most of the sentences have been within sentencing guidelines. A lot of these have been done with a Trump-appointed judge. The idea that these charges are novel, that people don't face prosecution like this, there's some element of truth to that, but this is also a novel situation. We have never had a president in the United States try to resist the peaceful transfer of power like this. This has just never happened before. And you can keep screaming about Hillary Clinton, you can keep screaming about BLM all you want and talk about the blown up fire stations and the congressional halls. The reality is that none of those situations were like this one. If you want to keep appealing to those and saying those people should have been charged with crimes, we agree they should have been charged with crimes. But to even do the whataboutism, you have to already concede that you are wrong on all of the merits about the current people you're talking about. Every single time we talk about Donald Trump, you go, well, what about when Hillary Clinton or Biden did it? Oh, okay, then you admit that Trump did? Because if you want to admit that Trump is guilty of every single thing that we've been accusing him of, which is what you're doing when you go, what about the other guy? Because it seems like you're just trying to appeal to hypocrisy at that point rather than the fact of the matter. Then do that. Say, yeah, Trump did try to cite an insurrection. Yeah, Trump did fail. Yeah, it was a riot. I don't know why you keep saying mostly peaceful. No, don't ask me this. Let me finish my one point one time without being interrupted by you. I came running back because you heard me talk. You had to interrupt me. You came running back. You were so excited for it. Okay, I don't understand this rhetoric of mostly peaceful riot. Yeah, it was mostly peaceful. A lot of riots that have riot aspects don't have a lot of peaceful people there. And a 10,000 riot, it's not always 10,000 people rioting. It might just be 100 people rioting or 1,000 people rioting. The reality was there was one event on January 6th at the Capitol building. That event was a riot.
Okay, so let me just add some context here. Well, they had 3 trials in Michigan, and one of them it was a mistrial, and they let most of them off. Another, and they finally got a few convicted. It came out in court that the feds went and found a bunch of basically homeless potheads, and just like Glenn was saying,
what? Homeless potheads?
The New York Times article, they were more accurate. 97% of Islamic plots were hatched by the FBI, including the first World Trade Center bombing, and they admit all that. And I've interviewed the people involved, Ahmad Salam, all of them that knew they were going to do the bombing. He came and said, why have I cooked a real bomb? And they let it go forward. With Whitmer, the same team involved in January 6th from the FBI went and set these people up, and that came out in the mainstream news. So we know this isn't, you guys were saying, we don't want to go back to 10 years ago. You know, I've sat there for 6-7 minutes, after smoking a cigarette while you're just going on and acting like you're being censored. You're like, there's no example recently of them doing something corrupt or bad.
Never said that.
It's a great example. Alex, if I can add some detail to that.
Yeah, so you can use
Destiny, this is a great point. This is a great point that Alex is making. You don't need to go back to the original war on terror. You don't need to go back to the ample antecedents that exist going way back into our nation's history. Just go back to the Michigan case. And the parallels to January 6th are striking. Look, almost half of the so-called plotters turned out to be either informants or federal agents. One of those federal agents had to recuse himself from the trial because he beat his wife on the way home from a swingers party. The second one had to recuse himself because he was moonlighting in his private security firm and leaking details of investigations in which he was involved.
Probably texting his grandson or his nephew that he was doing stuff. I would imagine.
But in every single, it wasn't just that there were informants. Every active step instrumental to this so-called plot was undertaken by one of the informants or one of the agents. One of the informants, as I mentioned him, Steve Robeson, in the context of, does the government ever burn its own informants? Almost all the time. And
how many of the BLM riots were instigated by FBI?
What?
How many of the BLM riots were instigated by our own intelligence agencies?
Well, they had agents in there. In fact, one of the guys, Jake Sullivan, he had a very complicated relationship. Antifa basically excluded him because of his relationship with the government, and they thought he was a Fed. Absolutely, the feds infiltrated BLM.
Absolutely, they got excluded because of his relationship with the government. He got excluded because that guy was insane. Because he was screaming at people to do all sorts of violent stuff constantly. Nobody wanted to be around.
He on video in the Capitol saying, "I told you we were going to stage it. I told you it was going to happen."
Again, for Sullivan, there's no evidence of Sullivan communicating.
Why are we moving? You talk more than all of you guys. These guys haven't talked to me.
Why is it that when BLM pro rioters, I guess you could say, aren't arrested as much as you want? Like you say that January 6ers were arrested at a much higher rate than the rioters.
That's true.
Okay. How come you don't say
and
that?
Much more property damage as a result of BLM.
So here's the thing, though. Why don't you accuse those who aren't prosecuted for those riots of being federal agents?
Well, in some cases they probably are, but at that
they probably are. Okay.
Scale, it's
maybe
hard
they just have more there. How do you know?
No.
Like, if you want to go conspiracy theory, I mean, let's touch all the bases.
But I mean, Michigan is on record.
Can I interject first? The idea, again, that for the...
Well, it doesn't for their narrative. Like, yeah, why wouldn't you just say, well, oh, those people who got arrested or those people that are causing violence for BLM, those must have been some kind of a federal agent trying to cause harm, blah, 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 blah. It's because they don't care. It's because they don't give a shit about that. If that would be antithetical. They want to diminish the Black Lives Matter movement. So if they actually pushed this idea that it was some kind of a federal plan committing crimes in Black Lives Matter movements, then that would garner sympathy for those movements, that they don't want to do that because they don't really like Black Lives Matter.
The FBI to be infiltrating these groups is a conspiracy theory. Again, it requires an understanding of the FBI that's childlike. And what Destiny was
he's just going to keep going back to that.
saying before is, oh, we're just using what they've done in the past and therefore concluding they must be doing that in the future. He just ignored all the evidence we've been presenting for the last 2 hours, including
Well, they haven't presented any evidence.
the fact that the FBI, by their own admission, had informants in all 3 of the leading groups that organized.
Who cares if you have an informant? Of course you're going to have an informant into these types of groups. That's how you take groups down from like the inside. There's a difference between having an informant and like causing the problem. Right, like we understand that these are 2 fundamentally different things, right?
January 6th, and we're talking to informants on the ground at the Capitol.
Exactly.
On that
Who is the head of the FBI? Who's the head of the FBI?
As far as the January 6th defendants are concerned, it is true that they're getting sentences similar to what people get when they're charged with felonies. The point is that it is insane that nonviolent protesters are being charged with felonies in the United States. That is what never happens. And pointing to Black Lives Matter is not to say,
well, you shouldn't have fucking broke into the Capitol building, pussy.
oh yeah, that's whataboutism. So we're admitting that this was an insurrection, and that is too. The point is that what the government is doing, if you look at the disparate treatment between the 2, is picking and choosing which movement they like ideologically and politically, and which.
No, you attacked a like you attacked the literal like Capitol building. They have to go really hard on that because they can't signal to people that you'll get a slap on the wrist if you fuck around like that. Like it's very obvious.
They don't, and punishing much more severely the one that they don't, which is what January 6th is about.
Going into the Capitol building with weapons saying, hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. No, that's not a violent crime, but are you saying that doesn't warrant a felony conviction? That's absurd. People are actually calling for the hanging of the vice president of America.
I'm going to be honest.
The majority, no, Alex, hold on 1 second. The majority of people who were charged with felonies in January 6th are non-violent offenders.
What did they do, Glenn? What did they do?
An interpretation of the law. They created an interpretation of the law that was enacted after Enron that was designed to criminalize accountants from obstructing fraud.
What did they do?
Every single meaning of it to mean that if it's a non-violent protest, any non-violent protest now at the Capitol, you're charged with a felony.
You're glossing over the facts. You're glossing over the facts, Glenn.
People get 6 month sentences. Hold on, I want to
respond to
People get 6 month sentences for going in the damn thing, being waved in by police. That's on record.
But here's the facts. The people who got the felonies were either violent, they were taking part in a conspiracy, or they went into the House chamber. Those are the people who got it. The people who walked into the Capitol building.
That's not true.
It is true.
No, it's not.
It absolutely
I just gave you a specific example earlier.
1 or 2.
Give me the example. What did he do?
Thomas Caldwell. He was not violent, and he did not go into the Capitol.
He didn't go. What did he do?
Let's talk about Thomas Caldwell for a minute.
And also, real quick, to Glenn's point, keep in mind that when you're saying that BLM wasn't treated the same because of the government and how you're not just alleging the federal government at that point. You're alleging every single state government and city municipality that's in charge of arresting people are all on the same page in terms of unfair.
Almost all of us in D.C.
Wait, the feds are in charge of prosecuting everybody in every state?
Thomas Caldwell was part of the seditious conspiracy. He was part of the conspiracy by the Oath Keepers.
Let Glenn come in.
That's why he got charged with a felony.
When Black Lives Matter happened, every single blue state mayor and every single blue state governor waited on the side of the rioters because they were petrified of being demonized as being racist if they didn't support everything the Black Lives Matter movement did. So yes, the Black Lives Matter movement had corporations sponsoring them. They had Kamala Harris urging and raising money for people to get out of prison who were imprisoned and prosecuted for having engaged in violence as part of the Black Lives Matter movement. The entire establishment was on the side of the Black Lives Matter movement. The entire establishment hated the January 6th defendants. That's the reality of our government that you don't understand.
The reality of our government that you don't understand. No, the reality of our government that you don't understand is that police orders don't come down from the federal government or even from the governors. Policing is done at the municipal.
Purple Heart became a member.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saving me. Holy fuck. My brain is rotting on this fucking January 6th debate. Holy shit.
Level. The idea that
thank you so much for this small cut.
The BLM riots are not all federally prosecuted. These are state crimes that are happening within states. They're happening within states. The idea that the governors themselves.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense. This is a state issue, not a federal issue. So there's going to be different proportionalities of punishment as well there. Sure.
Governors are dictating. The governors themselves are dictating policing policies to all of these different departments. Where's the evidence of any of that? One message, one email, one memorandum, one thing saying don't arrest protesters, don't convict them. Not a single shred of evidence.
How much do you love the police state? Why are you sending
love?
Why
isn't that weird? That's the most you guys have. Isn't that weird?
I got arrested by George W. Bush.
Why are we forgetting something? We're forgetting one thing, and that is that you can commit a crime, you can commit a felony, and it doesn't have to be violent. There's plenty of felonies on the books that aren't violent, including breaking into.
Yeah, it is definitely an entertaining video, kind of. It's just that it's so circular. Like, it's only so much that you could talk about, you know.
A federal building breaking through police lines and going into the federal building and going into the Senate chamber as Congress people are trying to certify an election. How is that going over your head?
Let me ask you this. What about Black Lives Matter? Let me ask you this. What about the COVID vaccination? Let me ask you this. What about Sandy Hook? Right?
Let me ask you this. I'm asking you this and everybody. Please answer my question. Is this as bad as Pearl Harbor, or is this as bad as?
Why are you talking about fucking Pearl Harbor?
9/11. And all I'm telling you is this Biden announcement that currently the number one threat is the Trump supporters, and Trump must be taken off the ballot. You can punt to the Supreme Court, but they're literally trying to preclude Americans for voting for who they want. That's the election theft and our face.
Vote for me, dude.
Why do we have to keep going back to that?
Yeah, that's the third time that question was asked and unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, who cares? They're taking somebody off the ballot.
Unanswered. They answered the question. One of them said that, like, violence-wise, no, but when it comes to something along the lines of I forget exactly what the person said, but they said from a violence perspective, like, no, it wasn't as bad. But from a perspective of embarrassment, I think it was. It's pretty bad, which I guess I can kind of agree with, maybe. I mean, it's fucking embarrassing when people are doing dumb shit like this.
Let's talk about Thomas Caldwell, and Darren, maybe you can answer this. Who is he? What did he do exactly, and what was he charged with?
Seditious conspiracy.
We don't need to get into that so extensively. I was just saying, here's somebody who is not violent, who did not go into the Capitol, who is charged with obstruction of an official proceeding.
Seditious conspiracy.
Well, there was later a superseding indictment.
That's a felony he was charged with. So
Biden's entire campaign is January 6th. Not inflation, not war with Russia, not open borders. I mean, give me a break, man. We had 1 million plus people there. A few hundred got in fights with the cops, and you act like it's the biggest thing since
It's a pretty big deal when a president tries to overturn a legitimate election. That's a really big deal. That's a really big. You had all your investigations, and you lost every single one. When you lose in court, you go to the next day. Remember in 2016 when all the conservatives said, well, you know what? If we would have lost the election, you know what we would have done the next day? We would have went to work. Well, here you are 4 years later, still crying about the outcome of the election.
So if Biden's going to win by landslide.
That's kind of true, because people had a meltdown when Trump won, and then conservatives. Yeah, that's true.
The Democrats don't want the ballot.
The Supreme Court to decide.
Can I just say what my dream is? My dream is that Ed and Brian and Destiny have to actually live through a real coup, so that they can then come back.
Oh my God, this guy's so annoying.
To the set and be like, oh my God, you know what? I'm so sorry for
These guys are so lazy when it comes to their arguments. It's just demeaning the other person. They're so fucking pathetic.
saying that what happened in the Capitol for 3 hours against the most militarized and powerful government to ever exist in human history got anywhere near a coup or an insurrection. A coup or an insurrection.
Let me say this, I will leave for 10 I will leave. Let me ask this one question to Glenn. I want you all to answer this. Humor me. I agree, because Glenn is a really great writer. I really respect him and follow him for decades. Can everyone describe a coup to me? Because usually it's helicopters.
I can describe a coup to you. It's easy enough. Big black guy with a beard. This is a coup. Big black guy with a beard, dude. It's fucking crazy. Holy shit.
Taking over media, killing the opposition, troops, and then you're claiming women with American flags and being waved in by police as a coup. So define to me, all of you first, and then Glenn, and then the professor, what is a coup? Since this was the most devastating evil coup ever,
a coup is when you enact a scheme to try to circumvent the peaceful transfer of power.
Like Russiagate.
No, they didn't take any action. They
tried to remove him on a line.
No, they didn't. They investigated him, and then they came up that they didn't have enough evidence, so they left Trump in office.
There's nothing illegal done there to try and remove
the intelligence agencies censoring fake dossiers. Oh, that was illegal.
What are you talking about? Trump didn't get pulled out, so
was
saying his election wasn't legitimate.
Did they try to remove him? They took it to the
so
wait,
hold on. You admit then that Trump tried a coup, and you think Russiagate was also a coup? Then you
no.
That's funny.
I don't agree. Trump did a coup. I'm asking you. I'm asking you. Like, do you know about Pinochet? Do you know about Hitler? Do you know about the coup?
Wait, who's Hitler?
What is a coup?
Fight on the merits. Why don't you fight on the merits instead of doing the whataboutism without even owning that Trump did something wrong? Focus on Trump.
Define me a coup.
I just did. Did you not listen to
me? No. Glenn, let's start with Glenn Greenwald. Glenn, you're a well-respected.
Define a coup. I already did. Okay. Oh, let's go to Glenn. Oh, great.
Journalist.
Why? Like this host should feel embarrassed because he's literally getting steamrolled by Alex Jones, is directing the entire fucking narrative here.
You look at the entire world. What do they usually look like?
I know, Destiny is now the incredible giant of journalism and the constitutional scholar I used to be, as Destiny said. But anyway, a coup is generally when people in power or people who are trying to get into power marshal the force of the armed factions of that country and use.
He said generally. This isn't what a coup is. This is a more extreme version of what that is.
To eliminate the legal process and take over. So, for example, if Trump had called in the military on his side on January 6th, or he had gotten the military to block people from trying to remove him from office on January 20th, that is always what we say is a coup. Nothing that looks like what happened on January 6th. The other thing I just want to correct, Destiny seems to have this like debate me sort of point that he thinks he keeps making that's so smart, which is when you say.
Why do you waste so much time on catty comments? There must be something better for this.
No, you're the one that does.
True.
All right, we're about to change gears. Let Glenn finish this thought, and then we're moving to our audience questions.
Has done this little debate tactic like 8 times. I've listened to it for 2 hours. So if you say this person did this and it's wrong, and then someone else says, well, what about this person, this politician you love? He did the same thing. Destiny says, oh, you're admitting that both of them did something wrong. No, one of the reasons why you say things like the Black Lives Matter protest was never considered an insurrection is not to say that January 6th was also an insurrection, and therefore you should treat the Black Lives Matter one like an insurrection. The point is to say the Black Lives Matter wasn't treated like an insurrection because people like Ed and Destiny.
Well, you guys have constantly asserted that you think that it was more of an insurrection. So what he's saying is just not true.
And Brian love the Black Lives Matter movement because it's aligned with their ideology. These are liberals who hate the Trump movement politically and therefore want to criminalize it. But pointing to other examples,
I'm against all rioting, just to be clear.
Isn't admitting that the one that you start with is wrong. You're just trying to show that you're not applying consistent principles when your ideology is.
If that was the case, then when you're accused of defending a coup, then you argue why it's not a coup. That's how the argument works. If somebody says, I think that Trump engaged in a coup,
one of the ways that you show that it's not a coup is by saying that the things that you like that are done that are far more insurrectionary are things you won't call an insurrection because those things done to advance.
Glenn, I'm sorry. No, Glenn, that's called an appeal to hypocrisy. The way that you argue against something being a coup.
Debatey boys.
You actually believe what
debate pervert here.
Why has Trump not been charged with it? Why have they not charged Trump with insurrection? You just say
Smith already said why. Go read some of his documents.
It's like the main Secretary of State. She says he's guilty.
If you don't think it's a coup, then we agree on what the definition of a coup is. If we don't agree on the definition of a coup, which you said it requires military presence. I don't know.
All right. Well, it's not going to get resolved tonight, although we have tried to resolve it.
We shut this down. I'll go.
We're not shutting down. We're just moving to the next phase of the organization, which is
yeah. I mean, we've moved to the next phase like 18 times, and then keep coming back to this fucking same thing.
Destiny and Glenn finish his point because
we'll go to comments. I think this.
Fine. If you want to shut it down, that's fine.
I do want to shut it down. I want to move on. Okay. I've actually been instructed to move on, so that's what we're doing.
By who?
By the producers of the show. Let's move on. ZeroHedge.com.
Oh, really? Are you sure the FBI is not trying to shut it down? How can we be so sure that the producers of the show aren't working with the FBI? How do we know that this isn't all? What if Alex Jones is an FBI plant? How can we really be for certain? I mean, he keeps just yapping and rambling. I mean, he's optically losing the conversation. Maybe he's an FBI plant meant to diminish the conservative perspective on Trump. Nah, I bet that lots of Alex Jones supporter eat this up, and they're like literally masturbating to this, like, oh my god, he's so right, this Destiny guy. He has blue hair. I've never seen the hair because he doesn't have it right now, but he's a blue-haired liberal. You know?
I mean, we can, if you guys want to go in circles and yell over each other for another 10 minutes, I don't want to do it. I want to go to these comments. But the
question was a 6'3" Marine, ex-Marine that told you to.
Thanks, dude. Thanks, dude. Shut up.
No, but I mean, listen. This is the heart of it. Coups are militaries seizing the telecommunications and the government institutions and killing their opposition.
You could do lots of
Trump was Trump did not do that. A bunch of fucking people being led into the Capitol is not a freaking coup, man.
An electronic coup, you know. But let's go on. These are from ZeroHedge.com, from some of the premium users of the website. Have sent in some questions. This one's actually a question for what they call the blue team, which right now is going to be the three guys, Ed, Brian, and Stephen.
The blue team, blue-haired liberal team.
Question is, the New York Times acknowledged that there were FBI informants in the Capitol on January 6th, and then they give a link to the New York Times article.
Okay.
Given the agency's history of entrapment, is it a stretch that some agents may have provoked the riot?
Yeah, I think it's a stretch. I mean, I guess it's possible, but my thing is that we've always had different type of organizations that were bad, and the government tries to infiltrate them and get people working on the inside and being informants. The same thing with like the mafia. They did it with the mafia. They did it with this. Like, okay, that's normal.
And then there's a follow-up question.
And it's an informant. It's not even an actual FBI agent. It is an informant. Somebody who's meant to keep like information going.
And why was law enforcement so ill prepared for the insurrection? In quotes, despite the presence of informants. So the first question...
Well, because Donald Trump didn't call in the National Guard or whatever, right?
That's part of the question is it a stretch that some agents may have provoked the riot?
So informants are something the FBI has been using for years, decades. Is it illegal? No. They can do it as long as they do it within the legal means. If an informant is in the Capitol breaking the law, that doesn't mean that the FBI is behind it. Informants are also people...
Well, they'll typically tell the informant to do what's normally supposed to be done, or what they're told to do. And then they're supposed to inform on it later. The idea is to get information without compromising the person that's in there, because you generally don't want the informant to also get hurt. So
who live their lives. Like, I could be an informant for FBI. I could go and murder somebody. That doesn't mean the FBI had me murder that person. So I think there's a lot of misinformation there that gets conflated with facts.
Well, and number two, do I think it's possible that an FBI agent could have done that? Sure, anything's possible, but it put out the evidence. There isn't evidence of this. The whole Ray Epps thing. Show us the evidence that actually works.
He orchestrated it. He just said I orchestrated it.
I robbed the bank. Come arrest me. Should I get arrested? I just said I robbed the bank.
You're right. He said orchestrated.
Did Ray Epps say that he was an FBI agent? You guys are just coming to that conclusion.
We're not saying he works for them. Probably. If I had to guess, I'd say Southern Poverty Law Center.
If Ray Epps set them up, why isn't a single other person there attested to that?
Out of the
If he whispered into people's
250,000.
ears, if he was leading breach teams, why didn't any of the arrested? Why didn't a single person come out? I'm asking this though. The next reasonable question: why isn't a single person come out to testify?
Because we exposed him. Because he's the leader there, and he's there doing it. He did it on video. He said, "I led this. I did this."
You're not answering my question. I'm saying why doesn't anyone else come out?
Yeah, why didn't anybody else come forward and say that he did it?
I
attested to this. Not a single person.
You know what orchestrator is, right?
Well, because people are so loyal to this guy. That's the argument. They're so devout and loyal to this guy. They would never.
For music,
the conductor leads the symphony.
Yep.
So,
and all the musicians have to see the conductor and will tell you that's my conductor.
He says go into the Capitol.
Why doesn't anybody else say that was my conductor?
You know, the follow-up part of this question, why do you guys think law enforcement was so ill-prepared for the insurrection, again in quotes, despite the presence of informants? This is from Space Worm, just so you know, Space Worm from Zero.
Well, half of them were sent away for crowd control.
I think the ill-preparedness came because Trump's deployment of the National Guard in the past, especially in D.C., had caused a lot of people to be uncomfortable with National Guard being present in the Capitol when the certification of the vote was happening. So as they were having conversations prior to establishing security, I think they took a lot of extraordinary bureaucratic measures to make it so that I think that day, if the National Guard was going to be deployed, it either had to be, I think, Miller or Walker. I think one of those two had to be the direct authorization.
Let me respond briefly.
Which is not.
We have you.
Go that way.
We have you 1 hour ago.
I really just want to listen to this. I want to listen to this. I want to hear the perspective. And respond after.
And Trump never called for National Guard, and you just said they refused it. I got your ass.
Yes, that's correct. You got it. So when the National Guard was deployed, the only area that they were allowed to do.
They blocked it.
Yep.
The Pentagon blocked Trump.
Yes.
You just admitted Trump wanted it and didn't get it.
You got me. They only deployed 340 people in there.
From an hour ago, he said it wasn't
That's right. You got me.
Got him.
That's right.
Got him. You want to do this like
the mission?
This is so stupid, man. I wonder if people are really eating this up.
The scope of the rhetoric like this is why Ashley Babbitt got shot. You realize that, right? People like Ashley Babbitt died because people keep driving people onto this, right? It might be funny for you. I don't know.
I murdered Ashley Babbitt.
Well, you're more or less responsible with this kind of talk. Yes.
Oh my God, I murdered.
Yes. Play an effectual.
I mean, he was literally responsible for people harassing the Sandy Hook victims and like people killing themselves afterwards because he was getting them harassed relentlessly. So Alex Jones is actually a horrible piece of shit. Fuck.
Play a factual world.
You love the
tie yourself to the crowd.
You said an hour ago that Trump never asked for National Guard. I can show 50 articles. It's on record.
He said that he didn't ask for the National Guard soon enough. Like he would have done it immediately, but he waited like hours to do it.
And you just admitted it. Gotcha.
Guys.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
People were authorized to be there, but in order to actually call them, it was an extraordinary process. When you read the J6 committee in the Situation Room and Sund and everybody else complaining, where's the National Guard? Where's the National Guard? There was a whole bunch of stupid bureaucratic red tape and optics concerns that people had to cut through to get them there. So if you believe the official story and the 15 to 20 people.
1 hour ago, he said Trump never won National Guard. Now Trump won it, but he didn't get it for a good reason.
So Alex, so you're claiming that this is
You think that Alex needs to be medicated? Is the real question.
Staged. You're claiming the FBI was behind it. In 2019, you
Why the Gulf of Tonkin?
No, you specifically said I almost had like a form of psychosis where I thought everything was staged. So do you still have that psychosis?
Well, I said almost a form.
So you almost still have that form of psychosis?
Let me quote it for you. That's out of a larger context about when you're lied to.
In a court deposition.
I said a larger context deposition.
About Sandy Hook.
Which is a larger.
Because you said you called Sandy Hook a hoax and you said it was fake because of this.
Sure. So you want me to talk now?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you have this psychosis, why wouldn't this be applied here either? You know, like a good question.
I said a larger context, which is a larger 5 hours, 8 hour deposition, right? Okay. So I just told the truth. I said a larger context. I'm explaining that the public's been lied to so much. There's a major loss of confidence where people then don't believe anything they're told, and that's dangerous.
That's not what you said. That's not the context you said.
That's
not the context you said.
I know what I said.
I read it. I read the deposition.
So put the full thing out.
I don't have it with me, but I read it.
The point is stop.
Somebody Google it.
You're scared to let me talk?
No, go ahead.
So that's a whole nother PR firm thing, things out of context to blow that stuff up. All that.
PR firm is telling you what you say in court.
No, you're not.
You got to let Alex finish the short question and we're going to go back to the user's question.
I mean,
no, just keep doing to him what he's been doing to other people.
Madeleine Albright told Leslie Stahl of 60 Minutes, I ordered 500,000 children killed because I thought it was a good thing to do. I'll do it again. She's a great person. I question Jussie Smollett. I question WBC in Iraq. I question everything. And I'm proud of everything I've done. And all that stuff is PR firm garbage. When I talk about the general public, because the media lies about almost everything, loses trust in anything, that creates a general form of psychosis, and it's very dangerous. I talk about that every day on my show. And Joe Rogan just last week said, Alex Jones isn't totally right, but he means to be right. He's more informative than CNN. They lie on purpose, and the public has lost trust in the system. That's dangerous.
What the fuck is this? It's a ghost.
What do you do? So that was the full discussion. Let me give you another example. They say in court, Jones in a custody battle said, I'm an actor. Everything I say is fake. I've offered a $1 million reward for that. I didn't say that. They wanted to put like now a 15-year-old video. Back then it was like a 9-year-old video of me as the Joker saying all these horrible things. Take drugs, kids. You'll die. It's great. So kids wouldn't take drugs. It's reverse psychology. And hold on. They wanted to introduce that in
Oh, what? He was telling kids to take drugs as reverse psychology? Wow, that's so smart.
Court, and my lawyer said when Jack Nicholson plays the Joker, he's not really the Joker. And when Alex Jones is in Waking Life or Scanner Darkly or any of the stuff, when he's being an actor, it's not what he really means. In the scope of when
Are you being an actor now?
No, see.
How do we know? How do we know? How do you know?
See,
Maybe you still have psychosis.
But see, that's the game you're playing.
No, I'm not playing a game. I'm serious.
No, I am 99.
Psychosis is a serious problem.
No, when I'm on the show, this is Alex Jones, the analyst, Alex Jones, the pundit. Alex Jones.
How does Alex know when the character starts and ends?
Gets you in a
covering.
Yeah, Glenn's about to jump in.
This game that I don't mean when I say, Ray said I orchestrated it.
It's not that you don't mean what you say. It's that you don't know what you're saying because you're fucking under psychosis.
That's a real thing.
Yeah, we're all playing a sort of character right now. We're all on a stage.
I was actually in that.
I don't think that there's a difference between code switching, quote unquote, like, acting a little differently with different people, or like, oh, you act a little different with your mom or your dad or your girlfriend versus playing a character.
Twitter space with you with Elon Musk. What was it? 4 weeks ago or so. And you tried to claim that you didn't push the Sandy Hook conspiracy theory.
We're getting a field here.
I'm basing this on the whole psychosis thing.
This is a field. This is not in the scope of the discussion.
Yeah, we really got to stick to the question.
Focus on the user's question.
You lied in that space. You did push it. You did say that was fake. You did. I have the quote right here. Let me read the quote.
Ed, we're done. Glenn, I want to hear from Glenn. Glenn's about to speak.
I mean, in their defense, it's probably part of Alex Jones's contract to not talk about to not talk about the Sandy Hook or whatever agreement.
No, let me finish. I said, in the context of everything I've done, I wasn't deplatformed for questioning.
Coke guaranteed. Have we gone to the bathroom break yet? Yeah, he went to 2 bathroom breaks already.
In school shooting. They dredged that up afterwards, and I barely ever talked about it. It wasn't even on our radar.
But you said it was fake.
No, if I'm on the air.
You said after examining it for a year, you found that it was fake.
All right, you know what? That's it. We're done with this fucking conversation. We're moving on to the user questions, as told.
Wow. This guy's got a fucking problem, too. Oh, my God. Bro, this guy's a real blue-haired liberal. You can't command the room? Holy fuck, he's getting up, he's yelling. That's it, we're done with this conversation. All right.
Glenn, you had something to say? Glenn.
You got something to say, Glenn? You fucking pussy bitch.
Please.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say that we are out of time here because it's been 3 hours, but I did just want to say I do think that attack
You fucking pussy? Glenn, bitch.
on Alex is a bullshit attack. We are here because we want to talk about January 6th. We want to talk about whether
We're talking about something.
And to try and make it about Alex when there are 6 people here presenting all kinds of evidence
Alex, please drink my cum. I love you so much.
that you're not equipped to deal with, I think it's just a pathetic way to try and end this debate. And the last thing I want to say is it's really giving like a kind of amazingly vivid mindset into the minds of
I
Trump
hate it. It's really giving like kind of cringe vibes.
liberals who have really come to see the U.S. security state and the courts and prosecutors as their political allies in their war that they're waging against people who disagree with them. And they have this like very romanticized view of what the FBI is, what the DOJ is, how the court
But if you know about politics before 1992, then you would actually understand.
systems work, how the federal government works, and all of this reveals this so well because what's happening here is so manifest, which is that all of these agencies are being abused because the Trump movement is considered the gravest threat to establishment power in this country, which is why the bipartisan establishment is against it. To try and make this about Alex and Sandy Hook is a really pathetic way to end the debate. I think you guys have done a good job defending your views. I think you should leave it at that. And we definitely have to go because it's been 3 hours.
Yeah, well, we're not done. We're going to keep talking with some questions. No, not right now.
Can I answer the user's question?
Yeah, I would love to, but give me 1 second. The only reason I scream is because I don't have a mute button for the people right now. I would.
Well, there's you screaming because you're a fucking pussy, dude.
I prefer not to have to use my voice.
It's giving bad faith vibes. It's giving poisoning the well vibes. It's giving Sandy Hook vibes right now. I'm a TikToker, guys.
Thank you.
I think Glenn needs to go. We'll stay. Glenn, give us a 3-minute closing comment. All I'm trying to say is I didn't launch any wars. I didn't lie about WMDs. And to bring that in is...
There was a point to it, though. His point was just that if you were lying about that or if you had psychosis about that, how do we know that that's not coming back? About half the show we talked about...
I did not say I had psychosis.
Half of the show we talked about feds, and you...
No, I talked to... If you look at the full clip of the transcript, I said there's a group, there's a larger lie when we're lied to and lose trust. Then out of that, when no one knows what's true, it creates a lot of problems.
So the reason...
Sure.
I went back to that is because in that Twitter space, you said that you didn't push it. You said that you just regurgitated other people's information. And that's not true. Because you told
that's not true. I want to shut this down. Okay. I want to move to the next thing. It's not that I'm scared of this. I'm sick of it. I didn't make my bones on this. I barely ever talked about it.
Wanted to
they introduced 22 minutes in these court cases over a decade. 22 minutes, dude. No, I didn't. That's not what I'm doing. You guys bring it up. And fine. Hey, Madeleine Albright said she killed 500,000 kids. She'd do it again. I killed no kids.
Come on, guys. Let's talk about what the people are paying.
Come on, guys.
They have questions. We have some legitimate people.
I know, but Glenn says he wants to leave. I love Glenn Greenwald.
No,
let's go. Let's go.
Hang out with me tonight. Okay, we're going to the second question. Darren, did you want to follow up?
I wanted to answer
I think this is a co-op character.
User's question about the lack of preparation because it involves a lot more than the question of the National Guard. For additional context, there's the Norfolk memo coming out of the Norfolk office of the FBI, extensively cataloging threats to the Capitol, including maps of tunnels, all kinds of indications that there was going to be a major event at the Capitol on that day. There was extensive government infiltration of every single militia group imputed to January 6th.
And there was a stand down?
Wait. Up to the very...
Damn, Alex can't even not interrupt his own peoples. Jesus.
Very highest levels. We know that Enrique Tarrio had an extensive conversation with the head of Metro PD Intel. And that's just one example. We know the VP of the Oath Keepers was an FBI informant. We know there are at least 8 other informants in the Proud Boys, including informants who were texting their handlers simultaneously as they were in the Capitol and as the events unfolded. We know of the Oath Keeper Jeremy Brown, who has been attacked and persecuted by the government. Why? Because when he was approached by JTTF agents in December of 2020 to recruit him as an informant, he recorded the exchange and the encounter and put it out there on the internet. The JTTF agent said, there's something going to happen in January. We want you to be an informant for us. We know that there were several influencers, including Milo, who parlored or...
Influencer, that's a little bold for Milo.
Whatever the tweet version is for
Yiannopoulos. He's kind of an embarrassing fuck.
Parlor.
I think he also got dumpstered by Destiny, too. That debate was fucking funny.
Put out a message on January 5th saying, I was just approached by federal agents. Whatever they have planned on the 6th is huge. Don't go there. That's just huge. A number of examples. Oh, yeah. And there was Donnell Harvin. He was the head of the Homeland...
No, they got Darnell, dude. Shit, dude. Fuck.
And Security Office for the DC Fusion Center. His predictions were remarkably specific and accurate. His office came up with the idea that we need to have body bags. We need to focus on the Capitol at 1 o'clock. Specifically, we need to be concerned with explosive planted on side streets that could serve a diversionary effect, therefore allowing for an attack on the Capitol. These are just some of the highlights of examples of the government being in a position to know in advance what was going on. And it wasn't just that there was an ordinary level of security at the Capitol, which is inconceivable when you think of the fact that there was a major proceeding there, that Trump was there giving a speech. Ordinarily, there would be threat assessments, which there weren't. It's not just that there was ordinary level of security. There is a uniquely absent security on that day, uniquely poor security on a day with a...
So why, that's Trump's fault. Why didn't Trump increase the security? I don't understand. Like, he would be the one to call the National Guard immediately. He didn't. He took forever to do it. So why, like, that's his fucking fault. What are you talking about?
Major certification proceeding on a day in which President Trump was there to give a major speech on a very controversial question directly pertinent to that proceeding.
So Darren, there's 1,250 people who were indicted thus far. How many of them brought up as evidence in court that they were enticed or led into the building or led to do crimes by federal agents?
Well, there are actually quite a few.
How many of those?
Well, I would count them, but it's not.
But was any of that evidence actually admitted in court?
In some cases, yes. But as you can imagine, the judicial process is very aggressive in pushing against any types of entrapment defenses. And many defense lawyers, in some cases, reasonably so, want to dissuade their clients from entrapment type defenses because their goal is not to uncover the truth about entrapment. Their goal is to do the best for their clients in those specific cases.
So out of 1,250 cases, not one of those defenses were actually pushed forward by any of those defendants.
I didn't say not one. No, there are some, but not as many as you would think. But not because this isn't relevant to the truth, but because if you're a lawyer, even a good faith lawyer, you are required to give advice to your client that's not, what's most likely to uncover the full truth about the broad event of January 6th, but what's most likely to keep my client out of jail or to minimize the time that my client is
exculpatory. Right. I would think that evidence that a federal agent led you to commit a crime.
Yeah, wouldn't that get you out of jail? Why wouldn't if they actually had like solid evidence of that, why wouldn't the lawyer push for that?
Or acted in a way that made you want to commit a crime would be pretty exculpatory evidence right there.
Yeah, it would in certain cases. And
so then why wouldn't they push forward if that was true?
I said there are people who are pursuing that. There's a significant backlash to that within the judicial system. So even given how much it's rigged now, it's additionally rigged when it comes to those specific types of defenses because
I mean, if your argument is that it's rigged, that's fine. But his argument originally was that he doesn't think that's a good, the lawyers won't think it's a good defense. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why wouldn't the lawyer think that's a good defense?
They're so subversive to the larger narrative that the government's trying to promote.
Why wouldn't McCarthy put any Republicans on the J6 committee then and investigate this?
Well, McCarthy isn't exactly someone who's aggressively interested in pursuing the truth on this either.
Okay, why not appoint like a special counsel or appoint something separate then from Congress?
Well, I think that would be a fantastic idea. But again,
why didn't Trump do it?
Why didn't Trump do it? Trump's not in a position to do it.
Yeah, but right after J6 before he gets kicked out, why not appoint special counsel? Or why not in the days before if he thinks that there's...
I mean, there was not a really window of opportunity for that to happen. A lot of other stuff was going on.
So doesn't it suck then that like you can provide absolutely no smoking guns?
I provided a ton of evidence. No smoking guns. I provided overwhelming evidence.
You have not provided evidence for anything. You've given a lot of stories, and now you've got an escape for every single way that you might actually discover what happened.
No, I've been long a proponent for an investigative committee, but not the sham J6 committee.
Well, they tried.
No, the J6 committee is total sham.
Why is the J6 committee a sham?
Well, you really want to hear a good faith answer to that? Why it's partisan? Well, let's start with Benny Thompson. Now,
no, I know the people on it were all partisan. That's true. But that's because McCarthy McCarthy wouldn't put forth his nominees after Pelosi said no to 2 of 5?
Well, first of all, I think those 2 should have been allowed.
I'm not asking you that. I'm asking why didn't McCarthy put forth 2 other ones?
Because he didn't want to legitimize a process that was totally illegitimate.
So how convenient for you then that now we can also say the entire J6 committee?
No, it's not convenient. It's not convenient for me. It's convenient for the regime. It's convenient for the regime not to have a legitimate and.
Oh, is that why he didn't appoint anybody? His excuse was because he didn't want to legitimize it. It sounds more like if he doesn't appoint anybody, he gets to say that it's all a conspiracy. That like, oh well, we have no Republicans working on this, so it must be a Democrat conspiracy. That's probably the real optics play there.
Disinterested fact finding.
So that this guy could basically do what he's doing now.
Commission to truly get to the bottom of the real questions that matter.
There is no disinterested fact finding. You guys say Comey was biased, even though he was a lifelong Republican. You say Raffensperger was biased, even though he was a lifelong Republican. You guys say that Barr was biased, even though he's been a lifelong Trump supporter and a Republican. Yeah, you say Wray is biased. Like every single person. Yeah. So then there are no unbiased fact finders.
I didn't say there are none, but the specific names you mentioned, absolutely.
But William Barr,
and
how
about
so all these Trump appointees? Trump.
Yes, he made terrible appointments.
To hire people, right?
Well, I didn't say that's not my contention here.
We made bad appointments. He sounds like a terrible fucking president, huh?
Who would be able to investigate this?
I think there are some people who could. I think Jim Jordan who could.
Jim Jordan would be your example of an unbiased party.
Jim Jordan was literally part of the investigation.
I would say for there to be a legitimate committee, it would have to include people who are genuinely interested in pursuing not only the questions that Benny Thompson and the hyper-partisan Democrats wanted to find out, but people who are sympathetic to the other side who would be willing to pursue the questions that I've raised and have been raised that were not addressed at all.
Wait, I'm assuming Alex Jones just walked away because he's not talking at all.
In the committee, because all they were interested in
everybody walked away.
Was demonizing Trump and setting up a criminal proceeding for Trump. They weren't interested in getting to the bottom of the questions.
It's nice how relaxing things are when he's not there.
Why was there uniquely poor security?
Even the other guy was fucking obnoxious too. This guy's decent. At least he's like engaging in the conversation.
Going on with the level of federal infiltration.
These questions are all asked as part of It's an 847-page report. I invite you to read it at some point. Now, the reality is that McCarthy at any point could have put 5 Republicans that he chose on that committee. But because Nancy Pelosi said no to 2 of them, I think Banks and Jordan, they were actively being investigated or would have been the subjects of the J6 committee. He said no to anything, and now we get to say it was all a sham, even though the majority of the people interviewed were Republicans. Even though, as was stated earlier, every single person
near
Trump.
You're banking a lot on the Republican issue, but it shouldn't be a surprise to you. Many Republicans, institutional apparatus of the party, is not necessarily friendly to Trump. There are many Republicans that are hostile to Trump.
If every single,
my understanding is that there are a ton of people who weren't huge, like a ton of Republicans who weren't big Trump fans, for instance, that were walking away because Trump had changed the Republican Party into this like fucking insane asylum. So they were all just kind of walking away. They were retiring back in 2016, 2017, and such, right? And didn't he have like a huge issue with John McCain? It was like a whole thing or whatever. It's fucking...
single person in government, if every Republican, if every Democrat, if every judge, if every
he's back
person in the United States.
I'm like burnt out. I'm literally burnt out on Alex Jones at this point. Alex Jones is like watching Tim and Eric Awesome show. Great job. Like it's really interesting when you watch a couple episodes, but after like the 3rd or 4th one in a row, it just rots your brain so hard you need a break from it because it's just so fucking insane.
States that is in Trump's peripheral ends up hating Trump or not wanting to work with Trump. At what point do you say? At what point you are? At what point do you just say?
I've been gone for 10 minutes.
Maybe the problem. No, you can't just run back here and come off. Okay?
Dude, you can't pull a Hassan here. All right, Alex Jones, you can't just walk away and come back and start talking.
At what point can we not say maybe Trump was actually genuinely a horrible person, or maybe Trump actually genuinely tried to circumvent legal processes in order to coup the government, or at least whatever you would call him asking Pence to unilaterally
Biden is trying to make it his #1 campaign issue about January 6th.
It should be the #1 campaign issue.
Wow, not inflation, not open borders, not human smuggling.
Your president tried to circumvent the peaceful transfer of power for the first time in U.S. history.
This actually takes me to the next question. This is going to be our final question.
Trump's not been convicted of anything.
This is a question from Fred C. And the question is, will Destiny address, quote, is white supremacy the biggest domestic threat faced by the United States? And I open it up to the panel after you give it.
Domestic threat? I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. What does that mean? Maybe. I don't know.
Answer there, Stephen.
Domestic threat? I don't know how the FBI judges domestic threat. It wouldn't surprise me there's a lot of crossover with like white supremacy groups and then being like organized like a domestic threat, but my guess would be domestic threats in the U.S. is probably fairly low to the total security of the U.S. I don't really care that much about it. I don't know.
But that's the official policy is white supremacism is #1 threat.
What is that? That's not a policy, that's a statement.
No, that's it's an executive order in June of 2021 put out by the
What are the negative policy choices or what are the bad things that are happening because of that declaration?
They try to skew crime numbers. They say everything is that. I mean, this is like a major
skew crime numbers say everything is that. What do you mean? You're not count crime by black people anymore? Didn't we just get all of the
hate crimes? The says the #1 crime is white people.
They say the #1 crime is white people.
What the fuck?
They do it statistically by manipulating the numbers, yeah.
I don't think the FBI is in charge of manipulating the numbers.
The FBI is not involved in crime statistics?
I didn't say involved in crime statistics. I'm pretty sure you can go to the federal, there's a name for the site.
I don't believe you're like hiding under a rock.
Well, I imagine that white people do commit the most crimes because there's more white people than anybody else in the country. Now, proportionality is a different conversation to have. I don't know about the proportionality of crimes, but the overall most is probably higher considering I'm pretty sure we're at like a roughly 60% white people in the United States.
Somewhere.
We need to change it up because everybody is like sitting here and they're like, oh my God, like There are fewer and fewer white people every day. I'm so scared. I'm this, I'm that. I'm not scared, but here's what you should do. If you feel like there's not enough white people in the United States, we just have to make more white people. And when I say that, just make other people considered white, okay? Make all Asians just white. Boom, done. They do better than us in fucking school anyway. We're done. Now they're all white. I think that's only like 2 or 3%, but that's something. Start making more people white. Just say they're white from now on. That's the best way to increase the white population in the United States. Just say that everybody's white.
You've got to know he gave a speech for an hour yesterday saying that MAGA people are terrorists and are about to take over. I mean, you don't know. You just said it's good that Biden is running on January 6th.
I think January 6th is a huge deal, yes. The president trying to circumvent the peaceful transfer of power is a really big issue.
And that's why he can't be allowed to be voted for.
No, that's not why. He's not allowed to be voted for.
He's claiming you can't vote for him.
That if you have been a prior oath taker and you have been engaged in rebellion or insurrection, you're not allowed to run for office again.
We have to be clear about what's really happening. The standard Democrat voter, these people don't care about the so-called insurrection. That's not Biden's audience. Biden's audience is to speak in support of this phony legal theory that's being served as a pretext to remove him from the ballots. And
you don't think like any Democrats are like, yeah, that was kind of fucked up.
Therefore, in the defense of
I agree. He's trying to rally the deep state, saying Trump's going to persecute us and arrest us if we don't stop him because they've committed all these crimes.
So I mean, fact is the Supreme Court's looking at it. They actually decided to take the case. So it doesn't matter what any of us think. The Supreme Court's going to rule on it. And I think, whatever they decide is what we're going to live with.
Let me ask this. What happens if Trump gets reelected?
Okay.
You mean what happens?
Well, what do you think? They still got criminal investigations, criminal trials.
So you mean if he gets reelected before being sentenced, if he's convicted? Yeah. I think he just takes over being president. He'll pardon himself or give the presidency.
And I don't. He didn't persecute his political opposition when he was in. I don't think he's going to try to.
He asked Barr to investigate Hillary. I mean,
quite the opposite. Trump's own bureaucracies were undermining him.
Well,
it's far from him using the bureaucracies to go after others. His own bureaucracies were circumventing his own president.
Well, that happened with Biden as well, wasn't it?
But everyone can see
Comey doing the investigation of Hillary's emails.
After Trump.
No?
Yeah, Hillary's emails.
Yeah, Hillary's emails was under Biden, right?
What about the Hunter Biden investigation?
There's no acknowledgement there? Yeah.
Hunter Biden investigation. That's Biden's DOJ.
Under Biden. He was convicted on the ground.
And that's because the Democrats want him to step down for Newsom.
Oh my God, there's a reason why. Yeah, there's always.
So now the Democrats don't want Biden to step down. That's admitted.
Who are the Democrats?
The debate continues.
No, the dominant Democratic Party wants Biden to step down. It's been all over the news. And then they're
what?
Putting pressure on him to do it. You're saying that's made up?
He's not going to step down. That's not
how does he step down? Because you still need to have a primary.
And it's past the deadline.
He's frozen out the other candidates in his primary.
Am I like super disconnected? Or is this whole party asking him to step down?
The deadline has passed. So if he was to step down right now.
Does Papa think that Trump should be off the ballot? I just don't care. Like if they have him off the ballot, then okay. I don't care either way, to be honest with you. Like yes or no, maybe so. Maybe he should be. Maybe he shouldn't be. I mean, to be honest with you, there's two conflicting things. Whatever the Supreme Court decides is what it was decided. But then there's like the optics battle. If he gets pulled off, is that actually going to look good for the country, or is that going to give more steam to insane conspiracy nuts that already love Trump? I think that's a really real question to think about.
Harris would likely be who the nominee would be.
Well,
it's too late for Newsom. I think he'd miss out on several states. Go ahead.
We've really
answered that question.
we really hammered that one right to the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is coming to a close. Zero Hedge, thank you so much for putting this debate on, and everybody on the panel, man. Darren Beatty, Alex Jones, Steve Bonnell, Brian Kresge, Dave Krasinski, Glenn Greenwald.
Tell us about your show, what you do.
I'm the co-host of Timcast IRL on YouTube, Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Tim Pool. It's a blast. We talk about technology, politics,
and
culture.
Yep. My website is revolver.news. We broke a lot of these January 6 stories. Take the challenge for yourself. Go to revolver.news. Look at the pieces, in particular the Ray Epps series and the Pipe Bomb series. Decide for yourself whether or not there's overwhelming evidence for federal involvement.
And then I do 7 days a week, live on air, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. weekdays. Saturday, we do special reports every times. Sundays, 4 to 6 p.m. Infowars.com/show. Now, Real Alex Jones back on what was Twitter, now X. And we're here. We're fighting hard. We're promoting freedom. And we want everybody to tune in and see what we're doing.
Tell me about your day, Stephen. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. You should check out the last few videos. I do a lot of arguments over a lot of the goofy Ray Epps conspiracy theories, or a lot of these J7 or J6 conspiracy theories. I've been doing that. YouTube.com/Destiny.
I personally just like to goon on my YouTube.
Yeah, check me out.
What about you, Brent?
I'm on X, Krasenstein. I do a lot of posts. I guess you can't call them tweets anymore. About politics. I try to hear out both sides. Alex, I still read your post.
Thank you.
Might not agree with them, but I
Twitter sounds exhausting.
Try to hear out both sides. Give me feedback. I like countering points. I like listening.
No, I want to congratulate everybody for being here. This has been a great debate.
Yeah, Ed, and
it's been a fucking shit show.
Fun as well.
Yeah, pretty much everything Brian said.
Yeah, it has been It has been spectacular. High energy, fast paced. It's intense. The first time I've ever moderated a debate with 5 people, and then somebody on coming in digital, which has its own.
So that's 6 people.
And if you want to see more of this, the great folks at Zero Hedge, like you said, with their subscription service, they want to do more of this. So this is the future. People want.
Well, it's nice of Destiny to leave this end part into his video.
Zero Hedge debates all the way, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming. Again, ZeroHedge.com.
Thanks for coming, gooning,
putting this on to everyone at Zero Hedge and everyone in the audience. We love you. I love you. We will see you later.
Oh my God. Well, we got through it, guys. We did it. That's certainly an impressive feat.